Chapter 1. Spring is here. It's the season when everything is in harmony again. In a luxurious beach villa. On a mattress worth millions of dollars. 3 bodies overlap. Look carefully. One of the men, with a distinct Asian face. The other 2 are twins. The man's arm suddenly bent. Then he woke up. Retracting the arms from the twins. Get up expressionlessly. Turn a blind eye to the 2 beauties on the bed. In absolute time for sages. Suddenly, he looked up and cursed at the air. J.A.R.V.I.S, where is that BD Tony? He actually drugged me. Sir, Mr. Stark is in the lab and is calling for you. After a moment, a projection appears. There is a man in the picture. The background is a high-tech laboratory. Hi Ron, how does it feel to be a man? With the iconic mustache. Tony Stark, teasing with a smirk. Ron, to be precise, is called Ron Stark. It was a baby adopted by the Howard Stark couple. Shortly after adoption, the 2 were in a car accident. From then on, Tony treated Ron as a gift from his parents. Since childhood, I have been pulling big little by little. Eat a Euro trademark S not a real brother, but the relationship is better than that of a real brother. Definitely, this also contains Tony's guilt. Just because Ron is a time traveler. Because the soul is too strong. It almost destroyed the baby's brain nerves. It has led to 21 years. Ron is in a state of dementia. Tony thought it was his own reason. Once he didn't hold it well, Ron broke his head. So, after Ron recovered a while ago, Tony just gave whatever he wanted. Shares of Stark Group. All were divided directly. It is also Tony's family affection. Let Ron quickly accept Tony's identity as his younger brother. And the fact of traveling through time. The most important thing is, as the body recovers, his mind also showed every bit of the past 21 years. However, just yesterday, Tony suddenly proposed to open a party. Celebrate for Ron. It's right in the Marib Beach Villa. Ron is his younger brother. Tony was kind again, so he naturally had no reason not to agree. Then, there was nothing. He was drugged. Well, the medicine to stimulate that aspect. He also arranged twins. This is indeed something Tony can do. Although he has been demented for 21 years. But Tony hired a lot of masseurs and nutritionists. His body is extremely healthy. The result can naturally be imagined. 21 years old healthy body, plus medicine. The result is conceivable. 1v2, that is also the dragon holding its head up. Later, the medicine passed and Ron woke up. Looking at the picture in front of you. TMT. All happened. Just do it all the time. After one night, Ron fell asleep. The twins fainted, too. However, pedaling back. You should be angry if you are angry. Next time, what if Tony does this? Ron demanded accusations with righteous words. Suddenly, his eyes flashed and he came into a space. The space is chaos. There is no margin to see. A vortex in front of him was slowly rotating. Meanwhile, a panel emerges. A Euro host, Ron Stark. A Euro combat power, 1, average combat power of ordinary people 1, A Euro ability, non-Euro. A Euro traveling the world, 1 A Euro note, you can collect the killed enemies into space. A Euro evaluation, a very normal person has a very normal life, and has a little kidney deficiency after a night of hard work. A Euro Ron, A Euro E A Euro NM, A Euro. Seeing the review, it almost diluted the excitement of Goldfinger. What's the use of this Goldfinger? Could it be that I was allowed to travel to other worlds and obtain ability? Try it. Marvel's world of extraordinary people walked all over the ground. After he woke up, he briefly understood. The current period is after the New York War. Some time ago, I just experienced the Zittery invasion. Aliens and superhero, exposed to the public. According to the timeline. That is, Avengers Alliance 1 ends. Then there is Captain America 2. Snake Heideled is exposed and collapsed. Then there are Thor 2, Ultron and other events. This is just a big event, and there are countless small events. Especially he found out. There are not only Avengers in this world. And mutant. Even under the search by JARVIS. The vampire was also found. Fortunately, he didn't see Batman, Superman. He barely breathed a sigh of relief. But, I am an ordinary person, traveling to another world, and I am still an ordinary person. What's the use of traveling through the past? Don't there be any trading malls or something? Is this Goldfinger a little too simple? For a moment, Ron's heart was cold. No matter what, it's better to have it than not. What if you travel through and replace Superman? Try it. Gripped his teeth. Ron walked into the vortex. Chapter 2. The sky is spinning. The next moment, Ron came to a strange place. It looks like wilderness. The sun hangs high. Stepping on the grass under your feet. In the distance is lush forests. There were still a few figures swaying. His appearance also attracted the other party's attention. Coming towards him. That's all. Ron couldn't tell which world this was. But since there is someone, then you can ask. Definitely, he did not relax his guard. Checked it out. You can return to space at any time. I felt relieved immediately. As long as he can go back at any time, he is absolutely safe. Following the figure. Ron frowned. Refugee? Ancient? What kind of power can such a world give him? Could it be the world of martial arts? The Nine Yang divine power, the great movement of the universe? Several refugees walked in. Looking at Ron's clothes. There was obvious fear on his face. He didn't even dare to look directly at the eyes. But then, several people looked at each other. Scanned the whole circle. I found that there was only Ron here. Fear quickly turned into hideousness. Ron took it all in his eyes. The first time travel, a little inexperienced. You should carry two truths with you. But you can go back at any time. There is no limit to coming back. He chose to inquire about the news first. Where is this? A euro e percent I yen percent a euro percent, a euro. One of them is obviously the leading man. Staring at him greedily. There was a lot of talk about it. Ron didn't understand a word. It was just the other party's words that gave him an inexplicable sense of familiarity. For a moment. But I can't remember where I've heard it. Disconnected language. It seems like a translator is needed. Well, there is still a big truth. Let the other party talk to him calmly. Ron glanced at him and looked up and down at his refugees. Disappear directly. Return to space. Then I returned to the villa. A euro Aaron, a euro. Before he could come back to his senses. A loud shout rang in my ears. Then a figure rushed over. Ron quickly took 2 steps back. Say. Where did you go just now? Is someone taking you away? Tony rushed to him. He asked anxiously. A euro a euro a euro. After a moment. Tony asked in surprise as he stared at Ron. You mean, you suddenly awakening super ability? Same as mutant. Is your ability going to another world? He wanted to see if Ron was manipulated. However, no matter how you look at it, everything is normal. Ron nodded. Yes. I just went to another world. Meet the people from that world. They want to hurt me, and I'll be back. A cold light flashed in Tony's eyes. Help you? Can your ability take me there? I've helped you solve them. Tony is superhero. But he is not the Virgin. It depends on when he first became Iron Man. To avenge Ethan. Go to the Middle East and kill many terrorists. No hesitation. Now, someone threatens Ron's life. For him, it is no different from seeking death. Ron shook his head. No. Maybe it will be possible in the future. Ron doesn't know if it can be done in the future. However, he tried it just now, and it really didn't work. Tony pondered for a moment. Okay, wait, I'll get you some self-defense. After saying that, Tony turned around and went downstairs. Come to the laboratory. A euro a.a.r.v.i.s, is there any problem detected? A euro sir, everything is normal, no problem. Tony felt much more relieved. He loves his younger brother, but he is limited to Ron. If someone takes Ron away, pretend to be him and control him. He didn't mind dispatching the army of steel battlesuit. Or call up the Avengers. But, since Ron is fine. Then what he said is true. Traveling to another world? Farkey. New world. Ron's new world alone. This can represent a world's resources. If this could allow others to enter. Ron can be the fuse of the Third World War. No, you must not let others know. Fortunately, Ron just disappeared. He sent the twins away. There are only the 2 of them in the villa. A euro a.a.r.v.i.s, take out the battlesuit I customized for Ron. A euro my brother, I need some firepower modification. Half an hour later. That's what you said. What self-defense things prepared for me? Ron looked at the steel battlesuit of Ka. Speechless and couldn't help but feel excited. Mad. Steel battlesuit. Can that man ignore it? In ancient times, a steel battlesuit can easily destroy a country. Looking at the excitement on Ron's face, Tony couldn't help but say proudly. Ron, I modified the battlesuit I gave you. Avoid going to the new world. J.A.R.V.I.S can't control it. A euro I also installed a standalone smart system. A euro and you entered your voice. Only you can control it. Go and take revenge. Never be ruthless to those who hurt yourself. Chapter 3. Watching Ron disappear again. Tony's face was solemn. A euro a.a.r.v.i.s, can I still link it? A euro sir, the moment Ron disappeared, the signal disappeared. Hearing this sentence, Tony breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. It seems Ron is not controlled. On the other side, Ron wore steel armor. Appeared where it disappeared before. He just showed up. The steel battlesuit's back was opened. A miniature satellite took off. Then, in front of him, a light curtain appeared. A euro ambient environment is being tested. A euro the temperature is normal. A euro normal humidity. A euro air quality is normal. A euro the test is completed. No danger was detected. Does the satellite map be mobilized? Ron replied subconsciously, mobilize the map. A euro a big trough. It's so exciting. Is this the crushing technology? Ron really felt the power of technology at this moment. Looking at the map in front of you. It covers all the surrounding area by dozens of kilometers. Even, it can be based on his request. Zoom in and out of a certain position. This is really, simply. Sure enough, when you come out, you only care about the background. With back to Stark, everyone is a little st. Even if Euro trademark a different world. Mad. Where are the guys who threatened him just now? Euro explore the surroundings and mark humans. Euro okay, sir, marked. On the map, a radar appears. Focus on him. Countless red dots representing humans appeared. It's half an hour, I shouldn't walk far. In this direction, 1 kilometer westward, exactly 5 people. Determine the target. Control battlesuit to evacuate. It disappeared in the sky with a swish. In just over 10 seconds, Ron caught up with the target. It was the 5 people before. Looking down at them condescendingly, Ron noticed a hint of abnormality. They are very fast. It's obviously a refugee. All hungry eat grass roots and tree bark. But the speed of running is not slow at all. Under normal circumstances, they should not have the strength. With confusion, Ron landed ahead of them. Raise your hand and Euro bang. Euro trademark a low-power palm cannon. Blast the leader away. The body that flew backwards and hit the tree. It bounced softly to the ground. He was shot to death. The remaining 4 people quickly knelt down and begged for mercy. Ron still couldn't understand what he said. Sir, the language cannot be translated, it is suspected to be an island language, but it has not been included, and it is determined to be an island dialect, or an ancient language. Unable to translate? That doesn't a Euro trademark T mean that you can't a Euro trademark T get the information? What kind of world is this? Ron frowned. Raise your palm. One person was awarded a palm cannon. Just about to leave. Suddenly I remembered the notes on my panel. Note, you can collect the killed enemies into space, a Euro on the personal panel. Only this sentence adds an exclamation mark. This impressed Ron. A Euro is dead man any more useful, a Euro Ron was puzzled, but he still put away the body. He then entered the space. Then he saw it. 5 corpses, just entered the space. Instantly it turned into 5 white mists. Floating in the space, it will never disperse for a long time. This is. While he was thinking. White mist in the space. It seemed like I suddenly found the exit. Flocking towards him. Constantly poured into him. Not just the body. There was still a lot of white fog that entered his brain. About 10 minutes passed. The fog was absorbed by Ron. A Euro combat power +2. A Euro Ron finally understood what those mists were. The space returns the body to its original origin. Only the purest energy is left. When Ron absorbs energy, it will improve physical fitness. Get the opponent's ability. You will also gain the other person's lifelong memory. It's like watching a movie. You can get it as you like. When he needs it, he can also absorb some knowledge. Totally become your own. Immediately, Ron absorbed the knowledge about language. Next second. For the language of this world, Ron has achieved mastery. There is almost no difference from the natives. At the same time, Ron passed through the memory of 5 people. I finally knew what world this place was. There are 5 major countries in this world and a number of small countries. The 5 major countries are: the country of fire, the land of thunder, land of land, country of wind, the country of water. There are also 5 major ninja villages: Konoha Ninja Village, U Ninja Village, Iwa Ninja Village, Sand Ninja Village, and Fog Ninja Village. In other words, this is actually the world of Naruto. Etc. The space can turn corpses into mist, doesn't it mean that I can gain the power and bloodline of ninjas? Although these 5 people are refugees. I don't know anything about the ninja village. But in my memory, it was mentioned. Now a great war is going on between the ninja villages. It is said that Feng Ying from Sand Ninja Village has disappeared. Now it is the 3rd Ninja World War. Chapter 4. Ordinary people in the Naruto world have stronger physical strength than Marvel world. Ron absorbed the fog. I clearly felt my own changes. His power became stronger. The most intuitive thing is in the combat power of the personal panel. A Euro combat power, 3 A Euro. He is not a bloodthirsty person. If it is a peaceful time, he is really hard to attack without any grievances. But now the entire ninja world is in a big battle. It doesn't matter if you plunder some corpses. In case, when collecting the corpse, encountered an attack, then it is reasonable for him to fight back. Ron quickly positioned the intelligence system. Control the battlesuit soared into the air. I have to say, Tony was too careful in building his battlesuit. Not to mention various functions. Just talking about speed. Mach 5. 5 times the speed of sound, 1,700 meters per second. It can be said that he was afraid that he would not be able to run away when he encountered danger. Lita Euro trademark S talk about defense. It is 1 time stronger than ordinary battlesuit. The materials alone consumed about 2 armors. Not to mention the final firepower. Micro missiles, cluster lasers. Even the cheatery technology that just defeated. All were installed on it by Stark. As long as you don't encounter special shadow level ninjas. He is in the Naruto world with almost no danger. There are only a few special shadow level ninjas. For him, the most dangerous one is Oniki. That unreasonable escape from dust. Uchiha Madara Susanoo couldn't stand it. The second is Thunder Shadow. There is also Luasha and Changman. Lei Ying is pure physical strength. The speed cannot catch up with the steel battlesuit. But Ron could not react in an instant burst. Nagato's reincarnation eye is a bug. Shen Luo Tian Xing, and all things are led by heaven. If you don't pay attention, you will be caught. As for Luosha, magnetic escape sky metal. Wolverine has something to say about this. His enemies can be anyone. It can't be Magneto alone. When facing Magneto, he was Magneto's toy. However, he has satellites to monitor in the sky. Just find these few people. Leave without saying a word. As for the battlefield Ron chose. Definitely it is the battlefield between Konoha and Mizuan. There is no other reason. It's just because this is Uchiha's main battlefield. Let a fire escape family fight against the fog ninja by the sea. This is only possible that Konoha can do. But what does this have to do with him? He only has the corpse. Uchiha, Sharingan. Although there is armor. But who can refuse to drive Gundam in armor? Flying in the air. Ron suddenly discovered. There are 7 red dots on the radar. From the direction of the sea. He quickly rushed towards the fire. Squad of 7 people. In the Third Ninja World War. Enter the Kingdom of Fire alone to perform missions. And it's incredible. How come this scene is so familiar? Ron immediately zoomed in on the map. Looking at the picture. The shapes are different. 7 people either carry or hold 7 strange weapons. The eyes gradually lit up. Isn't Euro trademark T this the 7-member sword? That is to say. The 7 ninjab will meet the Mate Kai team. Then, Mate Day, who was rescued, kicked into the 3 treasures of auspiciousness. Most of the strength of the 7 ninja cuts comes from the ninja cuts. Originally strength is at most a top ninja. But Mate wears differently. He relies on physical skills, although at most he only has the strength of the supreme ninja. But the outbreak of the 8-gate Dunjia. He directly raised him to the shadow level. Not an ordinary shadow level. A faintly approaching the super shadow. If I could get the body of Mate Day. Then he is, through memory. Can you also learn the 8-gate Dunjia? Thinking of this. Ron immediately followed. Following closely above the 7 ninja swordsmen. Ron suddenly discovered. A village appeared on the edge of the map. It turned out to be Konoha. In Konoha village. There are dense red dots. Around Konoha village. There are also many red dots, constantly coming in and out. There are 3 red dots. Direction of action. Just happened to meet Ron. This means that the other party will meet the 7 people of Ninjaku. Ron click on the map. They are 3 teenagers wearing ninja combat uniforms. He didn't know any of them. But the iconic watermelon head. Let him confirm the other party's identity. Mate Kai in his youth. But for a moment. The 2 sides met. Oh. 3 Konoha's little ghosts. Who goes to kill, don't let them expose our location. So what if it is exposed? Our 7 ninja swords can still kill even when facing Naruto. We want to leave, no one can keep us, even if it is a yellow flash. Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost is carrying a shark's muscle. He looked arrogantly at Konoha. The black hoe and thunder teeth that had been silent on the side. The lightning light flashes in the hand of the thunder knife and teeth. I think it's better to kill it. At the moment, the 3 of Metkai looked at the 7 people and swallowed. Damn it, it's 7 fog ninjas. It's the 7 people in the ninja sword. It's over now. Feel the murderous aura on the 7 people. Ebisu shivered all over. Lo Bishizang waved the beheading knife in his hand. So much nonsense. My decapitation knife happens to have a gap, and I need to suck some blood. If you don't do it, then I'll come. Koi's little devil, let's become the nutrient for the beheading sword. Chapter 5. Lo Kuachizang's eyes were cold. The decapitation sword was raised high. The whole person disappeared in an instant. When he appeared again, it was already in front of Metkai and the other 2. Fog instantly. Just then. A green figure. Like a whirlwind, it appeared. Stand in front of the 3 of them. Ha ha ha. I'm catching up. Mate Day was wearing green chakra. In order to rush forward, he even opened the 5th door directly. Dad. Looking at the figure, Mate Kai exclaimed in surprise. Dad, what are you doing? You are a lower ninja, and the other party is a higher ninja. And it's the 7 ninja swords of Mizunan. Dad, you can't beat them alone. Mate looked at the enemy with a firm look. I have the death sect. The 8-gate of exit armor formation. Mate K's pupil shrank. But that trick. He didn't say it later. That move is a desperate move. Use it out. Whether the enemy died or not, Mate Day was dead. Mate Day tilted his head slightly. Thumbs up and reveals white teeth. Now, it's the time to protect even if you swear to die. The words fell. Mate Day's body was instantly surrounded by red flames. The 8th gate of the 8th gate of Dunjia, the death gate. Don't talk about Mate. Even Ron in midair didn't react. Just saw Mate Day rushing forward. Stand with the 7 people of Ninjaku. At the beginning, Mate Day focused on procrastination. Buy time for the Metkai 3. But with the figures of Metkai and the other 3 disappeared. Mate Day fully demonstrated his strength. It blooms with the charm of the 8-gate Dunjia. 1v7, pure crush. Ron's dynamic vision is completely unavailable. Only a red light could be seen. Crash left and right on the battlefield. And the 7 people in the ninja sword were like small boats on the sea. In the attack of Mate Day's storm. It was constantly flushed. In just a few seconds. Li Shaoshuan, Tongkaiya Baron and Wula Shiva died one after another. Ron watched helplessly, 3 bodies. Under the destruction of the battlefield, it turned into a broken limb and a broken arm. But there is no way. He can't end now. Any time it appears, it may lead to attention. In case Mate Day thinks he is the enemy, start attacking yourself. He is really not sure if the steel battlesuit can be stopped. Watching Mei Tai who kicked the ground out of the big pit, Ron chose to be a fisherman. Mate is indeed very strong. But as the first generation user of the 8 Gates Dungia, his upper limit is far less than that of Metkai. He also has no resources for Mate K. However, it was his sacrifice. Let Konoha see the power of the 8 Gate Dungia. Use Kai as a secret weapon. Let Kai only practice physical skills. Then there is the strength of the Supreme Ninja, or even the Elite Supreme Ninja. Unfortunately, that's Kai. Not him. No resource support. He practiced the 8 Gate Dungia for many years, and his body was covered with secret injuries. His outbreak gradually came to an end. With a kick, he kicked another person into minced meat. The remaining 3 auspicious treasures have completely collapsed. When they came, the 7 were ambitious. Now, the only 3 remaining people are fleeing like a dog that is stranded. 3 people were kicked and collapsed. Didn't notice at all. At the moment, Mate Day has long been distracted. If you can see through, you will find out. His body was already like cracked porcelain. The enemy fled. His last breath completely dissipated. Turn around slowly. Looking into the direction of Konoha, he gave a thumbs up. Dead. Ron landed quickly. Watching Mate Day, who was physically collapsed. He didn't care about anything else and hurriedly put into the space. Seeing Mate Day really dies. It was turned into fog by space. Ron then breathed a sigh of relief. Even if he doesn't accept it, Mate Day will also turn into dust due to physical collapse. Even a piece of meat will not be left. Driving armor and leaving quickly. I found a safe place and couldn't wait to enter the space. As soon as he entered, fog swarmed in. Mate Day's body was on the verge of collapse. But a person's quantity is still far more than that of ordinary people. A lot of energy is absorbed by Ron. His strength is also becoming stronger quickly. A Euro combat power, 30 A Euro boom. Ron removes the armor. His body roared with explosions. The body starts with genes and becomes more perfect. The already handsome face has become more charming. The well-proportioned muscles are filled with explosive power. At the same time, an energy breathes from the deep part of the cell. Chakra. After absorbing the fog, he also has chakra in his body. This moment, Ron could feel it. He is originally 30 combat power. Using chakra can double instantly. 60 combat power. What is the level of Marvel? The peak of ordinary people is 10 points. That is, it is equivalent to a top agent like Natasha Romanoff. Ron is now far beyond the limits of humanity. Appears in the world of Naruto. Standing on the earth. Learning from Mate's appearance. Condensing chakra, stomping on the ground with 1 foot. Suddenly, dust filled the sky. A pit of several meters appeared at the foot. Ron was extremely excited. A body is about to collapse. Let him strengthen after. Convert. He is the strength of an elite Shinen. Even so, the power that burst out was close to the power of a grenade explosion. What if it is Zongren? Where is the sushi? Where is the shadow? What should it look like? Chapter 6. The battlefield between the Kingdom of Water and the Kingdom of Fire. The 2 patrolmen couldn't help but whisper. One person said, "Have you heard of it?" Another person wondered, "What?" The previous person lowered his voice. The body of the Uchiha clan who died in battle was lost again. They can't even keep the corpses of their tribesmen, it's useless. You guys say, did Uchiha offend something? He was targeted. The other person quickly covered his mouth. ICAO. Speak quietly. You dare to say anything, you're not going to die. If you are heard by those lunatics in Uchiha, you will not be able to avoid you. They are not the Uchiha clan. Just a civilian ninja. I can't afford to offend those big clans. Uchiha was originally stealing the body. Everyone is like explosives that are just a little bit. At this time, if you are in trouble, it's absolutely impossible to get it. It was on their heads. Aerial height of 100 meters. A golden and red figure flew past. Ron sighed. The corpse is getting harder to steal. After absorbing the mist from Maithai, he did learn the 8 Gate Dungia. But, physical fitness is a flaw. He could only barely open the first door. Lead a Euro trademark S talk about the rest. Even if you try it, you will feel like you have a genetic collapse. There is no way out. He had to go to the battlefield again. I also encountered refugees starving to death on the roadside on the road. I collected a few. Apart from gaining useless memories, nothing gained. His current strength. The energy of ordinary people returning to their original origin. It no longer works. After coming to the battlefield, always use satellite maps to monitor the battlefield. As long as there is a red dot, disappear. Go immediately. If you can, steal. If you can beat it, grab it. If you don't, a Euro trademark T, hurry up. It won't a Euro trademark T take long before the Mizuno will retreat. By then, there is no room for trouble to do it. For a moment, a lot of corpses were found. But most of them are shy. Let him break through to the Zongren. The effect also becomes minimal. Then he set his sights on Uchiha. There are also some special blood transcendence limits. It was fine at the beginning. Later, he became famous. They all started to guard against him. But it doesn't matter. Can't beat him or run away. As long as the map is monitored. Don't even think of sneak attacking him. Speeds of thousands of meters in 1 second. Ninjas are only worthy of farts. I can't catch up. He only snatched the body. This way. The two sides in the war simply ignore him. Every time he appears. They just glanced at it and they should fight and kill. This tacit understanding seen. Just now it was broken. Ron detected a body. When collecting it as soon as possible. Meet two colleagues. Two people were loading corpses into the seal scroll. These days, TMD corpses have been snatched. When he saw the strange mask on the other person's face. There is also the forehead protection of the KOH leaves on the forehead. He was slightly stunned. Then suddenly realized. Hold the grass. Danzang old dog. At this time, Orochimaru should have not rebelled from the village. That is, they are in need of a large number of corpses. Perform human experiments. And Danzo coveted the Sharingan. It is reasonable to take advantage of this time to target Uchiha. He is reasonable. But Ron couldn't bear it. Does Uchiha know that you ninjas at the root of Konoha steal the body? Who? The root ninja shouted loudly. Your grandpa, me. Ron stood in midair. At the same time, he turned on the sound function of the battlesuit directly. The subordinates of Konoha Shimura Danzo are stealing the bodies of the Uchiha clan on the battlefield. The subordinates of Konoha Shimura Danzo are stealing the bodies of the Uchiha clan on the battlefield. A rumbling sound. Almost half of the battlefield can be heard clearly. In a moment. Everyone's eyes looked here. Especially Uchiha's people. Seeing that iconic golden red. Give up the opponent directly. He rushed towards here quickly. The two roots were serious and their faces changed. Damn it, someone is here, go. The two of them didn't care about it, and there were two bodies on the ground confiscated. Turn around and run. However, what they didn't expect was. In the air, a golden figure. Just like dog skin plaster. Follow behind your butt. No matter how you shake it, you can't shake it. Even if you use the transformation technique, the instant body technique. It was just a moment away. It takes a few seconds to follow again. It would be fine to follow. The most important thing is. He also had a loud horn on the side. This is equivalent to broadcasting their location in real time. Who can stand this NM? The two looked at each other. Pinch the prince with both hands. Duplication technique. In an instant, two people turned into four. The four people went in different directions at the same time. Ron was stunned. Then look at the map. There are still two red dots on the map. Although the map radar is powerful. But he can't duplication. Duplication has no steel battlesuit. It's useless to split. A brief hesitation. He went straight to the fox mask and chased after him. The seal scroll is in that guy's hand. Chapter 7. The fox mask collapsed. Damn it, can you not follow me? No. Ron's answer came above. Then. The subordinates of Konoha Shimura Danzo are stealing the bodies of the Uchiha clan on the battlefield. Fox mask. You said, what did you let me go? Ron, give me all the body in your hand. The fox mask raised his hand and threw the scroll over. A Euro bang. A Euro trademark. Ron reached out to catch it. Throw it into the space casually. For you, don't follow me. The fox mask turned around and ran away. The subordinates of Konoha Shimura Danzo are stealing the bodies of the Uchiha clan on the battlefield. A Euro. The fox mask was desperate. What else do you want to do? Ron replied lightly. What I said is, give me all the body in your hand. The fox mask gritted his teeth. It was his mission to bring back the body. If he handed over the body, he would not be able to complete the task. But if he doesn't hand over, he can't escape, and he can't finish it. At the root. Even if you die, you cannot fail the mission. You can look into the distance. A ninja followed up with a shadow. If you don't throw away Ron, he will be surrounded sooner or later. Mad. Give it to him first, at worst, just collect it yourself. Take out the remaining seal scrolls on your body. Pinch the prince with both hands. Take out all the bodies. Dozens of them. It's from the Uchiha clan. There are only a dozen. Raise your foot and kick it. The corpse flew in all directions. It's all here. Ron had long expected that he would do it. If you are forced to escape, you will definitely find a way to escape. Just like the two of them ran separately before. Ron directly ordered the intelligence system to stare at the corpses of the Uchiha clan. Then the body flashed rapidly in the air. After collecting Uchiha, two other corpses were collected nearby. The ninja behind him caught up. Ron flew quickly into the air. Pointing to the west. Root ninja ran west, chase it. After saying that, he turned his head and headed straight for the battlefield. Take advantage of the battlefield with few people. See if there are any corpses. After a circle. The corpses of civilian ninjas with several kaken leaves were collected. The ninja who saw Uchiha surrounded him again. Ron is not greedy either. Turning around and soaring into the sky. It disappeared into the horizon in the blink of an eye. After leaving the battlefield, Ron found a secret place. Entered the space. He collected several Uchiha corpses himself. plus a dozen roots. More than 20 Uchiha corpses. In addition, more than 20 fog ninja corpses, and more than 20 civilian ninja bodies. Nearly half of them are Zongnan. All turned into pure energy. It instantly poured into Ron's body. The whole body was covered with white mist. A Euro combat power, 160 A Euro an unprecedented powerful energy. First, it invades from the outside to the inside. Then it explodes from the inside out. Let Ron's strength break through to the Shangnan in one breath. The combat power reached 160 points. If the combat power exceeds 10 points, it is the level of the ninja. Ida Euro trademark S not a ninja who just graduated from ninja school, but the kind of person who has been on the battlefield and experienced battles. If it exceeds 50 points, it is Zongran. As for the Supreme Ninja, it takes more than 150 points. Ron 160 points, it seems that he has just passed the threshold of the ninja. In fact, this is his pure physical strength. The chakra bonus was not calculated. Moreover, by absorbing Uchiha's energy, he really got the Sharingan. More than 20 Uchiha corpses. The Uchiha energy it possesses. It's simply unprecedentedly pure. It can be said that he is one of the purest Uchiha in the ninja world. That is, Uchiha Madara and the future Uchiha Sasuke can compare with him. What surprised him the most? In the corpse collected at the root, there was actually a Uchiha Kanan's body. No wonder those Uchiha are crazy. Even ignored the battle. They all rushed towards this side. The ninja, that is Uchiha Euro trademark S top combat power. There are only a few dozen people in the entire clan. Ida Euro trademark S so heartbreaking to die. Besides, among civilian ninjas, there are also unexpected surprises. There are two, and they actually have the bloodline of the Thousand Hands clan. Very thin, but there is. This is the descendant of intermarriage with the Thousand Hands clan. He also snatched it from the root. Obviously, they were all targeted by Danzang. As we all know. In the end, Tsunade is the only one left. If it weren't for it, Tsunade was the granddaughter of Hashirama Senju. He is also Sarutobi Hina's apprentice. In addition, he has grown up and has strong strength. Otherwise, Tsunade would have to die. Become a test item for Danzo. There was no surprise for the rest of the corpses. There are only some common escape techniques in memory. Sharingan plus thousand-handed bloodline. Maybe, I can still come up with the reincarnation eye. Talking to yourself. Ron opened his eyes suddenly. I saw his originally distinct black and white eyes. At this moment, it has turned red. One of the big windmills was rotating constantly. Kaleidoscope. Chapter 8. Not weaker than Uchiha Madara's bloodline. It's normal to have a kaleidoscope. However, it is the same as the 8 Gates Dungia. Because of combat power. His kaleidoscope is just a mere appearance. Moreover, because it is made up of pure blood. There are no special abilities such as Amaterasu, Tsukio, etc. Even so, his mental power is also far beyond that of normal Uchiha Kanon. It's improved too fast, I have to adapt. Especially various escape techniques. Now that we have reached the Supreme Ninja, the 8-Gate Dungia can already reach the 5th gate without damaging our body definitely, this is not harmful to the body. If Ron ignores it, the death door can also be opened. But after opening, it will be like mate. He died on the spot. I didn't even have time to be rescued. When he opens the 6th door, his body will probably be weak for a while. If you force the 7th door to open, he was afraid he would be bedridden for half a month. Only the 5th door. After use. Just a slight exhaustion. It will be recovered soon. He now, even if he doesn't have steel armor. In the ninja world, you can also be considered as having the power to protect yourself. After gaining strength, he simply removed the armor. Let the intelligent system control it and follow it in the air. He is based on memory. Come to the world of Naruto, the famous short book street. Just arrived here. Ron had to sigh. It's worthy of being a short book street. Other places, because of the war, the atmosphere was solemn. That's all. It's still very lively. The crowds are full of people. Ron is planning to find a hotel. Taste the food from the Naruto world. For a while, I have eaten wild game every day and I am tired of it. Suddenly. Go away quickly. Big fat sheep is here again. What? Where? It's right in front of the casino. Why didn't you say it earlier? Hurry up. If you go late, you won't be able to catch it. A group of gamblers hurriedly ran past them. Ron listened to their conversation. He raised his eyebrows subconsciously. Big fat sheep? Tsunade Hitomi with a very narrow chest? Thinking in my heart. He kept following everyone. Walk towards the casino. Just walk to the door. I heard the lively shouts inside. And that heroic voice. If you don't bet, get out of here, don't block me from betting. Himmer. After shouting. He didn't forget to burp. Compare those present. Ron's height stands out. From the top of everyone's heads, I could see the figure in a green robe at a glance. Lying lazily on the chair. Holding a wine pot in one hand. While betting, he poured wine into his mouth. Beside her. Standing a beautiful girl. The girl looked at her with a depressed look on her face. A look of wanting to speak but stopping. I want to stop it, but I dare not. I could only stand behind Tsunade in a tangled way. watching her push all the money. A handful of studs. As a result, nothing unexpected happened, I lost it. Silence, get the money. Mr. Tsunade, you lost all the money. It's gone? Didn't I bring 5 million? I brought 5 million, but just now, I lost. When I spoke silently, I cried. Woo 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 woo. I'm out of money and I'm going to sleep on the streets again. Shizun now has just been with Tsunade for a few years. Not as mature as it has since come. I don't know how to hide money secretly. Later, I started hiding money. Not to be hungry. Finally, I even learned that I had raised a pig. I use pigs to cheat money. Oh no, it's exchange for money. Why did you lose again so quickly? Tsunade muttered irritably. Wave your robe. Stop betting, silently let's go. Silence a word and don't say anything. Follow Tsunade obediently and walked out of the casino. When passing by Ron, he glanced at him in surprise. So handsome. Ron happened to look at her. The eyes are opposite. Jing Ian suddenly blushed. He pinched his cuffs with his hands, at a loss. I don't know how long it took. Mutual, you're doing it, boy, do you want to hook up with our family? Tsunade felt something was wrong and turned around and looked. I could see the two people looking at each other at a glance. The silent face suddenly turned redder. Sir Tsunade. Ha 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 ha. Tsunade hugged silently. What are you shy about? Look at this kid, he looks good, he looks like a terrible person. It's worthy of you. Ron, a euro, is it appropriate to be a human being to praise people? Tsunade said this. She suddenly lowered her voice. He leaned into Jing Ian's ear and said. Silence, we have no penny. The money for eating and staying in the hotel tonight depends on you. You can tell at a glance that this kid is a rich man. And when he looked at you, he was lustful. Ron suddenly spoke faintly. I can hear you lower your voice. I do have money, why? Do you want to sell this silent miss to me? Definitely, if Tsunade Hitomi, who is from the Thousand-Armed clan, wants to sell himself, I will bid higher. Chapter 9. Tsunade had a little sleepy eyes just now. Squinted violently. Revealing sharpness and murderous aura. Staring at Ron tightly. Many people know that she is a big fat sheep. There are also many people who know that her name is Tsunade. But I know that she belongs to the Thousand Hands clan. That circle is much smaller. Who are you? Who sent you? Is this Tsunade? What a powerful momentum. It is worthy of being the one who smashed Uchiha Madara Susan with one punch. I'm afraid that if I burst out with all my strength, it's no weaker than Hulk when I beat the hatred. No matter what, Tsunade is also a powerful figure. The threshold for the Shangnan is 150 points. The threshold for Shadow level is 500 points. And Tsunade is not a first-time movie level player. He is a senior film level. It's not far from the Super Shadow. Ron estimates. Senior film level, combat power is about 2000 or above. Unfortunately, I have phobia. Ron is now 160 in combat power. It is not counting the energy data in the body. In addition, he can now force 7 doors to open. Ron burst out with all his might. If you can't beat Tsunade, Tsunade can't beat him in seconds. And he knew Tsunade's weaknesses. But it can be fatal with one blow. No one can assign me a I'm just curious about the legendary Tsunade, is it really that big? As he said that, Ron paused. Shift your sight downward. Devilish figure. Big G goddess. The breasts are extremely dangerous. It is worthy of being a headlight. If it were ordinary people, they would have been circulating with blood. Fortunately, Ron is not an ordinary person. He was the god of war who had fought with the twins overnight. Simply put, it is still in the moment of a sage. Ron nodded seriously. It's true that the reputation is well deserved. Tsunade rolled her eyes and gave Ron a roll. She had long been used to this kind of look. You really want to be angry? When in a casino, how many men who are good at gambling are not lustful? Could it be that she had to kill every time? Little kid, I can be your mom at my age. You changed your target. How about my little Jing Ian? Big and big buttocks are upright. It's a good breed. If you don't have 100, no, 10 million. It's definitely not a loss. Tsunade's words. Make the redness on mute your face. It spread rapidly to the ears. Steam is coming out of his head. Ron smiled, Miss Silent is beautiful. But she's too young. I am a very dedicated person and I only like big ones. Jing Ian looked down subconsciously. Well. I just can see the toes. Although it's not big, it's not small either. It's not comparable to Tsunade. But it has always been like this, no one said she was young. Seeing this scene, Ron was speechless. Am I so charming? This is Silent. Then everything can be arranged properly, and the little assistant who can speak less and do things. Later, Tsunade became a Hokage. She is all assisting. This is equivalent to Pepper next to Tony. You can imagine how ability is. However, he did not explain. He means more than Seongdae. It still has to be age. By the timeline, Mute is now up to 17 years old. Minor. There is danger. Little devil, he has a lot of ambitions. Tsunade sees Ron won't get into a trap. I pulled Jing Ian away without any interest. When I left, I was silent. I didn't like you, so you won't leave. Now, steam was completely emerging from Jing Ian's head. It seems like the hot water is boiling. Ron shrugged. Take your legs and walk forward with big strides. What are you doing with us? Ron raised his eyebrows. You, oh no, I definitely want to go to the front for dinner. Why? You also go to the restaurant, do you still have the money to eat? Also, Tsunade Heim doesn't have to be too alert to me. You are suffering from phobia, and are not my opponent. Tsunade stopped suddenly. Pull the mute behind you. He looked at Ron with a serious look. Who the hell are you? It is a secret that she suffers from phobia. Except for a limited number of people, the shadows of other villages are unknown. This is also the reason why she can wander around the ninja world at will. Otherwise, someone would have attacked her long ago. Ron faces Tsunade with 4 eyes. €8 it doesn't €8 trademark T matter who I am €8 it's important that I have any ideas. Tonight, you'll be in my bed. While speaking, Ron's voice changed. His eyes narrowed, and his tone was filled with confusion. Hey! Tsunade Heim, I heard you're still here for the first time. It should be a red color, right? That thing is also blood. Will you still be afraid of blood after seeing it? It's not right. Women have those few days a month and they will feel uncomfortable. How did you deal with it? Is it because I closed my eyes and didn't look? Or how can you not come to your aunt with your skills? By the way, let's talk about the art of tyrants. It is said that the seal is very similar to the succubus pattern. Can I take a look? For these questions. Maybe more than Ron is curious. Countless viewers in their previous lives were curious. And Tsunade. At first he looked solemn. Later, his face kept changing. From white to red, then purple. Finally, after seeing that Jing Yan's eyes were curious, his face turned completely dark. Shameless little guy. If you don't shut up, I will smash your mouth. Chapter 10. Ron spread his hands. Then don't blame me for bullying you with blood. Looking at Ron, who was fearless, Tsunade had no choice but to do anything to him. Suddenly Tsunade was stunned. An idea came to mind. Knowing that you are phobic. Find yourself accurately. And when facing myself, I was curious and provocative. Could it be the old Monteiro trademark's new apprentice? It is impossible to be Orochimaru and Jiraiya's apprentices. No consent of your own. They will not tell their situation to their apprentice. Thinking of this, her eyes lit up immediately. This makes sense. Just as I was about to say something, I suddenly saw that there were more and more people around me. Pulling mute with one hand. The other hand hooked Ron. Let's go, let's find a quiet place. Faced with a sudden change in attitude Tsunade. Ron did not retract his arm. Put it silently in her arms. Feel the greatness of her heart. Softness in the heart. Don't look at Tsun's manual and slap a little devil. In fact, she is less than 40 years old. However, according to the Naruto world, I started chasing handsome guys at the age of 6. It is also common to have children in a teenager. In his 30s, he is indeed the mother of an adult child. Along the way, I silently enjoyed Tsunade's personal service. Ron also unconsciously moved his arms. It attracted Tsunade's eyes. He turned his head and looked at each other. Tsunade's height is about 165. Ron is 183 tall. Not too high, but it's enough. This angle of viewing. The large area of a Snow Whiteness is clear at a glance with the deep ravines. Feel the warning in Tsunade's eyes. Ron completely ignored it. In front of Tsunade. An open and honest peeping. Jing Ian, who was standing beside him, was shyly behind half a position. I don't know what's going on between the two. The three of them came to the entrance of the restaurant. Ron looked up. Tsunade, do you still have money to eat? €1 boom. €1 trademark Tsunade stomped her feet unchangedly. The whole block seemed to be trembling. What a lustful little guy. Looking all the way in vain, shouldn't we be invited to a meal? Terrifying control. Tsunade's kick. She was telling him that she was afraid of blood, but not a waste of people. So the power is not very strong. It shows control of power. Ron can also burst out with such strong power. But one kick. There can only be a big pit under your feet. But it didn't make him feel embarrassed. Practice more can also be done. After all, there are hundreds of people in my mind. He nodded slightly. Well, it should. My money is enough for you to eat for the rest of your life, should you consider it. Stupid little guy, don't be so lustful outside, it's really embarrassing me. Tsunade slapped Ron on his shoulder. Looking at Ron who was still. A hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. What a strong physical strength. Ron's eyes flashed. To embarrass you? Have you noticed the thousand-handed bloodline in my body? It shouldn't be. To be aware, it should be Uchiha's bloodline. If the purity of Uchiha bloodline is the sea, that 1,000 hands is a stream. There is no comparison. Shaking his head, he walked into the restaurant. Hurry, bring all your best wine and food. Tsunade sat down and shouted. After shouting, he looked at Ron. I said again in my eyes, look at you who I am poor. Jing Ian was on the side, looking at Ron awkwardly. Ron came over without any worries. Rubbed Jing Ian's little head. Jing Ian's face turned red again instantly. Ron smiled and sat down. It's too difficult for him to be poor. On the battlefield, I don't Euro trademark T know how many spoils I have plundered. The money you exchange is tens of millions. If it weren't for the ugly look of the ninja sword and the 7 people. Plus, there are no means of restriction. It can only be kept in the space and used as garbage. Those 4 knives can all be exchanged for tens of millions. Wait until the wine and food come up. Ron took a casual bite. Puff. A Euro trademark, why is this so unpalatable, really? Ramen is called the world of delicious food. How delicious can the dishes be? In Naruto world, ramen is an alternative instant noodles. Barrel. He shouldn't be curious. Silently looked at Ron in confusion. He lowered his head and ate the food Ron had just eaten. It's not bad, this restaurant is the best on Short Book Street. Tsunade stared at Ron in doubt. Stupid little guy, you weren't pretending to be in front of me on purpose, are you? Ron didn't say anything. He quickly picked up the wine and rinsed his mouth. The wine is not too bad. After all, it is bland and tasteless, almost like water. How bad can the water be? Shake his head and put it on the table. Tsunade looked at Ron's expression. I was stunned again and again. I ate the food and drank the wine. It's as delicious as usual. And it's much better than other cheaper restaurants. But the expression on this kid's face didn't seem fake. Etc. He won't really dislike him, right? Stir, boy, you dislike these wines and dishes. Have you ever eaten better? Ron sighed. You can't be hungry. You wait, I'll get you something delicious. Chapter 11. Just finished speaking. Ron disappeared in an instant. Tsunade's pupils contracted violently. Space ninjutsu. Fly Thor? Or something. Sure enough, he is the old man's new apprentice. Otherwise, how could it fly Thor? And there is the ability to practice space ninjutsu. He is still so strong. I'm afraid it's even better than the yellow flash, the Bo Feng Shui Gate. You know, there are only 2 people who can fly Thor. One is her second grandfather, Chihao Tobirama. One is Bo Feng Shuman. And Ron would, obviously Ron is Konoha's man. This brat. Tsunade slapped her head. I forgot to ask him what his name is. He returns to the world of Marvel. No more than 3 minutes. Tony appeared in front of him. A Euro Aaron, A Euro send it. Send it. Send it. You still know to come back. It will take more than 10 days as soon as it disappears. A with circumflex trademark, oh A with circumflex trademark, Ron scratched his head. Sorry, I'll tell you next time. Tony nodded reluctantly. Okay, safety is the most important thing. Without you, Stark Group won't know who to give it to in the future. Pepper's figure was caught in the aftermath of the light. Ron smiled. A Euro Ethid A Euro trademark S not simple A Euro, you just need to have a baby with Pepper. It can't be because of the excessive indulgence in physical health over the years, right? Here Ron. Pepper obviously paused. Looking at this side with expectation on his face. No? How could I not do it? I'm Tony Stark. Tony's face was full of arrogance. You know, I just want to develop new armor now. Yu Guang saw Pepper turning around and leaving in disappointment. Ron sighed helplessly. I helped you, you didn't know what to do. You can't blame me, Tony. Pepper just arrived. Don't joke. I wasn't kidding. She left again after hearing you say something. Tony was stunned and turned around quickly. Where? Ron pointed out of the door. Just leave, you can chase after me, you should be able to catch up. Ron was halfway through. Tony just chased after him. Fake. Ron, why didn't you say it earlier? Who makes you like Pepper still hides it? I obviously went downstairs. But Ron's voice still came to his ears clearly. This made Tony pause. It seems that traveling through the world has also gained benefits. I just don't a Euro trademark T know what the other world looks like. Forget it and lead a Euro trademark S talk about it. Get Pepper back first. A Euro A.A.R.V.I.S. Please order a table of Chinese dishes and deliver them to the villa as soon as possible. A Euro inside the villa, Ron said to JARVIS. Sir, it's already booked and is expected to be delivered within an hour. Ron nodded. 1 hour. Just wait a while. Just so happened that he practiced ninjutsu. No, it's a little bit improved. Naruto's ninjutsu is strange. Just spray water with your mouth. Fire escape also sprays with your mouth? Is there any necessary connection between fire and mouth? Why don't a Euro trademark TU spray too much? Just like the water dragon bullet technique, why didn't a Euro trademark TU spray it with your mouth? The earth flows through the wall, the 1,000 birds, why don't a Euro trademark TU use your mouth? To put it bluntly, it is the use of chakra. All our energy, slightly improved. Change from mouth to hand. Throwing a fireball with your hands is much more handsome than spraying it with your mouth. An hour passed. Ron just had a little thought. The food delivery is here. Looking at the food delivery helicopter printed with Stark. Ron once again gained a new understanding of the word money. At this time, Tony was back. Just look at the expression on your face. It definitely didn't coax it. Yes, counting on Tony to coax people? It's better to expect the vibranium mine to fall from the sky. At least it has really dropped. Tony coaxes people? Pepper can't remember allergies to strawberry. Thinking of this, Ron suddenly mentioned. By the way, if you apologize to Pepper, don't buy strawberries. Ah? Why? She is allergic to strawberries. Tony was stunned. How do you know? Ron, €, definitely, she said. €, if you don't believe me, ask J.A.R.V.I.S, he must have a record. Tony waved his hand and said, okay. By the way, why do you buy so many dishes? Or Chinese food? Looking at the service staff. Move up and down next to the helicopter. Tony looked curious. Ron tapped his chest gently with his finger. Bring it to another world and give it to the people over there. If nothing unexpected happens, the big hole in your chest will be healed. Tony suddenly stared at Ron with his eyes wide open. Ron hugged him. It's a pity that I woke up too late. €, if it were early, you wouldn't trademark T have gone through this. Listen to Ron. Tony's eyes were red. He thought Ron meant to protect him. Obadiah's sentence made him feel heartbroken. That is, Ron is there. He is not as extreme as in the original work. Otherwise, it would be like the misunderstanding with Pepper just now. With Tony Stark's pride. He will never chase him out. Wait until the delivery staff leave. Ron waved his hand and put away the dishes. Take out the steel armor again. In the armor, there are videos of another world. Don't worry, I have a self-protection ability. Watching Ron pinched the steel with one hand. Tony was stunned for a moment. Before we can ask. Ron disappeared before him. Chapter 12. Inside Tony's lab looking at Ron's armor. Tony turned on the projection device. If not Ron allowed. He wouldn't do that. This is Ron's privacy. Before, let J.A.R.V.I.S detect Ron's expression. It's because, he guessed that Ron might have been dropped. Or controlled. This is something he can't accept. But Ron is fine. He is a normal-minded adult. He can't interfere too much. Even if he was curious. With curiosity, I clicked on the projection. Lush forest. An ordinary world. Normal ordinary people. Curious person. Comparing with some of the Swiss soldiers in Chita. Then, Tony saw that Maid had a fight with the 7 people in the ninja sword. There was a shock in his eyes. What a powerful human. The power of the watermelon head is simply amazing. The explosion speed is even comparable to Thor. However, when seeing Mate Day die, Tony suddenly realized. It turns out that it is the strength obtained by squeezing the body. Then, he saw the battlefield of thousands of ninjas. Unlimited sigh in my heart. What a magical world. People can actually practice. Have an ability that uses water and fire. The body is also incredibly strong. Just rely on your toes, you can easily stand on the top of a tree. Even a leap of dozens or hundreds of meters. Some speeds even reach the speed of sound. This is with the body. Especially the green-clothed watermelon head. The speed of physical explosions is supersonic. Unbelievable. Suddenly, he thought of the scene just now. Ron easily pinched into steel. At that moment, Ron's hand burst out dozens of tons of power. It's simply incredible. Tony is so familiar with Ron. Ron looks dementia over the years. In fact, there is a perception to the outside world. He knew all of these when Ron woke up. But it is limited to the scope of normal people. But now. Is this normal? The world of Naruto. Mining, do you think we were cheated? That BD, deliberately messing with us. We had finished ordering the food and took the opportunity to run away. Listen to Tsunade. There was also a mess of food on the table. Jing Ian looked depressed. She doesn't know whether she is deceived or not. All she knows is. They have no money to pay. It seems so. They are about to have a tycoon meal. She certainly can't let Master Tsunade take the blame. Then, the pot naturally fell on her head. A man who looks so handsome. How could this happen? Didn't you say you'd make something delicious? It took more than an hour to go there. Is it really a liar? No, no. So handsome, definitely not a liar. Shizun's eyes were firm. Sir Tsunade, I believe him. He will definitely be back. It will definitely take a little more time to make delicious food. Yo Xiao Jing Ian is the most obedient. Suddenly, accompanied by teasing. A figure appeared in front of the two. I'll give Xiao Jing Ian a meal in a while, and someone will watch it. The conversation between the two. Ron heard it in the space. This is the ability he discovered only after he improved his strength. In space. It can perception range about 2/30 meters. Tisk, I've already eaten and drunk. Just quiet that silly girl, I'm still waiting for you to come back and eat. Tsunade looked proud. Ron shook his head, looking full of regret. That's a pity. Immediately, I greeted the restaurant's service staff. Tear off the leftovers on the table. Check out by the way. Then, Ron borrowed their table. Start snatching food out of the space. Come on, Xiao Jing Ian. One slap file size. Extremely exquisite. There are also cakes with several fruits on it. Put Ron in front of muting. He handed her the tableware again. Ethis is fruit cake, pre-dinner dessert. Try it. A is so beautiful. All eyes are silent and turn into stars. A trademark S called fruit cake. Eat a trademark S so delicate. Holding tableware in hand. Facing the beautiful cake. I can't bear to destroy it in my heart. I didn't know how to start for a while. Tsunade was eating and drinking. I was extremely surprised. Where did he take the food? Space ninjutsu? Can you get space ninjutsu out of thin air? No matter how beautiful it is, it's still something to eat. I like to eat, I'll bring it to you next time. Ron went up with a knife. Cut off a piece and place it in front of Silent. Eat quickly, I won't bring you next time if I don't eat it. Okay, silently cut a small piece and put it in your mouth. The delicious taste made her squint her eyes. It's delicious. So sweet. The fruit is cold. The silent amaze disrupted Tsunade's thoughts. I couldn't help but be surprised. It's really so delicious? As the princess of the Thousand Hands clan. What's the delicious ninja world? She hasn't eaten anything before? Chihao Hashirama and Chihao Tomomo love her. Later, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't dare to treat her unfairly. After that, Jiraiya became even more licking dogs. I have never treated food, clothing, housing, and transportation injustice. Isn't it just a fruitcake? As for her sighing like this? Tsunade's nose suddenly sniffed. What a strong milky aroma. Chapter 13. Okay, don't eat too much dessert before meals. Save some belly and have a big meal. I saw Tsunade's expression. Ron's mouth curled slightly. Move the cake away from the silent face. It was specially placed in front of Tsunade. Noting that her eyes were unconsciously moving with the cake. The little nose moved slightly. Ron smiled. Where is this? Next, there is a big meal display. Ethi's dish is made of pork ribs with honey. This is called the incense-burning peepa pigeon. It seemed like Ron was magical. Constantly pulling out food. A table was filled soon. Muting was stunned. He took a deep breath subconsciously. An attractive scent poured in. She almost leaked out the water. He hurriedly closed his mouth. He swallowed his saliva in big mouthfuls. Gudong trademark. Suddenly I realized that I was too embarrassing. The pretty face turned red again. There are still many in the space. A table can't be placed. Ron took one from the side and merged it together. 2 tables were filled. More than a dozen dishes. That's it, not all of them have been taken out. After Ron sat down, he took out another bottle of thatch. It is said that people who drink this thing will not buy it, and people who buy it will not drink it. This is the first time he has drunk this thing in 2 lives. Okay, silently let's start eating. What a pity, someone is already full. We can only enjoy it. The mute is about to start. Hearing this, he looked at Tsunade embarrassedly. Tsunade curled her lips. Look at what I do. I'm full. That little ghost brought it to you specifically, why don't you eat it? Besides, my famous Tsunade, what have I never eaten? Ron echoed. That is. The famous Tsunade must have eaten roasted suckling pig. Silently, try this. Suckling pig is so crispy and tender. And this open stove roast duck. Mute is still a teenager. But Ron was teasing Tsunade. Hear Ron say. I picked up some and tasted them. Just as it entered the mouth. It immediately made her eyes shine. There is no time to respond to Ron. I ate it quickly after bite. Tsunade was stunned to see. It's really so delicious? No, right? But Jingyan didn't suffer any hardship when she followed her. She will have a bite of it silently. The little brat's food just looks good. It smells good, too. Is it really that good? Why don't I take a bite? What dish is so delicious? Boss, give me a table too. At this moment, a middle-aged man with white hair and big nose walked in. At first, he squinted his eyes. Didn't notice the Ron and the other 3 next to them. But as he looks along with the fragrance. The next second, my face was full of surprise. A flashed and appeared at the table. Tsunade. Silence. What a coincidence. Jiraiya. Tsunade nodded to Jiraiya. No matter what you say. They are all from the same class. Although she doesn't like Jiraiya's yellow gambling. But at least the friendship between classmates is still there. I happen to have something to talk to you, but I'll finish it first. Jiraiya rubbed his hands excitedly. Pick up the chopsticks and start to move them. Europa. A trademark. His chopsticks were held by another pair of chopsticks. This is my dish, you have to order it yourself. Ron turned his head and stared at him calmly. Jiraiya's expression suddenly froze. Boy. You don't know him. Jiraiya. Tsunade suddenly interrupted. There was confusion and surprise on his face. Jiraiya replied in a daze. Why should I know him? Isn't he the old man's new apprentice? Tsunade's question made Jiraiya even more confused. When did the old man accept his apprentice? He is not Tsunade. I left the village early. He went all the way to Orochimaru's rebellion village. He used the excuse of chasing Orochimaru. Leaving Konoha. In the Third Ninja World War, he was the commander of the local battlefield. This time I came back because I had something to do with Tsunade. Jiraiya's answer changed Tsunade's face. The momentum of the whole body condensed. Staring at Ron. Who are you? Jiraiya also put away his calm expression. The body did not move, but the momentum also pressed towards Ron. Put down the chopsticks in your hand silently. Look around and look. He looked at a loss. Ron put down his chopsticks with a calm expression. My name is Ron, Ron Stark. Tsunade stared at Ron seriously. Aren't you an old man's disciple? Ron shook his head, I am not Sarutobi Hinata's apprentice. Jiraiya nodded. That's right, how could I not inform you of the old man's enrollment of disciples? Tsunade looked at Ron. More suspicious and alert. You're not Konoha's person. Ron, Tsunade stood up with a solemn expression. Then how did you know I have a phobia? How did you learn to fly, Thor? Why did you approach me specifically by pretending to be the old man's disciple? Chapter 14. Tsunade said a question every time. His tone was sharper. The atmosphere became more solemn. Wait until the 3 questions are finished. Jiraiya still doesn't know the seriousness of the matter. Whether it's Tsunade or Faith Thor. They are all Konoha's top secrets. Even Tsunade's phobia is the top secret among the top secrets. Even the Bofeng Mizuno who learned to fly Thor didn't know. Not to mention an outsider. Boy, it seems you need to go back to Konoha with me. Ron raised his eyebrows slightly. Ignoring Jiraiya, looking directly at Tsunade. There was a little irritable in his expression. When did I say I could fly, Thor? When did I say that I am Sarutobi Hina's apprentice? Why do you think of pretending? As for approaching you specifically. You can hear your rumors at any time on the short book street, so do you need to approach them deliberately? Tsunade didn't listen to Ron's answer at all. And in her opinion, Ron is not an answer. None of them responded positively. What is the difference between quibbling? You haven't said you can fly, Thor, but you have used it in front of me and Jing Ian. How did this table of dishes come from? Do you still need me to remind you? You have indeed never pretended to be an old man's disciple. But there are only a few people who know that I have a phobia. Apart from the old man, no one else will tell others without my consent. Ron exhaled, that's all. Tsunade was unmoved, isn't these enough? Not to mention her, even Jiraiya next to her, silent. I also think what Tsunade said is right. So, you treat me as your enemy now. Ron was too lazy to explain, he wouldn't surrender anyway. Follow Jiraiya to Konoha, what is the difference between a sheep entering the tiger's mouth? He glanced at Tsunade. Seeing her expression firm, there was no hesitation at all. It's the silent side. I want to speak but stop. I wanted to defend him, but I didn't know how to say it. People's words are light. She couldn't get in. Ron grinned. It was because he thought it was too simple. Simply think that we should make good relationships and become friends. There will be no doubts between the two sides. This is not the plot in the original work. He is not a character in the original work either. This is a real world. Everyone has their own persistence. Have your own independent personality. For Tsunade, Konoha is more than anything else. That was built by her grandfather. Her second grandfather insisted on it. It is also the home where she grew up. No damage is allowed. In comparison, Ron, who had just met for less than half a day. It seems less important. Even if Ron just has doubts. But it's enough. Ron shook his head with a self-deprecating, I'm so naive. I'm just an outsider in this world. What do you think so much about your ideas? As a teenager who grows under the red flag. He faced the new world with curiosity and enthusiasm. But unexpectedly, suspicion came so quickly. One day, let him be a homelander. He was a little uncomfortable. It's so TMD sincere. Ron raised his eyes. Looking around him in the middle. Tsunade and Jiraiya who are ready to do it at any time. We could have been friends. If you want to blame yourself. Tsunade, who took Ron's reaction just now. At the moment faced Ron's eyes. I just felt my heart tightening. An idea emerged, are you wrong? She was about to say something. Suddenly, my eyes were blurred. Ron's figure disappeared. Silence for a while. Jiraiya suddenly spoke, Tsunade, what's going on? Thor just now. But Tsunade didn't answer for a long time. Instead, he looked at the wine and food on the table with his eyes blank. The look was bright and dark. Fly Thor, is that really Fly Thor? Fly Thor needs to be imprinted. But when Ron came back, she checked. Nothing at all. Is it really wrong? Jiraiya was silent for a moment. Turning his head and looking at Jing Ian in confusion. Shiny glanced at the silent Tsunade. He lowered his head and began to tell Jiraiya. The whole process they met Ron today. Just, staring at the food on the table. Especially the fruitcake in front of Tsunade. There is also the sweetness of fruit in the mouth and the rich milky aroma. But at the moment, Jing Ian felt extremely bitter. I felt a sense of sob inexplicably. I don't know when my eyes turned red. She obviously didn't eat for most of the day. I just ate 2 bites and was still hungry. But at this moment, facing a table of delicious food. But it feels hard to swallow. Until the silent narration is finished. Jiraiya comforted him, Tsunade, your suspicion is correct. If he has no questions, why not answer positively? He is likely to be a spy from other villages. And, when he disappeared, it was indeed a time-space ninjutsu. Seeing Tsunade still didn't reply. Jiraiya sighed inwardly. There was a hint of jealousy in his expression. I only met for less than a long time. Just in Tsunade's heart, did he leave such a deep impression? Tsunade, please go back to the village with me first. Tell me about this to the old man. Let the village investigate. Since he knows your intelligence, he must have been in the village. Someone must know him. Jiraiya's words made Tsunade come back to his senses. Good. Chapter 15. Marvel World. As soon as he came back, Ron fell into deep thought. If he had previously treated the Naruto world as the second world. Then now. The world of Naruto is in his eyes. It's equivalent to a copy in the game. Only in the world of Marvel with relatives and friends. That's what he should care about. The rest are just his channels for gaining power. No need to have so many concerns anymore. Trademark space is not just the person I killed, it can return to the original place. Trademark the same goes for everyone else. Trademark in this way, there are more options. Trademark the third generation of Thunder Shadows are about to die in battle. Trademark Yakang, who is about to be framed by Luo Shat. Trademark the most important thing is that Uchiha Madara, who has a near lifespan. Trademark the energy of space returning to the original origin. It has to do with decedent originally. Before you die, the more energy fog you will get after returning to the original state. Just like the previous mate day. Basically it's almost exhausted. He is obviously an existence close to the Supreme Ninja. After he absorbed it, he only had the strength of the lower ninja level. Therefore, Uchiha's body is exhausted and dry. Give him the least energy. If you can have the level of the Supreme Ninja, you will not exceed the level of the Shadow. However, it will completely perfect his Sharingan. The energy that Yekara should bring the most. Can be a first-class movie. And the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows died in exhaustion. The energy is not much, but it will give him a bug-like thunder escape. Etc. Ron suddenly felt aroused. A newly dead body is okay. What about the corpse that had been dead for a long time? For example, Hashirama Senju. Ron's eyes were faint. If it succeeds, then let me do the famous scene of carrying rice in Changman. Naruto's timeline is already extremely chaotic. Fortunately, he is in the real world now. Through the memories of more than 100 people. It also allowed him to roughly determine the time. Yunyan and Union have already started fighting. The death of the third generation of Thunder Shadow is almost the same. Luasha is still active in the battlefield with Konoha. Yekeng broke out the name of Burning Escape in the battlefield with Mizuno. The Battle of Shinryu Bikyao is after the death of the third generation of Lei Ying. Iway Hidden invades Konoha. The Hokumizu squad went to support. Uchiha Obito was taken away by Uchiha Madara. After fooling himself into successor. Uchiha Madara couldn't stand his aging body and committed suicide. However, during this period, there is one place that can be considered. Konoha. Damn it. I'm going to arrange a pair of twins for you tonight. Tony's lab seeing Ron come down, he looked worried. I couldn't help but make a joke. Ron couldn't help rolling his eyes. If he had such an older brother in his previous life. No matter what you say, you won't be a licking dog. All the beautiful model twins were arranged. What kind of woman is worth licking? Definitely, he licked it with his tongue, but he didn't mind. Turn around and pour a cup of coffee. The bitter taste made Ron's thoughts clearer. Feel sorry Ayuroimi plan failed Tony paused after hearing this. I didn't remember what Ron was talking about for a moment. You're talking about treating me. Ron nodded slightly. Tony smiled silently. I think something happened. That's all. It can be cured with current medical standards, but... Tony didn't continue. He just couldn't get over the obstacles in his heart. Post-war traumatic stress disorder. He knew that his condition was wrong. I also know what to do. But if mental illness can be dealt with correctly, it is not a mental illness. Ron he knew this, too. Medical level can be cured. But the problem is that there is a risk of failure. After seeing the alien army, I knew that there were strong people who set their sights on the earth. Tony suffered from severe firepower phobia. Simply put, it is just that I am afraid that I will die and the earth will not be able to withstand it. I have the mentality of putting pressure on myself. He shook his head and did not continue to discuss the topic. Where is Pepper? You didn't go to find her. She has a job to be busy. Tony looked indifferent. Other are guys coming every day. It is said that there is a man named Ordriza who asked to visit repeatedly to showcase what new products. I guess I want to attract Stark Group's investment. He has seen many such things. When he was in charge of the company, he ignored it. That is, the CEO was replaced by Pepper. This is why I have taken a lot of attention to this kind of thing. Ron nodded. He felt a little familiar with the name. But I can't remember who it is. Let J.A.R.V.I.S adjust the information later. Give me a cup of coffee, too. Tony handed the cup over. By the way, is there anything you want to ask me? Ron nodded. I'll get some steel armor. Tony took a sip of coffee. You have to wait for a day in the armor. I'm going to target people in that world and make some improvements for you. It will probably be better tomorrow morning. It would be fine if you don't know the information. Know the way people in another world fight. Tony's mind came up with ways to improve it immediately. Waterproof and fireproof are all basic. Upgrade artificial intelligence. More precise capture, the goal of high-speed movement. And track and strike. Fighting skills are also added to artificial intelligence. When Ron does not use armor. Armor can also serve as a support for powerful combat power. Wait, a lot of improvements. Chapter 16. He is worthy of being known as the Cursed by Wisdom. Ron sighed in his heart. By the way, I still need a battlesuit. No extra power is needed, just provide protection for me. With his current strength. Armor does not bring him improvement. Tony's current armor level. It's far from Hulk. And Ron's current strength. With all your strength, you can barely compare to hatred. After lying on the corpse for half a month, he opened the 7th gate of the 8-gate dungeon. Increased by dozens of times. It's not much weaker than hatred. After all, movies are movies. Limited funding. It's impossible to be like the real world. Fight and destroy a block directly. Tony nodded calmly. No problem, I'll give it to you tomorrow. It's a set of things similar to exoskeleton armor. For him, he made it casually. No need to use your brain. Just use the best materials. It is said that the military has developed what a Euro adamantium a Euro trademark? Find Nick Fury for a little while. He is a researcher. Is it reasonable to not give him the best metal? It seemed as if Ron had made up some decision. His expression calmed down a little. But he still looked a little depressed. Tony's eyes rolled. By the way, Stark has a banquet tonight. I have to change your armor. You are my brother, as the second largest shareholder of Stark, to attend. Ron frowned. Don't go. He is the lazy one to go to such occasions. As the saying goes, society is divided into classes. Looking up, it's all butts. Looking down, they were all smiling. Especially in the United States, where money is supreme. Stark's business card represents top trends. Although you don't have to look at your butt. But to attend this banquet. All they face were false smiling faces. It's upset to watch. And they have to deal with all kinds of chatter. If it is in his own name, he will be responsible for whoever he wants. If you don't want to pay attention, get out of here. But in Tony's name, that won't work. Although Tony doesn't care. Tony pushed him. Go, just because I'll give you some help. A euro okay. A euro looking at Ron's departure back. Tony suddenly spoke. A euro a.r.v.i.s. Notify happy to hold a banquet in Stark. A euro trademark S name. A euro. It's just 6 o'clock tonight. The banquet time is set to 12 hours. No, it's set to 56 hours, and it's over at 11 o'clock, and Ron said he doesn't like staying up late. Also, invite more beauties from all walks of life. There is no limit on students, doctors, flight attendants, young and beautiful women from various companies, etc., the more the better. Okay, sir. 6:30 p.m. Flushing, Queens. Where Stark held expos in the past. Today became the venue for a grand banquet. The banquet has begun for half an hour. Hearing Stark is going to hold a banquet. Celebrities from all walks of life who can come within half a day. It can be said that we arrived early. This kind of occasion is rare. Especially in such occasions. Maybe the people you meet are those you will never see once in your life. But this time, I have the opportunity to make him your noble person. Definitely, the greatest noble person is Stark. Stark just opens his mouth. Squirting saliva. It can make most of the people present eat a lot of oil. Why is this banquet so hasty? Maybe Stark is going to showcase some new products. It is said that Tony is not coming. I also heard that it was Ron Stark, the second largest shareholder of Stark. What is the second largest shareholder? It's not given to him by Tony. That's right, an Asian baby picked up hasn't arrived yet. He really thinks he is Stark's master. The speaker has just finished speaking. Just suddenly discovered. A large circle appeared around me. A 3-meter vacuum zone was formed. The person who didn't understand was still confused and asked the person next to him. After hearing the answer, they all looked at him like a fool. Remember him quickly. If you can't cooperate with him in the future, this person is brainless. Fake. I actually have a project cooperation with him. I will terminate the contract when I go back. No one is a fool. Even if Ron is not his biological child. Even a rich second generation who is busy waiting to die. But if Tony can give half of the shares, they can't offend them. Such a guy who speaks without saying anything. Must be a way. Otherwise, I don't Euro trademark T know when it will cause them trouble. If there is, it is not said that people are in danger. The same goes for those who listen. Another half an hour later. A silver Audi R8 sports car parked at the banquet door. This car belongs to Tony, so Ron didn't buy it. I had fantasy about driving a luxury car in my previous life. Whatever you want in this life will come after you. Instead, it's a little bit undesirable. It really corresponds to the saying, what you can't get is always in agitation. Ron hasn't gotten off the bus yet. The person at the door of the banquet recognized this as Tony's car. I knew the host of the banquet was here. Especially after seeing Ron, who was handsome and of extraordinary temperament, got off the car. He hurriedly came to ask about his well-being. Chapter 17. Say hello and take a photo. No signature is required. After all, he is not superhero Iron Man. Ron doesn't like this kind of occasion. After dealing with it casually. Eyes scan the crowd. Look for any characters you are familiar with. Come Marvel. I haven't left my house much yet. Stop talking about friends. Even the Avengers have never seen one. I glanced around and found nothing special. Just as I was about to retract my gaze. Suddenly, a strange gaze made Ron turn his head subconsciously. Quickly lock in the master of gaze. That was a beautiful girl. Young appearance. Blonde hair. And a graceful figure. This familiar appearance. Let Ron determine her identity. Gwen Stacy. In reality, she is far more beautiful than in film and television. It's about 70 or 88 points similar. The only difference is that her skin is more delicate. In a slightly immature temperament. But it has a charm beyond age. It's like it's made by 3D modeling. And at the moment, the two looked at each other. Gwen, who didn't expect that he would be discovered, instinctively wanted to avoid it. But I thought that I didn't do anything wrong. Looking up again. But Ron nodded and smiled at her. A hint of embarrassment flashed across Gwen's pretty face. A little overwhelmed. On the other side. Ron looked away but was in a good mood. This is the first character with a name and surname that he saw when he came to awake. Still a beautiful woman. A Euro trademark s a good start. A Euro trademark a Euro but, I really can't a Euro trademark T like this atmosphere. A Euro trademark a Euro next time, if Tony makes this request, he will refuse anything he says. A Euro trademark there were always a bunch of big men coming around. Ask him for his well-being. Is it diaphragm or not? Isn't it good to change to a beauty? Even if nothing happens. It looks pleasing to the eye. The most important point. Ron felt that he should be a bodyguard. In such an occasion, there is not even a person who can stop him. Just have a cold face. Released a little breath. When people saw it, they felt inexplicably frightened and didn't want to get close. This way. The people surrounding Ron were finally gone. So Ron picked up a glass of champagne. Looking for a goal. Scan the mental power at will. Then he determined Gwen's location. When he looked at Gwen, Ron clearly noticed that Gwen also looked at him. Such a keen perception power. Ron blinked. Is it you? Spider-Woman? Immediately, he walked towards Gwen. Just before he walked to Gwen, another familiar person stood next to Gwen one step ahead. This lady. Doctor Strange. Ron called out the other party's identity. I think at your age, I can talk to Miss Stacy's father, Director George Stacy. The implication is, you have to have some face. They are all the ages to be someone else's father. He also approached the little girl. I'm not afraid that my dad will arrest you. Ron didn't expect to see Stephen Strange. In my memory, this guy even saw him. After all, the other party is a top neurosurgeon. He was diagnosed with Ron. The cause of the diagnosis is in the brain nerves. If you want to treat it, you need surgery. Well, craniotomy. Simply put, it is, stupid, no help, let's start a craniotomy. NM. I heard it at that time. Tony almost broke him directly. Tony didn't make up his mind to heal the hole in his chest. What's more, it's a craniotomy for Ron. If there is a little risk, people will be gone. It is precisely because of this memory. Ron is so unceremonious. Grass. Want to have a craniotomy for me? Hwatwa wanted to have a skull for Cao. They were almost cut by Cao. You are waiting for you to get into a car accident and your hands are paralyzed. Let me see how I laugh at you. Strange obviously recognizes Ron as well. He looked at Ron in surprise. You actually recovered? What a medical miracle. I have time to come to my hospital and I'll do a checkup for you. Ron looked dark. Doctor Strange. It's better to be careful if you have time to care about others. You probably drove here, right? Don't drink alcohol when driving, otherwise it will be easy to get distracted. If something happens, it's a loss to the medical community. Strange obviously only heard the last sentence. He nodded proudly. I didn't expect that Mr. Ron Stark, who had just woken up, had heard of me. Don't worry, as the top neurosurgeon. At any time, you won't be distracted. My hands are much more stable than Iron Man with electric welding. Run to Stark's banquet. Come and despise Tony Stark? Grass. This makes you pretend. Ron really wants to do something about his sports car. Seeing that there was a car accident, he still couldn't pretend. For such guys who are immersed in their own world. Ron simply ignored it. Bypass him and walked to Gwen. Gwen also learned about their identities from their conversation. It turns out that he is the legend. Tony Stark half-brother. It was a silly thing, dementia. Unexpectedly, it would be fine. And it's so handsome. Chapter 18. Hello, my name is Gwen. Oh, yes, do you know me? Gwen was just about to introduce herself. Suddenly I remembered that Ron had just said her name. Ron lifted the champagne. No, I just heard of it. Chief Stacy has a daughter, she's very beautiful. But I haven't seen it with my own eyes. A is the first official meeting. A introduce yourself, Ron Stark. Well, you're right. Gwen's pretty face was smiling. My name is Gwen Stacy. The preliminary understanding lays the foundation for what we will understand next. And start talking. Gwen was more surprised. He knows a lot. Even topics among girls. Ron can actually chat with her happily. Ron, do you understand what the value of a professional dog licking is? As a dog licking, you not only have to know how to lick, but also have to feel comfortable. This will lead to a day where everything will be available. Or just FK it. Grass. Then when will lubricate? FG licking, so stiff. Which goddess can like it? So, how can you make the goddess feel comfortable? It's also a science. Be sure to cater to the other party. To cater to the other party, you must be knowledgeable. Whether it is from life to work. Even makeup, taking photos, traveling, and food. Wait, you need to understand. Have a pleasant conversation. Only then will the goddess be willing to pay attention to you. Otherwise, you have no money and are not handsome. The mouth is not sweet yet. Why should the goddess talk to you? Definitely, if it is replaced by a tall, rich, and handsome man. There is both money and beauty. Then speaking is a pleasant one, which is an extra bonus. Just like Ron at the moment. Even if it was the first time we met. But Gwen felt like he had met too late. Ron doesn't look like the legendary dementia for 20 years at all. More like a learned and talented hermit who does not show off his own flamboyance. Which one has been dementia for more than 20 years? I know so much when I wake up. Just look at Steven beside you will know. He was disdainful of Ron before. Now he is learning frame by frame. Although he is also very rich. And change women casually. It's no less than Tony Stark. But when you meet a woman who doesn't care about money. It is also something he can't find. Ron at the moment. It has completely refreshed his views on women. So this is possible to deal with women? It turns out that there are so many knowledge and skills in makeup, food, and taking photos. Ron smiled. Have a pleasant conversation with Gwen. Pretend to be stiff. He moved his arms inadvertently. I touched the cup on the stage inadvertently. The cup slides down. Ron looked at it subconsciously. Yu Guang stared at Gwen. Gwen's eyes were still looking at him. But the body bent instinctively. The arms fluttered naturally and gracefully. She grabbed the cup in her hand. This series of actions. Let Ron determine what was in his mind. This Gwen is indeed a golden legend. No wonder, the closer she got, the more she realized that her skin was so tight. No flaws. It's far from comparable to a beautiful woman. Ron's mouth raised slightly, and he looked amazed. Wow Gwen, you're reacting so quickly. Sorry, I've been standing for a long time just now and didn't notice it. Fortunately, you are there. Gwen's pretty face was filled with a happy smile. It doesn't matter. It's really fun chatting with you, Ron. Wow, I didn't even notice it, so long has passed. She looked at the time. The surprised little mouth opened slightly. No wonder Ron is feeling uncomfortable. The two actually chatted for more than an hour. Ron smiled and reached for the cup. The two of them touched their fingers inadvertently. He looked at Gwen. But Gwen was also watching him. His little face turned slightly red, but his eyes did not dodge. Ron took the cup. I also think I'm happy to chat with Gwen. Strange, oh. Learned and learned. Ron put down the cup casually. Suddenly, his eyes moved slightly. He glanced at the middle-aged man who was walking by him hurriedly. The man is strong. Height is at least 190. With one head in Harry Potter, Professor Snape's hairstyle is the same. His face was slightly pale. His eyebrows were slightly frowned. Eyes constantly check around. It seems to be looking for something. Ron, do you know him? Gwen also noticed the other party. Ron shook his head, it feels familiar. Gwen sniffed his little nose gently. He frowned immediately. He has injuries and seems to be in trouble. Ron pretended to be stunned. How do you know? Ah. Gwen blinked his big eyes and quickly explained. You know, I'm a biochemistry student and a minor in medicine. So, what you see is, yes, it's what you see. If she said she smelled it. That must not scare away Ron. Ron gently leaned to her right ear. Do you know? What? Feel the burning breath in my ears. Gwen's skin was tight, and she felt the entire right half numbness. Ron, when people are going to lie but are not ready. Will react the same way you do. A constantly stressed, attempting to convince others. Gwen was shocked. Turning his head to look at Ron. I want to explain and refute it. Think about Ron's words. She suddenly asked, then do you believe me? Chapter 19. Believe. Ron's answer. Within Gwen's expectations. But it still made her feel happy. Suddenly, her face changed. She quickly looked down at her arm. The fair and hairless skin on it is tight. Ron, there is danger. He hurriedly looked up and looked for the man just now. Instinct tells her. The danger was brought by that man. But wait for her to look around. The person has long disappeared. And at this time, Ron is in the crowd. I saw several people wearing black suits. There is a bulging waist. A solemn expression. Looking around. Combined with the dress of these people. A movie suddenly popped up in Ron's mind. Hurry up and kill quickly. Isn't a Euro trademark T the injured man just now John Wick? Thinking of this. A cold light flashed in Ron's eyes. Mainland Hotel, a killer organization. Dare to have someone bring a gun to the banquet held by Stark Group? At this time, he saw those people pressing their hands on their ears. He looked like he listened with his ears. Apparently there are built-in headphones. After a few seconds, the few people showed joy. Turn around and walk quickly towards this side. Gwen looked at them with a vigilant look. She was in them, and perception was in danger. Passing by Ron. Ron suddenly reached out and stopped them. Who told you to go to the Stark banquet? Continental Hotel. Suddenly stopped. I heard a familiar name again. Several people subconsciously touched their waists. Who are you? Ron's expression turned cold. The pupils instantly turned red. Sharingan emerged. Scarlet eyes looked straight into each other. It was reflected in the pupils of several people. The powerful mental power directly controlled several people. Gwen's eyes widened. Looking at Ron in shock. Ron is now facing his back. She couldn't see Ron's eyes. But spider telepathy will never be wrong. The threat Ron just brought to her. It's simply unprecedented. That feeling, like, if Ron was going to attack her, she could only escape. This is also related to her failure to tap into her own potential. You should know that Spider-Man is called Little Hulk. The strength is absolutely not bad. Even if Gwen is not Peter Parker. As a woman, she is slightly inferior in strength. But it won't be much different. Ron said in a deep voice to the few people, "Come with me." After saying that, he turned around and left. The men in black remained silent. "Follow me obediently. Gwen, you can go and have something to do first, I'll deal with some things." Passing by Gwen, Ron chuckled and reminded him. "Okay, go and do it." Gwen nodded obediently. He looked at Ron's eyes curiously. What beautiful eyes. So, is Ron also a super abilityist? His super ability is the eyes? Wow. Then don't a Euro trademark T we have more common topics? Thinking of the pleasant scenes of getting along with Ron before. Gwen's mind was full of scenes of fighting criminals with Ron in the future. A Euro etc. Wouldn't that mean that my own cover-up just now, is so embarrassing? Okay. Stinky Ron. You know everything clearly. But I pretended not to know and joked about me. Wait for you to finish the matter. Ron didn't know what Gwen was thinking. Now. He was holding a bunch of black suits and stopped John Wick. John Wick's heart tightened at first. It can be immediately. He saw Ron's appearance clearly. Put down the fighting posture. He is not those crazy killers. He had planned to enter Stark's banquet. Santino holds the Blood Oath badge. Ask him to help kill Santino's sister. However, after he successfully completed the task, Santino actually tried to kill him to silence him. Santino also destroyed his home. New hatreds and old hatreds add up. He disregarded the rules of mainland hotels. In the hotel, Santino was shot and killed. This also began his escape. But there are no weapons. Only a few friends are willing to help. Faced with the pursuit of the mainland hotel, he was still seriously injured. There is no way to avoid it. He heard that Stark was holding a banquet. All over the world. No one dares not to give Stark face. He also values a euro this. He tried to get out of the banquet. But unexpectedly, the killer of mainland hotels. To this extent. Dare to sneak into the banquet with guns. He realized that something was wrong. Don't want to mess with Stark. Just plan to leave secretly. However, it was blocked by Ron. He is not those crazy killers. Even Ron couldn't recognize it. Before he came, he did his homework. After listening to John Wick's narrative, Ron's eyes lit up suddenly. Hey? Don't a Euro trademark T you just miss a bodyguard? John Wick, known by the killer world as a Euro Knight Demona Euro trademark. The combat power can be said to be at the peak of ordinary people. This is perfect. Keep him by yourself. As a condition, he acted as a bodyguard for himself. Is it reasonable? What? Not willing? Okay, no invitation was received. To avoid the enemy, sneak into the banquet. It also led to the killer bringing guns to the banquet. Almost caused a major panic. Well, let's kill it. Chapter 20. Wood leaves. Naruto office. Konoha F4, listening to Jiraiya's narration. From time to time, he looked at Tsunade. A Euro Aaron Stark, a Euro I've never heard of this person. Mito Minion shook his head and said in a deep voice. Xiao Chun shook her head as well. Can make Jiraiya tell someone who is strong. The worst is the ninja. Theirs will all have an impression. But obviously, they had never seen Ron. Tsunade, are you sure he is not using the Flying Thor technique? Shimura Danzo narrowed his one eye and looked at Tsunade. Gloomy temperament. Sarutobi Hinata interrupted him. A Euro it doesn't a Euro trademark T matter a Euro whether it is a Flying Thor technique or not, it is undoubtedly a time and space ninjutsu. What matters is how he knows about Tsunade's phobia. Jiraiya nodded. That's right. No one dares to target Tsunade when she is away from the village, because he is afraid of being afraid of it because he is a top secret and no one knows it. And now that an outsider knows it, it may lead to exposure. Speaking of this, he looked at Tsunade. From today, Tsunade can no longer leave the village. That's right, Tsunade can't leave the village anymore. Tsunade, who didn't even resist ability, faced with blood. It's a small matter to die. It will cause great trouble to drag the village. Sarutobi Hinata took a breath of cigarette. The thick smoke covered his face. The next second, he decided. I will ask Enbu to search this person. During this period, Tsunade was in the village and was not allowed to go out. Tsunade also did not object. Her current performance is completely inconsistent with her personality. Since returning, she only speaks very little, repressing an impatient temper. At the moment after hearing Sarutobi Hinako's decision, he even stood up silently. Walk out of the Naruto office with Shizuan. Silent and tangled. Sir Tsunade, Ron. Ron he is not a bad guy. Just in the office. She is not qualified to interrupt. If she hadn't been the case, she would have been an insider. No one is qualified to participate in this meeting. She looked back at the office door. No one came out except them. Obviously, we are still discussing how to target Ron. Tsunade replied irritably, how do I know who he is? As soon as we met, we said we wanted to get my mother to the bed. She is very familiar with her affairs. She also mistakenly thought that she could fly Thor. Who wouldn't guess that he was Sarutobi Hina's disciple? Isn't it just that I suddenly realized that I guessed wrong? Do you question his identity? He said it directly. He's even tantrum. Who has no temper? Just he has a temper. That's what she thinks now. But she didn't think. What was the scene at that time? She had no intention of listening to Ron's explanation. No matter what Ron would say. She will definitely be with Jiraiya. Arrest Ron first. Bring back the leaves. And after bringing back Konoha. With her personality, she is definitely not the opponent of Sarutobi Hidozaku. In the end, Ron is likely to fall into the hands of 4 people. The result can be imagined. And Ron traveled through time. How could it be possible to accept that this happened? So, when she questioned. The ending is destined. The more I thought about it, the more annoyed he became. He picked up the wine pot and took a bite. Ahem. What a strong wine. Lie, but he was comfortable all over. Spicy but endless aftertaste. Tsunade couldn't help but cough a few times. Silent, where did you buy this wine? Buy more next time. Sir Tsunade, this wine, is Ron's a euro. Tsunade raised her hand irritably. The wine pot is going to be smashed. But hesitation silently withdrew his hand after a while. TMT. Ron. Ron. Didn't I just question you? As for it. Wait for me to find you, arrest you, lock you up and beat you up every day. Thinking of Ron disappearing. That lonely and disappointed look. Tsunade couldn't help but scold him irritably. Inside the Naruto office. Listen to Tsunade's voice outside. Shimura Danzo looked at Sarutobi Hinasen indifferently. Is there anything else? I'll go back if it's okay. There are still a lot of things waiting for him at the route. The body that was agreed to be prepared for Orochimaru. He was also snatched away by an iron-armored man. It also exposed the stolen body of people from the same village at the route. He's angry when he thinks about it. Definitely, the question about the Uchiha clan. It was just a small trouble, and he didn't take it seriously. Uchiha? I will kill you sooner or later. Pull your eyes off and press yourself. About Danzang. Sarutobi Hirasen's heart is well aware of. Danzang, let your roots look for Ron Stark together. I'm not sure how much Konoha's secret he knows. It's a big threat to Konoha. As he said that, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Whether Tsunade agrees or not. Ron Stark will die. Good. Shimura Danzo was silent for a moment. Or should I do it? There are fewer people, so I have to add tasks. It is a wartime, so it is hard to ask Sarutobi Hinata for anyone. Wait until the war is over. You must be more people at the route. Sarutobi Hinazo made a decision. Danzo didn't object. I had no objection to Xiaoharu and Mito Minion. It will not affect their interests. As for Jiraiya. It was just a faint sigh. He is Konoha's loyalty. For Konoha, even Tsunade can kill. What about other people? Chapter 21. Queens, Flushing. At the Stark banquet. Backstage. Ron asked clearly that the other party was indeed a descendant from a mainland hotel. Flames instantly appeared in his hand. Form a flame knife. Stroke through the necks of several black suits. It is obviously a flame, but it is extremely sharp. While cutting the necks of several people. The blood vessels were burned. No drop of blood splashed out. Then, Ron waved his hand. Several bodies disappeared. John Wick, who witnessed all this, was stunned. Facing Ron's plain gaze. John Wick's heart tightened. Tony Stark is Iron Man. This is known to everyone in the world. But Iron Man's younger brother is a superb. But no wind came out. Now, I know. Mad fug. This is endless. The pursuit of the building and hotel was so difficult to escape. Change to the extraordinary. No. No need to chase. He has to die now. Just when John Wick was feeling depressed. Ron's plain voice came into his ears. A John Wick A I can solve the threat of mainland hotels for you A but, from today. You are mine, drive me and act as a bodyguard. John Wick was stunned at first. Half of his hips tightened. Then he was overjoyed. But in the end, I was very confused. A Ron Stark A although I am famous in the killer world, I am just an ordinary person. Ron's expression remained unchanged. If you have the chance, I will let you go to extraordinary. Step into extraordinary. John Wick's eyes widened. This, really possible? Okay, it's done. So fast. Men can't be described as quick. How do you describe it? Tall, mighty, hard. Hey. Gwen looked disgusted. She hasn't experienced those things. But all the classmates around me have never experienced it. Among them, Mary Jane once told her. Men like to say that they are big, fierce, and hard. Unexpectedly, Ron was the same. Man. It's really boring. Gwen rolled his eyes. By the way, where are those people just now? Ron blinked. A definitely sent them all away A as for which one to send it away? Anyway, you just say, have you sent it away? Gwen didn't understand what he meant. Still being upset for him. The little face was filled with anger. I should call my dad. Let him come and arrest all these people. So bold, you dare to carry weapons in such places. Ha ha ha. Ron laughed. If you call Director Stacy, I'm afraid he will arrest me first after he comes. Gwen's mouth opened slightly, her face was puzzled. Ah. Why should I catch you? He raised his eyes subconsciously. Notice Ron's teasing eyes. Suddenly stunned. I immediately understood what Ron meant. If we are just friends, why should my dad target you, just a friend? Yes, ahhhh. Gwen, who was answering with a smile, suddenly his mouth was blocked. His eyes widened and he looked at Ron, who was so close. Diffusing the pupil. The whole person was stunned for a moment. His hands wanted to push Ron away. But he instinctively restrains it. However, when she realized that the occasion was wrong here. I've lost all my strength. The eyes gradually became blurred. This is what Mary Jane said, is that feeling of heartwarming? In just a few seconds. In Gwen's feeling. But it seemed as long as a few hours passed. Ron stood up straight. He looked at Gwen with a smile. What about now? Suddenly separated. Gwen hasn't come back to his senses yet. With his crystal clear tongue, he subconsciously licked his cherry lips. Here, Ron. My pretty face blushed in an instant. He glared at Ron in a pretty look. Now? It's time to arrest you now. Big rogue. Ron looked up at the surroundings. Boring party. Boring crowd. Everyone adds up, eat a Euro trademark s not as interesting as Gwen alone. This banquet is boring. Let's go out and have a walk. After saying that, he pulled Gwen toward the banquet hall. Gwen just stared at the hands holding each other in a daze. Forgot to break free for a moment. Along the way, countless people greeted him. Ron ignored it all. Until the banquet hall was out. Being blown by the wind. Gwen, who woke up, quickly withdrew his hand. See how skilled you were just now. You must be a scumbag. Just a few seconds. Gwen, this young man, has a lot of experience. Ron chuckled. What a scumbag, I'm just fraternity. The twins a while ago didn't count. There are many beautiful female characters in the world of Marvel. Don't say that you love each other when you meet. But everything is too big and it's all here. Under ability license. I have to give some miserable women a stable home, right? Chapter 22. It took a less pleasant night with the temperature. Mainly, I just walked around 2 blocks. The patrol director George Stacy met. The result can be imagined. The eyes are opposite. The murderous aura permeates. Under the hideous expression of the director's father-in-law. Ron smiled and made an appointment with Gwen for a good time. Then he said hello and turned around and left. A euro. George watched Ron leave. Gwen looked reluctant. If you are angry, you want a Euro trademark T, get a single shot. Why don't you get in the car quickly? Oh. After Gwen got on the car. George started the fire. Who is he? What did he do? When did you meet him? A Euro Aaron Stark, Iron Man Tanya Euro trademark S younger brother, I just met today. A Euro George, madfuck. That playboy's younger brother. Just met today. Just as I met, I was about to earn his little cabbage away. He was about to say something. Suddenly I caught a glimpse of Gwen fiddling with her cell phone. Crackly typing. At the same time, there was a smile on his face. He still didn't understand who he was contacting. His face suddenly turned dark. When it comes to my mouth, I can't say anything. On the other hand, make an appointment with Gwen. I go to see her whenever I have time. Ron then contacted John Wick. Let him find Happy. Happy will arrange him. For John Wick, he can't use it now. From tomorrow, he will be in the world of Naruto. Until the purpose is achieved. Now, he can only compete with hatred if he fights desperately. For this world of chaos everywhere. Too weak. I haven't seen Ron with my own eyes the power of hating. Who knows? Even if he fights hard, he can't compare to hatred. Tony Stark Labs. How about it? I got adamantium in purpose. All the armor you give you is upgraded overnight. Unless it's a nuclear bomb hitting the front, there will be nothing wrong. Tony introduced to Ron with a proud look on his face. That way, it was like waiting for Ron's praise. Ron definitely won't be stingy either. Awesome. I'm worthy of being Iron Man. This armor is almost invincible in the Naruto world. That definitely. Hear Ron's praise. The smile on Tony's face was even better. But Ron's voice changed. But, the metal material is still a bit bad. Tony glared at him. This is the whole body adamantium. The material cost of this armor alone is over 1 billion. It's the most expensive one he has built. Ron spoke lightly. A euro I know, in Africa, there is a country called Wakanda. A euro they have a vibranium vein. A euro vibranium inside is tens of thousands of tons. A euro Tony's face changed. What you said is true. He didn't ask how Ron knew. His younger brother should have his own secret. Real. Ron nodded slightly. A euro and, they have built the vibranium kingdom. A euro from weapons to buildings, fighter jets, everything joins vibranium. A euro Tony looked solemn. How could he not know vibranium? His father gave the shield to Captain America, which was created by vibranium. It can be said that no one can destroy it. Even Thor holding Mjolnir. But even that shield is not made by vibranium. In a country, there are vibranium veins. No one in the world knows it. It's too deep to hide. A euro a.r.v.i.s, Bring out Wakanda Euro trademark S intelligence A Euro with J.A.R.V.I.S. The information was drawn out. Tony finished reading it quickly. There was doubt on his face. A Euro Ion of the poorest countries, A Euro do you use a spear? I'm wearing ordinary armor, cloak. I still need assistance from countries around the world. Are you sure it's Wakanda? Vibranium is 1 gram, the market price is $10,000. There is price but no market. The black market has even reached 100,000. Will such a country be poor? But Ron won't lie to him. That is to say, if this is the case? Are you pretending to be poor? It's also pretending that everyone can't find out? Ron said lightly, A Euro in the periphery of Wakanda, there is a layer of energy shield A Euro. The shield has both a defensive effect and a simulated effect. Covered what Wakanda really looks like A Euro. It looks the same as the surroundings on the outside A Euro. Wakanda Black Panther will appear sooner or later. Become superhero and join the Avengers. But it's too late in terms of time. If Tony had already obtained Wakanda's technology. I can't even imagine it. Wait until Thanos calls. How much will his armor be updated? You should know that the biggest factor limiting the development of science and technology. It's energy and materials. And Tony is no shortage of energy. If there were enough vibranium, plus adamantium. He had no doubt that Tony could create a magical tool. Use the body of a mortal to create a magical artifact, steel armor. Just like Odin's destroyer armor. By then, he will be truly immortal body, comparable to the gods. It was shocking to think about it. Chapter 23. At night. Konoha village. Uchiha clan land. A figure easily passed through the blockade. Following the Uchiha tribe, I entered Konoha. The figure was wearing a black robe. Covered the golden close-fitting armor inside. It's Ron. There is no way, Tony likes gold and red. If he hadn't stopped him again and again. There is more than one golden color on it. He could only wear a black robe to cover it. Ron has the memories of dozens of Uchiha people. One of them is the Shangnan. It can be said that entering the Uchiha clan is like going home. Hidden body all the way. Quickly leave the Uchiha clan territory. Go straight to Konoha's cemetery. Although there is no place for the burial of Hashimara Senju in the original work. Konoha's ninja memory. But he knew everything clearly. Just above the cemetery. Under a tombstone depicting the Naruto logo. Not only Senju Hashirama. Senju Tobirama, also buried here. Afterwards, Konoha redeems Senju Tobima's body. Ron's target is the corpse of both of them. He was just a gamble. Not sure whether the body of Senju Hashirama is still there. After all, Shimura Danzo had already started researching it. Only a person has much meat. It is probably cut off by Shimura Danzo. Later, the materials used by Orochimaru were all cloned. But Ron bet, his bones are still there. As long as the bones are still there. That's enough. During the war, the atmosphere in the whole village was tense. There were almost no people out of the cemetery. Ron comes to the cemetery. Go straight to the top, 2 tombstones with the Naruto logo. With the thought moving, 2 tombstones were put into space. The grave pit below is exposed. Dig quickly. When 2 incomplete corpses. Appearing in front of Ron. Joy appeared in his eyes. The bet was right. Same as he thought. The flesh and blood are not there, but the bones are still there. Well, including Senju Tobirama. He is worthy of being the apprentice of Tobira Senju. So cruel. His master's body is also very fraught. Who are you? Suddenly, a loud shout rang out. A figure jumped from a distance with a whistling sound. A punch was blown out, as if smashing everything. Tsunade. Hearing a familiar voice, a name emerged in Ron's mind. His expression remained unchanged, and his body was surrounded by green energy. 8 Gate Dunjia 5th Gate. Doman, open. Turn around and punch. Opposite Tsunade's fist. 2 punches collided. The wave of air brought uplifted the hood on Ron's head. Ron. Looking at the young and handsome face in front of me. Tsunade's pupil shrank. It's because it's in a cemetery. No use of all efforts. At this moment, he was even more shocked and knocked out by Ron. Throw dozens of meters away. Tsunade turned around and landed and stood firm. No doubt about being surprised by Ron's strength. She asked as she looked at the dugout tomb. Ron, what are you doing? That's the tomb of my grandfather and second grandfather. Ron chuckled, so what? What does it have to do with me? You. Tsunade's breathing stagnated. Ron leaned over and pulled out the body. Besides, are these 2 your grandfather and second grandfather? Watching Ron's disrespectful behavior. Tsunade was about to stop it. But then, I was stunned. The eldest grandfather and the second grandfather were only bones left? What about the flesh and blood on the body? The Thousand Hands clan has strong vitality. Especially Senju Hashimara and Senju Tobirama. Even if it's dead. The flesh and blood will not rot easily. The heads of the 2 were still intact without looking at them. But what about meat? Seeing Tsunade lost his mind. Ron put 2 corpses into the space casually. One is the 1st generation of Naruto, the other is the 3rd generation of Naruto, and the 2nd generation of Naruto. After death, there are still people in Konoha who dare to touch their bodies. Tisk tisk tisk, it's worthy of Konoha. Watching after entering the space. The 2 corpses quickly turned into white mist. Ron smiled with satisfaction. The other corpses were useless to him. These 2 corpses are enough. At this time, I saw countless figures rushing towards the cemetery on the roof. Tsunade's chakra burst. Alarmed the ninja inside Konoha. 2 of them are the fastest. One was wearing the Naruto Michigan robe, Sarutobi Hinata. One with white hair, it's a natural way. Ron recognized the 2. Jiraiya also recognized Ron. Aaron Stark, after landing, I looked at 2 big pits. Sarutobi Hinako's face changed drastically. You're Ron Stark. Where are the bodies of the first generation of Naruto and the second generation of Naruto? Others don't Euro trademark T no, don't Euro trademark T he no? Those 2 corpses must not be seen. When questioning, he glanced at Tsunade without hesitation. Ron spread his hands. It's gone. I've helped you destroy the body, and you won't thank me yet. Sarutobi Hinazo was stunned. What are you talking nonsense? Why don't you hand over the bodies of the 2 adults quickly? Sarutobi Hinasan is still threatening Ron. But he didn't see it. Tsunade's face on the side became even more ugly. Kill the corpse for Sarutobi hero? Did the 2 corpses look like that made by the old man? How is that possible? Chapter 24. I've said it all. Help you destroy the corpse and traces. If you don't thank me, forget it, but you still threaten me. You think I'm easy to bully? Ron waved his hand. The steel armor appeared around. Controlled by intelligent system. Always ready to attack. Sarutobi Hinata looked at the steel armor in confusion. I feel a little familiar. I seem to have heard of this thing somewhere. Iron-armored man? His narrowed eyes widened slightly. Just as I was about to speak, I saw this time. Tsunade suddenly spoke. Boy, do you know what happened to my grandfather's body? Anger was obviously suppressed in the voice. Just wait for Ron to give the answer. Ron laughed. No. Sarutobi Hinako's face was slightly cold. But Ron said, but why should I tell you? Looking at Tsunade, he still had to ask. Sarutobi Hira's mouth cut off. No need to ask. Catch him first and take back the bodies of the 2 adults. After saying that, he rushed up first. Catch him? No, kill him. Things about human experiments can be exposed. But definitely not now. Fire escapee fire dragon flame bomb. A violent fire dragon. Danced and pounced on Ron. This is a powerful fire escape ninjutsu. As long as you hit it, you can instantly turn people into ashes. The area is so large that it is difficult to hide. Ron doesn't need to hide. Just a thought move. It disappears instantly and appears in space. The flames turn the surrounding ground into scorched earth. After entering the space, mist pours in. While he absorbed the fog. Looking outside, the battle between the iron armor and Sarutobi Hinashen. The flames pounced on the armor. No effect at all. There was still a cold light flashing. Raising his palm, several micro-missiles flew out. A Euro rumbling. A Euro trademark 1 big pit. Appeared at the place where Sarutobi Hizawa is. If it weren't for Sarutobi Hirazen's quick dodging. That moment just now, he would become minced meat. Sarutobi Hinako with an ugly face bit her finger. Quickly pinched the print. Spiritual Arta Ape King Ape Demon. However, he had just released his psychic technique. The steel armor is just around the corner. Sarutobi Hinashen had only time to turn sideways. He punched him. Huge amounts of strength. There was only a click sound. Sarutobi Hitomi's shoulders were broken. He squirted out a mouthful of blood. If it hits the head with a punch. That moment just now, he could smash his head. Ape Demon, solve it. At this time, he no longer cared about the cemetery. A man with at least a shadow level strength. If not solved, Konoha will be in great danger. At the moment Tsunade saw blood. He collapsed to the ground in horror. Jiraiya didn't care about comforting Tsunade. Use spiritual skills to summon the big toad. He rushed up too. The steel armor after upgrading. Not only improves firepower, defense. Tony also entered the fighting skills. It also allowed J.A.R.V.I.S to design a set of combat skills for ninja skills. Although the steel armor is a weak intelligent system. Fighting is rigid. But the extremely powerful defense makes up for it all. When Shimura Danzo arrived, Orochimaru and others arrived. The battlefield scene. It is a golden and red steel armor that presses Sarutobi Hinako and Jiraiya to fight. Shimura Danzo recognized the armor at a glance. Isna Euro trademark T at the guy who snatched his experimental materials. Opening your mouth means a wind escape. No harm was caused. But he blew the fist of the steel armor. Orochimaru also performed ninjutsu. Control countless giant snakes and wrap them in steel armor. But the next second. Countless sharp blades popped up on the armor. Twist your body gently. Just cut the giant snake into several segments. In the space. Ron absorbed the fog. A Euro host, Ron Stark. A Euro combat power, 200, average combat power of ordinary people 1, A Euro ability, 8 Gate Dungia, Sharingan, Manliotoscopy Pseudo, Thousand-handed Physician, Immortal Body, various void techniques. A Euro traveling the world, 1 A Euro note, you can collect the killed enemies into space, A Euro. It's worthy of being Senju Hashirama. Only 2 dead bones are left, and the remaining energy is less than 1% of the time it was in its heyday. It can actually increase my combat power by 40 points. You know, Ron's current combat power is 40 points. Not comparable before. If he was still an ordinary person, I'm afraid he can directly achieve Supreme Ninja. Among them, Senju Hashirama's contributions account for 3/4. Ron exits the space. Instead of participating in the battle, I came to Tsunade. Looking at Tsunade, who couldn't help but tremble. He squatted down. Tsunade's dull eyes were at the moment of seeing Ron. Magically came back to his senses. "Oh, Ron. What are you going to do?" Ron raised his hand and brushed her face. "I never wanted to do anything. At first I just wanted to make friends with you. Then you, why are you?" Tsunade's eyes trembled and she didn't dare to look at the battlefield. Ron chuckled, "I said, if you want to blame yourself. Hands down the collarbone." He kneaded hard. "So, now you don't deserve to be my friend." Tsunade frowned with pain. He looked up at the battlefield. "I can have more armor like that. Do you think Konoha can block it?" Watching Tsunade's changing expression, Ron looked down at her. "Tsunade, you don't want to watch Konoha being destroyed, do you?" Chapter 25. I didn't want to hurt you. One steel warrior Konoha is difficult to deal with. And more? Tsunade looked at Ron pleadedly. "Strongly support your body." He was breathing violently. Ron enjoyed the beautiful scenery that was rising and falling in front of him. His eyes were not shaken at all. It's too late. As a time traveler, it is also a time traveler who can advance, attack, retreat and defend. He became a Homelander without coming up. The moral sense in my heart is already very strong. Have steel armor. There is also Tony Stark support. There is more space. You can help him become stronger anytime, anywhere. He can kill in this world. Absorbs the energy of countless corpses. Beyond Otsutsuki. Become the god of ninja world. God who does whatever he wants. For any time traveler, safety is always the most important thing. Tsunade's behavior has already touched the bottom line. Ape Demon. Just then, a roar came from Sarutobi Hinata. The ape demon suddenly pinched the steel armor with both hands. The energy cannon on the chest of the steel armor lit up. He hit the ape demon's chest with one shot. A big hole penetrates the ape demon. Tsunade trembled all over. But I didn't dare to turn around and look. Ron whispered to broadcast for her. "Well, that big monkey was hit with a big hole in his chest. If you go and treat it now, you should be able to save it." "Are you going?" "I won't stop you." Tsunade's body trembled. Listening to Ron's voice, the picture emerged in his mind. But, the scarlet red that was originally feared. There are gradually changes. The blood flowing in the ape demon's chest turned into Ron's head strangely. He was smiling and looking at her through the hole. Tsunade's eyes were extremely frightened. He collapsed weakly on Ron. "Close your eyes and dare not look around." I looked at the feeling of extreme horror. Ron suddenly discovered. My behavior is like a big villain. From an objective perspective, Tsunade is not a bad guy. Most people are not bad either. But now there is no objective angle. In Ron's perspective, these people are enemies. If he doesn't do anything, Konoha's people will not let him go. So, it is a humble explanation. Still resist. Is there any choice? Suddenly, Ron's expression moved. He reached out to hold Tsunade. He jumped and disappeared from the spot. I saw, in place. 1.5 houses are generally huge amounts of snake heads. Crawling out from the ground, opening its mouth wide. If it weren't for him reacting. Just now I was swallowed in one bite. Orochimaru licked the corner of his mouth of pity. If I succeeded just now. Not only can you catch Ron, but you can also get Tsunade's flesh and blood. Just accidentally get a piece off her. It's enough for experimentation. Ron looked at Konoha ninja coming up around him. And countless kinds of escape techniques. Stamp your feet on the ground. For a moment, all the ninjas around them were stunned. In front of them, under Ron's feet, a huge amounts of wooden man rose up from the ground. Countless escape techniques hit on it. A burst of wood chips flew. The wooden man waved his palms. Slap all the ninjas that pounced on you away. Several ninjas at the root and shady. He was shot to death directly. Ron put it into the space casually. Most of the roots and dark parts present are the upper ninjas. The Seminin and the Chunin have no effect on Ron. But the Supreme Ninja must not be wasted. Mew, would escape? It's fake. It must be fake. How could anyone use the first generation of adults would escape? Huge amounts of movement, with the exclamations around you, the battle made Sarutobi Hinesan and Jiraiya feel shocked. Subconsciously sweep away with the afterglow. That huge wooden man. The cast shadows obscured the large battlefield. The ground within a radius of 100 meters was full of cracks. It turned out to be a wood escape. Shimura Danzo looked at Ron in disbelief. The light and darkness in the eyes were uncertain. This is not exactly what he dreamed of. How could it be with others? Compared to the shock of the three, all that was left in Orochimaru's eyes was curiosity and covetousness. Perfect experimental material. The living Senju Hashirama. If I could get Ron. What else does he want from Shimura Senju? Isn't Ron fragrant? Who are you? Tsunade at the moment's shock suppressed the symptoms of phobia. She was held in Ron's arms. He stepped on the wooden man's head under his feet. This touch is extremely clear. It's exactly the same as Grandpa Senjo Hashirama's wooden skills. Her perception will not be wrong. It's really the same. Thousand-handed clan? Ron is a Thousand Hands clan? No wonder she was so angry about her doubts. Ron breathed quickly. He now has 200 points of combat power, so it is still too difficult to use the woodman technique. If it weren't for the energy of returning to the original source of the space, the mass would be higher. This wooden man could squeeze him dry. And if it weren't for the separate calculation of combat power and energy, his current combat power will be directly reduced to below 10. But there is nothing to do. With wood diversion, who can resist driving Gundam? If it weren't for the lack of energy. He even wants to directly drive thousands of hands. With 1,000 hands, plow the wood leaves. Hearing Tsunade's words, Ron smiled and turned his head. Looking at the guilt and closeness in Tsunade's eyes, he pinched his hand behind Tsunade. Who I am? From today, I am your master. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Chapter 26. I am the princess of the Thousand Hands clan. Tsunade wanted to say this. I can think of my misunderstanding with Ron. She just opened her mouth. Besides, the Thousand Hands clan is gone long ago. What kind of princess is she? Even the bodies of Grandpa and Second Grandpa became that way. You didn't hear me? Call me master. Ron slapped at the round behind. Tsunade trembled all over. Blood was everywhere in front of me. She could stand because Ron was holding her. Tsunade closed her eyes. The voice trembled. You shouldn't be like this. Ron leaned into her ear. I said, if you want to blame yourself. Isn't you really calling? Watching Tsunade's body tremble. He closed his eyes, as if he ignored whatever he said. Ron turned his head and looked down. Kill them. Ron, don't. The voice is plain. But the murderous intent contained in it. But it made Tsunade open his eyes in panic. He quickly looked down. I saw that the steel armor was fully fired. Palms, chest, and even back. All laser beams are emitted. Each beam of light has dozens of meters. Like a sharp blade. Cut off all objects. Including chakra that forms ninjutsu. Caught out of control. More than a dozen ninjas were killed. Even Sarutobi Hinashen was cut off one arm directly. Sudden severe pain. Let Sarutobi Hiruzen's battle rhythm be disrupted. The intelligent system of the iron armor captured this moment. A flame ejected from the back. Quickly approached Sarutobi Hinasen. A sharp blade pops up on the feet. He kicked from bottom to top. If this kick is solid, Sarutobi Hinashao will be cut into 2 pieces. No. Tsunade exclaimed softly, trembling. The whole person leaned against Ron. It looks like a injured cat. At this time, she no longer cared about phobia. No, she didn't know whether she was phobic or not. She dared to look straight at the battlefield. But I dare not look directly at Ron. Jiraiya was instantly in time. Come to Sarutobi Hinako. Kick off the steel armor and save Sarutobi Hinashen. The steel armor fell to the ground hard. A strong dust splashed. The big toad he summoned took the opportunity to slash on the steel armor with one sword. Cut the steel armor into the ground. Great, Gwen is so big. Did you succeed? Jiraiya looked at him excitedly. The steel armor does not have chakra. Not even a living thing. They can't perception the situation inside the dust. However, at this time, Toad Wenta suddenly changed from one hand to holding a knife with both hands. The big cigarette puddle in his mouth was bitten off. He yelled with gritted teeth. Don't shout, Jiraiya, come and help. I can't hold it back. What? Jiraiya was shocked. Toad Wenta is also a very powerful existence in Miamu Mountain. Its huge size also represents the ultimate power. It can be said that those present. Just Tsunade's strange power can be compared with its power. It was obvious that Toad Wenta's hands were trembling. I really can't hold on anymore. A blue chakra light ball lit up in Jiraiya's hand. Smashing at the steel armor. Raise Nan. Boom. A Euro trademark A wave of air was centered on the spire ball and the steel armor. Swinging towards all directions. The ground where the steel armor is located. A big hole was smashed. At the same time, Jiraiya took advantage of the force of the recoil. Back. But just as he jumped in the air. When you can't borrow power. A beam of light shot out from the ground. It penetrated Jiraiya's chest directly. Steel armor does not rely on the eyes to observe the enemy. But the miniature satellite in the sky. As long as it is within the range of the satellite. I can't escape its control. Looking at Jiraiya who flew up high and landed on the ground and bounced twice. Ron murmured softly in his mouth. I just said that the steel armor is the strongest when fighting alone. What's the use of having to wear it on your body? Is it a burden? At this moment, Jiraiya's combat power is at least 1500 or above. Haven't made any magic skills yet. If you use immortal arts. Even if Ron explodes with all his might, he can't beat anyone. And there are 4 more people on the battlefield. Steel armor 1v5. They couldn't raise their heads. If there were dozens or hundreds of armors like this. During the war in New York, Tony can block the space passage alone. Massacre of Chi Terry's army. Please. Please. Stop it. The following series of changes. Tsunade can't react at all now. When she sees it clearly. Jiraiya had been penetrated by the light beam. What identity do you use to beg me? Ron's voice was unraveled. Just looked at Tsunade so faintly. Below, Jiraiya was suddenly attacked. Gwen is too distracted. The light behind the steel armor was shining. Forced to push its big knife away. Fly back into the air again. The armor was covered with dust. The armor shell has some paint off. It looks embarrassed, but in fact it has no damage to the shell. There is no Ron stop command. It has no pause. Locked the target and rushed straight to Jiraiya, who was seriously injured. A laser light emerged from the palm of your hand. Cut off horizontally towards Jiraiya's body. This moment. The scarlet red in Tsunade's memory was finally completely replaced by Ron's face. Relying on Ron's body. Tsunade shouted in a crying voice. Master. Please. Stop. Ron said, stop. Chapter 27. A Euro Swish. A Euro trademark on the battlefield between Union and Union. Steel armor flew over the sky. On the ground. 3 figures walked slowly. It was Ron, Tsunade, and Shizun 3. Ron walked in front. Tsunade is half the body in the back. Head slightly lowered. Turn a blind eye to the corpse not far away. Instead, he looked at Ron's eyes from time to time, with a hint of horror. Well, her phobia was cured by Ron. It's just now it's Ron's disease. When she was extremely fragile inside. Constantly stimulating. In the end, she completely lost her self-esteem in front of Ron. Ron did not start a massacre in the end. Jiraiya was not dead. Stop and shout in time. Just broken arm. The kind that can never be picked up again. If it is 1 second slower. Jila became 2 pieces. Sarutobi Hinako's arm was also unable to be held. After her stopping, Ron saw this. Let the steel armor cut Shimura Danzo's arm. Focus on fairness. Orochimaru he didn't move. It's useless to cut it. Once he opened his mouth and was intact, he could drill out of his mouth. Just like a snake shedding her skin. There was still mucus on her body. It's disgusting to think about it. Ron didn't want to see that scene. Just let Orochimaru go. Finally he controlled the wooden man. The Naruto building was shot into ruins. Then he turned around and left. However, he did not expect it. As soon as he left the village, Tsunade followed. In addition, Shizun chased Tsunade. That's it, from 1 person to 3. Ron, Lord Ron, why did you become like this? Looking at Ron and the others, silent eyes were complicated. Obviously not like this before. Why did it suddenly become like this? Ron chuckled, I've become like this. Then, what should I be like? The smile is sunny, charming, and a hint of color. Silently recalled the scene when I first met Ron. A mouth is colorful, but kind-hearted. I'm so generous. I'm willing to spend money to treat us to dinner for the first time I met. Ron turned his head and grinned at the 2 of them. What, I don't smile sunny now, aren't it charming? Tsunade's body shivered. The legs are unnatural and tight. She is now allergic to Ron's smile. Just smile and your phobia will worsen. The scene of standing on the wooden man's head will appear in my mind. Although it won't get weaker. But he subconsciously wanted to escape. It's far away, until you can't see Ron. But I don't know why. Even if Ron didn't say she couldn't leave. Every time I want to leave, I will stop subconsciously. There is a voice, it seems to be said again. She doesn't want to leave. Not willing to leave Ron. Only by staying with Ron can she be happy. But she thought in her heart. You can't leave yourself. Leaving will aggravate Ron's misunderstanding. It's all because of yourself. That made Ron misunderstand Konoha. I am atonement now. I always think so. She would be determined to follow Ron. Looking at Ron's smile. Mew trembled, it's not sunny, it's scary. Hey. Ron narrowed his eyes. Then do you want me to be astringent to you? Jingyan quickly took 2 steps back and hugged her chest with both hands. However, when looking at Ron again. But he had turned his head and walked a long way. She frowned her nose in anger. A Euro Lord Ron is so annoying. A Euro trademark A Euro but it seems that Lord Ron has not changed, he is still as bad as before A Euro trademark thinking of this, she felt much better. He trotted and chased after him. Sir Ron, where are we going now? Ron didn't look back. Go and collect the corpse of the 3rd generation of Thunder Shadows. Ah. Ron remained silent along the way. He was sorting out the gains he got from the 2 of Senju Hashirama. Qian Shao Hashirama brought him the Immortal Body, would escape. The Immortal Body comes from Ashura. It is also because of the natural Immortal Body. Only Hashirama Senju can turn on the magic mode at will. Not Ron had guessed before. He signed a contract with the Wet Boneland. However, Ron is not strong enough now. Wait until his strength breaks through to the shadow level. The combat power reaches more than 500 points. You can almost enter the Immortal Art mode. At that time, start the Immortal Method, would escape, and thousands of hands. You can barely participate in a super shadow level battle. The combat power of Super Shadow is 10 times that of the Shadow level. Note that it is a numerical value. Ron found that the higher the combat power, the harder it was to improve a little. But every improvement is a little bit. Compared with the previous point, the improvement effect will be greater. So, it seems that the value is only 10 times. In fact, the actual combat power is 100 times and 1,000 times different. Just like during the 4th Ninja World War. Uchiha Madara fights against the ninja and the ninja alone. Put 1v in the entire Ninja World battle. It became his personal stage. Put it in the world of Marvel. Among the Avengers, only Hulk can stop him. Thor almost happened during the Battle of New York. If you want to say that what Senju Hashirama brings is power. That Senju Tobirama gave him countless skills and ideas. He is worthy of being a master of forbidden arts. In memory, there are countless forbidden techniques. There are also a large number of human experimental records. It can be said that in experiments, compared with Tomomi Senju, Orochimaru are all younger brothers. Especially the experiments against Uchiha Sharingan. It can be said that Senju Tobirama knows Sharingan more than Uchiha. What kind of dark art? Fly Thor slash. Wait and wait. Now, when Ron meets Uchiha, he will kill him instantly. Wait for him to get the body of the 3rd generation of Lei Shadow. It can be said that it is ninjutsu or physical skills. There are not many in the entire ninja world that are stronger than him. As for the few slap in the woodman casually slapped to death. He only added 80 points of combat power to him. As for memory, it is optional. In addition to practicing, he is to perform tasks such as Sarutobi Hinaru and Shimura Danzo, which are invisible to people. Ron glanced and left it aside. Chapter 28. Wood leaves. All the heads of the Nin tribe in the village gathered together. Wood escape reappears. And the user is also Konoha's enemy. They have to know why. Sarutobi Hinashen at the moment's mood is extremely complicated. Use Senju Hashirama's body to do the experiment. It was his permission. Later, although the experiment was stopped on the surface. But secretly, Shimura Duan hid in private research. He knows this. But unexpectedly. The Thousand Hands clan actually has such pure descendants of blood. A man with iron armor can make Konoha unable to raise his head. There was also a wooden man eyeing him. It is so powerful that it is hard to imagine. When he came back, he specially put away the bodies of Hashima Senju and Tomomi Senju. Is this a warning to us? For our revenge against the Thousand Hand clan? Sir Naruto, a wood exit owner, why would he attack Konoha? Hinata Hiratsuki glanced at the 3 of them's broken arms. Asked everyone's thoughts. Sarutobi Hiruzen picked up the pipe with his right hand and took a sip. The smoke covered her face and then spoke slowly. It's because of some misunderstandings. What kind of mistake? Sir Naruto, what kind of attitude did the ninja in the village face him? Chu Daoding spoke subconsciously. But it was interrupted by Nara Kazuhiro. Shake his head at him. The involvement of wood escape is too big. The name of Konoha comes from this. This kind of thing cannot be asked. And he went to the cemetery to check it out. The tombs of the 1st and 2nd generation Naruto are empty. The other party Euro trademark's goal is clear. The misunderstanding is likely to be related to the bodies of the 2 Narutos. 80 Most of the people involved have 3 generations of Naruto. Otherwise, why were the 3 of them cut off their arms? So we can't go into it. But the Villagia Euro trademark's attitude towards it must be asked clearly. Should I treat it as a rebellious person or as my own person? At least, let everyone know. Smart people are not just Nara Kazuki. Others also looked at Sarutobi Hinesan. He took a deep breath of cigarette. After all, it's just a misunderstanding. I sent Tsunade to persuade him to return. As for the ninjas in the village, if they meet them when they are on missions, they will ignore them. If the other party has any needs, do your best to help. Send Tsunade? Is this trying to get Tsunade into bondage with him? There is also the silent person who follows Tsunade. One is hot and the other is pure. These 2 types of beauties. It has covered 99% of men's preferences. He is worthy of being the 3rd generation of Naruto. I suffered such a big loss. He can also send Princess Thousand Hands out without changing her face. Everyone present nodded thoughtfully. Yes, Lord Naruto. On the battlefield between Yin Yin and Yun Yin. The 3rd generation of Lei Ying delayed time for his subordinates. Alone, facing the army of tens of thousands of rock hidden. Above the army. 3 generations of Earth Shadow Oniki. Flying in the air, ready to release dust escape at any time. Oniki. I've gotten my place, let's fight head on. You don't deserve to be a Terab figure if you let your subordinates die. On the ground, a awakened ninja kicked to death. The 3rd generation of Thunder Shadow shouted to the sky. Oniki ignores his provocation. The seal of dust escape was pinching in his hand. From time to time, he commanded the IWA ninja to siege the 3rd generation of Thunder Shadows. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Lei Ying actually learned from Tomomi Senju and cut off the back of his subordinates. Did he really think he was invincible? The younger brother of the ninja god, Tomomi Senju, was dead. Does he think he can still run? As long as I am restricted. He will make up for a dust escape. Let Lei Ying die and die no longer. The 3rd generation of Rayon saw through his thoughts. The figure has always maintained a high-speed movement. Never stay in one place for more than 1 second. The terrifying body made him bloody wherever he passed. It seemed like a dragon ran through the crowd. Just break out of a road without a man. Oniki. You're a coward. If you have the ability, you can come down, let's fight alone. I'll give you one hand. I will only let my subordinates die. Iwaki actually has a shadow like you. It's really Iwaki's sorrow. You think Iwaki has too many ninjas? Death a little more and reduce the pressure on Iwaki village, right? Your shadows don't take you seriously, are you still working for him? A euro. Lei Ying punched a rock ninja with one punch. While making a mouth gun. The terrifying physical strength made him rush in the crowd for a day. The speed has not slowed down at all. It still needs countless people to resist. Only then can he stop his rush. Oniki just flew in the sky. All need to breathe a sigh of relief from time to time. In order to avoid the third generation of thunder shadows rushing out. He could only rest for a while and then he had to fly up again. Command the IWA ninja to change the formation in time. Block the thunder shadows at any time. In this way, the battle lasted for another 2 days and 2 nights. On the third day, the third generation of Lei Shadow finally slowed down. Chapter 29. What a terrifying endurance. Looking at the third generation of thunder shadows who had only become tired after 3 days of Luan Zhan. Silence incredible sigh. Through microsatellites. The iron armor is broadcasting live to Ron and the other 3. Looking at the projection screen, Tsunade sighed, yes. In addition to the Thousand Hands clan, just Union's Thunder Escape Chakra mode has the greatest increase in the body. My grandfather can't beat him when competing with his body simply. Limit the 9 tails. Whether it is Uchiha Madara or Senju Hashirama. It is not the soul of one's own body. One is based on pupil technique. One is relying on wood escape. There are only 3 generations of thunder shadows. Just relying on the body can hold down the 8 tails. Even if the 8-tailed tail is weaker than the 9-tailed tail. But this also demonstrates the unparalleled strength of his body. Yes, what a strong body. It's mine right away. Ron sighed in his heart. With Lei Ying's ability. In the Marvel world, he finally has a certain degree of self-protection. Plus his stark identity. Even some hidden big shots cannot do it easily. For example, Charles, Ancient One Magician. Luo, Master, you bring us here. Are you going to save him? Tsunade was about to call Ron's name. Ron looked over with a look. She quickly changed her words. Ron shook his head, what are you doing to save him? I'm not familiar with him. I just want his body. Hearing Ron's rare explanation to her. Tsunade was inexplicably excited. Want his body? There was no expression on his face, but the tone of inquiry was cautious. Ron waved his hand and said, you don't understand even if you say it. Tsunade pursed her li. Chapter 30. Oniki, you won, a Euro bang. A Euro trademark. The third generation of Thunder Shadow killed another IWA ninja. He leaned his head and fell to the ground. The opponent who fought for a lifetime was dead. Oniki felt a little lost for a moment. I don't a Euro trademark T know if eat a Euro trademark s better to be happy or melancholy. But the next moment, he was left with anger. I saw a golden red figure. From the sky, he swiftly fell down. It fell to the ground with a bang. Just next to the corpse of the third generation of Thunder Shadow. He saw clearly at this time. Isn't a Euro trademark T this the iron-armored man circulating everywhere on the battlefield of Konoha and Mizuki? Before he could realize anything. Suddenly, several rays of light shot out from the iron-armored man. After killing dozens of IWA ninjas who rushed up. I didn't see any movement from the iron-armored man. Dozens of Iwagen's corpses. The bodies of the 3 generations of Lei Shadow disappeared in an instant. Immediately afterwards, the golden red iron-armored man soared into the sky. In a blink of an eye, it disappeared into the horizon. After putting away the bodies of the third generation of Lei Ying. Ron couldn't wait to flash into the space. The fog is unprecedentedly rich. Obviously, even exhausted. The source energy contained in the third generation of Thunder Shadows is also extremely strong. It is even richer than the source energy of dozens of iron ninjas. Combat power plus 150, a Euro. The mist surged. Although there are many, Ron's current physique is far better than before. The absorption speed is countless times faster. When absorption is complete, feel the sense of power coming from your body. Ron was overjoyed. It is worthy of being the third generation of Thunder Shadow with the ultimate physical strength. It can actually bring such a great improvement to him. The combat power reached 430. The simple physical combat power is comparable to that of the elite Shangnan. Plus the energy in the body. He is already a true shadow level powerhouse. At the same time, I also learned all the ninjutsu of the third generation of Reikha. Including Thunder Escape Chakra mode. And the strongest Thunder Escape armor. Wait until he becomes proficient in Thunder Escape. Refining the body through Thunder Escape. His combat power will also be improved rapidly. Even if you don't use space. Give him some time and reaching the senior film level is not a problem. Plus, Wood Escape and Thousand-Handed Strange Power. Comparing to Super Shadow. Finally, I caught up with the first echelon of the Avengers. The pressure in Ron's heart suddenly became much easier. Short Book Street. Tsunade glanced at the casino frequently. The desire in her heart made her unable to help but want to go in and take a gamble. But whenever I see Ron's back, the passion in my heart is like being extinguished by a basin of cold water. He lowered his head helplessly and followed Ron. Jing Ian, who was standing beside him, looked at this strange scene. I couldn't help but cover my mouth and laugh. She doesn't know now. Tsunade's changes are good or bad. The three of them came back to the familiar place. The relationship is closer. It should be. And beside Ron. She didn't have to worry, Tsunade always went to bed. In the end, I lost all my money and slept on the street. Thinking of this, it seems to be like this now, quite good. The three people have different hearts. Until Ron picked the hotel. Watching Ron walk in. Tsunade hesitated. Before, the three of them were resting in the wild. They are all together, and it doesn't feel anything. Now. How many rooms will Ron open? After a little bit of trouble, I walked in. Then she heard it. Open 3 rooms €1 €1 Tsunade breathed a sigh of relief, but felt a little disappointed. She called her master. Ron didn't know what she was thinking. Arrive at the room. After taking a shower. Through memory, he began to become proficient in recent gains. And in another room. Tsunade soaked in the bathtub. Petals are still floating on the water. Scoop up the water with your hands and pour it on your body. Watch the water droplets flow down. Suddenly Tsunade raised his hand. Europa. Euro trademark. I took a photo on the water. Stinky little, stinky low, stinky master. Sir Tsunade, what's wrong? Just as she was about to say something, a silent inquiry came from outside the door. It's okay, mute, go and rest. Oh well. Outside the door, Jingyian's eyes were filled with smiles. Before she rested, she would come to Tsunade to ask. The same is true today. But unexpectedly, I just arrived at the door. I heard movement in the house. Then, there was a cautious voice from Tsunade who scolded others. However, she thinks it's pretty good now. All is well. Inside the house. Listen to the silent footsteps and leave. Tsunade breathed a sigh of relief. She looked down at the M-shaped shape on the water. Hold up high. Squeeze the water aside. He subconsciously put his hands on and rubbed them. Gripped his teeth. Snort. I don't believe you won't be moved. No. I'm trying to prevent him from misunderstanding. Not targeting Konoha. As he said that, he stood up from the bathtub. He raised his legs and stepped out. Immediately afterwards, there was a wiping sound. Then, there was only a crunch sound. The door was opened. Tsunade walked out. Chapter 31. Ron who puts his memories with his eyes closed. Suddenly he opened his eyes. Listened to the familiar footsteps outside. He looked at the door. The door was pushed open. Tsunade wearing pajamas at the door was exposed. The pajamas are held high. Ron subconsciously glanced at the depth of his chest. He almost fell into the abyss at first sight. Retract your gaze. Looking into Tsunade's eyes. It was originally a hint of nervous eyes. It seemed like I noticed Ron's gaze. Immediately, straighten your chest. Holding the horror in my heart. Looking at Ron's eyes, he brought a vague provocation. Ron raised his eyebrows. What are you up to? Tsunade stopped talking, closed the door and walked in. This is what you delivered to your door. Ron reached out and pulled her into his arms. Turned his body. Just fell on the bed. Satellite navigation was installed on both hands. 2 overloaded trucks were accurately captured. Tsunade's body stiffened. The legs are subconsciously in tight. The air is filled with hunch. This feeling was beyond her imagination. Eat a Euro trademark s not that I have a Euro trademark t done this before. But it has never been like this before. She doesn't understand, it's all hands, why it's completely different. In an instant, the skin around the body was tense. Hit by thunder escape, lightning spread all over his body. The white smoke was blowing, and his whole body was numb. Next second. A warm breath came from my ears. I deserve to be Tsunade. This is my first time trying this with such a slim breast. But, can you relax a little bit? So nervous, my muscles are tight. A Euro trademark s very affecting the experience. A Euro Tsunade lightly bites her red lips. No words said. But he obediently listened to Ron's words. No words all night. Eat a Euro trademark s just that the bed in the ninja world is too hard, and eat a Euro trademark s uncomfortable to sleep in one position after a long time. Until the morning sun shines through the gaps in the windows. It shone into the house. Looking at Tsunade who fell asleep. Ron exhaled. Depend on. Fortunately, I mastered the thunder escape chakra mode in advance. Otherwise, today I will be embarrassed. Although there are only rays of lightning. Not available for combat yet. But it is good to use it in a Euro battle. A Euro trademark. Even Tsunade Hitomi of the Thousand Hand clan. Thousand Hand's bloodline has greater strength and stronger endurance. But he was defeated by his thunder escape. This made him even more determined to practice thunder escape. Get up and walk out the door. He was not interested in tasting the food in the restaurant. I plan to go back to Marvel World and get some food. Just walked out the door. Just saw, standing in front of Tsunade's door. A mute with a puzzled look on his face. Jingyian also saw him. Seeing it, the madness in him. He blinked in confusion. Ron asked indifferently, are you looking for Tsunade? Jingyian nodded blankly, yes. Ron pointed back and said, she is in my room. I'll get some food, don't walk around here. Oh. Jingyian didn't understand the meaning of his words. The brain is still full of chaos. Even Ron disappeared without paying attention. Master Tsunade, in Master Ron's room? Did you go last night? If you were there that night, what happened? What things about men and women? Master Tsunade and Master Ron? No? As I think about Silent Eyes brighter. Wow. I was inexplicably excited. Mute opened Ron's door. Then, I saw everything in the house clearly. Mute, A with circumflex trademark 0 A with circumflex trademark. Lord Tsunade seemed very tired. Are you really that tired? That is Tsunade Hitachi from the Thousand Hands clan. Lord Ron is so strong. Jing Ian didn't know what he was thinking. He blushed for no reason. Step by step to the bed. He pounced on him. Very soft. What are you doing? Ron's voice sounded in his ears. The body suddenly stiffened. Look back slowly. Sir Ron, haven't you been to get some food? I used it for an hour last time. Why is it so fast this time? Something happened, nothing was eaten. You guys think of a way, I'm leaving for a few days. Ron said, pulling out 2 watch-style things. Put this on your wrist. When I come back, I will rely on this to find you. He brought it to the silent and demonstrated it. A euro is Ron, you are euro a euro before Mute finished speaking. Ron's figure disappeared. Marvel World. Ron appears next to Tony again. Wow. It seems that you are living a good life in another world. Tony teased. The eldest brother still said to the second brother. Who has the flowers you can play with? Ron didn't bother to pay attention to him. Keep watching on TV. A middle-aged man with a big beard. Recognized to the outside world. He did all the recent terrorist attacks. Extremely arrogant. This part of the plot appeared in Ron's mind. Iron Man 3. Mandarin. But this Mandarin is fake. The real mastermind is a Avenger who was left alone by Tony all night. Called, what, Killian? Ron can't remember it. He was a foreign language scumbag in his previous life. Watch movies, and see all the translated subtitles. For some cumbersome names, especially supporting roles. I can't remember it at all. What's more, it's still so long. And mainly, Iron Man 3, he has hardly seen much. All I know is that Tony was ruined by bullying. But that's why. He made up his mind to heal the big hole in his chest. However, the prerequisite for treatment is that Tony himself breaks through the knot of his heart. Chapter 32. What do you think of this Mandarin? Tony looked serious. Ron spread his hands. I'll stand and watch. Tony was full of black lines, I'm not kidding. Ron nodded, I know. You Avengers are here. Just a little terrorist. Just take some time and you can solve it. Tony shook his head solemnly. No, I don't think it's that simple. If it was before the New York War, what you said makes sense. But now, he must have some trump card that I don't know. Ron had a smile on his eyes. He just said this on purpose. He definitely knows the opponent's trump card. It's a group of warriors who have injected some virus. Especially that Killian. Even Tony's steel armor can melt. It belongs to Tianqi. However, adamantiums, he shouldn't be able to melt. After all, Wolverine has experimented. The aftermath of the nuclear explosion can withstand it. So, Ron wasn't particularly worried. No matter what trump card he has a superhero Iron Man, there is definitely a way to defeat him a Tony took a sip of coffee. The slightly frowned brow stretched out a little. Effie's Mandarin is hidden very deeply until now, there is no information about him. The longer the time goes on, the greater the harm it will cause. Ron stared at him for a few seconds. I realized that Tony's mental state was a little wrong. A.A.R.V.I.S. How long has Tony not rested? A.J.A.R.V.I.S. Sir, 72 hours. Tony snapped. A.A.R.V.I.S. Ron grabbed him. Tony. You should rest. Tony sighed. I know but this world Ron interrupted him. This world is not supported by you alone. The others are working hard too. Do you want to get your body out of order? When he watched movies in his previous life. Read it, Tony Stark suffers from severe anxiety, as well as post-traumatic stress disorder. This is the psychological shadow left by the Battle of New York. It also led to the development of Ultron. The root cause of J.A.R.V.I.S. killed by Ultron. But he didn't expect it. It turns out that in daily life, it is already so serious. Didn't sleep for 3 days. Rely on coffee to support it. Haven't died suddenly yet? Ron really doesn't know whether he should be lucky or the protagonist's aura is strong. Tony's eyes drooped. Negative emotions all over his body. When I raised my eyes again, a trace of despair and fear appeared in my eyes. Not much, but very clear. He raised his hand to the sky. Ron, if there is a big hole in the sky again. Countless alien invasions. How should we stop it? Last time, it was me. I know that you were carrying a nuclear bomb and blowing up the Cheatery mothership. Ron held him down. You have made great contributions, but haven't others bought you time? Since you are in the same league, let's find a way together instead of being alone, take all your anxiety on your shoulders Tony rolled his eyes. Let's find a way together. That stupid Steve, he just said let's work together. He can come up with a big idea. Ron's eyes twitched. Accept him but, there is Dr. Banner A Euro and the black brown egg from SHIELD. Tony pondered for a moment. Nodded slowly, Banner. A Euro Hulk is powerful. A Euro Ron was speechless, I'm talking about his wisdom. I have 7 PhD degrees. Oh, Tony said nothing. A Euro I have more degrees than his. A Euro all right. The arrogant guy. It should be hit. Ron looked at him, but he developed Hulk. You can't beat Hulk. Your armor is a small toy in front of Hulk. A Euro so, you have to admit that in some ways, you are Euro trademark re not as good as Banner A Euro. Tony was silent. Suddenly, he grabbed Ron's shoulder. You sway. Ron. I'm your brother. I am your brother. You speak to outsiders. Ron spread his hands. No, I'm telling the truth. Tony pushed him angrily. Snort. Look at it, I figured out how to deal with him. Isn't it Hulk? It's not that I can't make it. I trust you. Ron's words made Tony much happier. But I don't think you can live that time. If you keep going like this, you will die suddenly before you can create it. Tony's mouth twitched. I'll go to bed now. Turning around and about to leave. Suddenly, he caught a glimpse of the smile at the corner of Ron's mouth. Ron, you're not adorable. You never talked back to me before. With your strength, you are hard and you start bullying your brother. When I wake up, you must let you know who your brother is. Chapter 33. Looking at Tony going to sleep. Ron shook his head and smiled. Sure enough, a proud person is no different from a child. J.A.R.V.I.S. Sir, you speak more usefully than Miss Potts. A Euro. Ron is in a hurry to go back to Marvel World. It's because of Mandarin. He remembered it correctly, it seemed that Pepper was arrested this time. And Killian was injected with that virus. What is the specific reason for Killian's revenge? Being tricked to the rooftop by Tony, the cold wind blew all night? What is Tony doing? Ron blinked. It seems, to have another female scientist to discuss biology in depth. Oh right. The female scientist was Maya Hansen. It is the main developer of this virus. I don't know, if Tony understands it. Because I can't control myself. All this caused. It also puts Pepper in danger. What would his expression look like? Well, then you will have a good experience. Ron, A Euro A.A.R.V.I.S, record at A Euro when Tony wakes up, let him investigate Maya Hansen, a female scientist. Also, let him create 2 more sets of adamantium armor, 1 for Pepper. J.A.R.V.I.S, okay, sir. Hi Ron. Gwen. After coaxing Tony to bed, Ron washed up and prepared to get something to eat. Then, I received news from Gwen. Ask him where he is. He, in New York. Then made an appointment. We made an appointment with Gwen to meet him in an hour. He put on his armor and headed straight for New York. 5 times the speed of sound. 1 hour is more than 6,000 kilometers. Villa Malibu is about 4,000 kilometers from New York. That is, 40 minutes. Ron arrived in New York. There was still 20 minutes left. Give him enough time to go to Stark Building. Removal of the armor. Take a look at Pepper by the way. But Pepper is not in the office. Ron didn't stop. Say hello all the way downstairs. Dare to go to the agreed location. As soon as he arrived, he saw the beautiful young figure. The upper body is a black shirt and a white jacket. The lower body is jeans that show their long legs. From a distance, it is full of youthful atmosphere. Compared with Tsunade, there are 2 extremes. Although not that protruding. But it also has a unique charm. Hey, have you waited for a long time? No, I just arrived. Gwen smiled sweetly at the sight of Ron. He ran 2 steps forward. Both hands spread out and retracted. Fingers kept rubbing. He looked like he wanted to hug but was embarrassed. Ron walked in with a smile, leaning over and hugging. Well, it has a small touch. Besides, Gwen's is not that small. Gwen clearly felt Ron exerting force. He rolled his eyes, but did not push it away. Then stick it together for a few seconds. She reluctantly left Ron's arms. Anyway, it's outside. People come and go. It's fine for a while. She would be embarrassed if it took too long. Ron held her hand and rubbed her belly with the other hand. Where do you want to go? But I'm still hungry. A Euro you need to fill it now. A Euro Gwen felt the warmth in his hands. I was very excited inside. I couldn't help but want to share my life with Ron. I'll take you to taste the school meals, how about it? Ron smiled slightly, okay. It just so happens that if it's not delicious, I'll pay for your school to improve it. It's small enough, I'll lose weight if I'm hungry. Gwen didn't understand it at first. But follow Ron's gaze. He lowered his head, it happened to be his little bear. Oh, you're so annoyed. Pull Ron and run away. Ron couldn't see behind her. At this moment, her big eyes kept blinking. A Euro small? Not small, right? A Euro trademark. A Euro Ron likes big ones? A Euro trademark. A Euro it seems that it is really not comparable to Mary Jane. A Euro trademark. A Euro but among the peers, that a Euro trademark s okay. A Euro trademark. A Euro however, I am only 18 years old and still developing, and should still be growing. A Euro trademark. A Euro but eat a Euro trademark s too big. Will it look ugly when wearing spider battlesuit? A Euro trademark. A Euro. It's all Ron, what big ones do you like? A Euro trademark. I noticed the girl's shy thoughts. Ron didn't say more. Experience the delicateness of the palm of your hand. There is also the beautiful view behind Gwen. Just squinted, he was pulled forward. It seemed as if I felt the hot gaze behind me. Gwen's pretty face turned slightly red. I dared not stop my steps. Until the two got into the car. Come to school. The red glow on his face disappeared. Watching the crowded school. Ron was surprised. You are still in class. Then how did you come out? I know Gwen is a top student. But the top student skips classes? Gwen explained with a smile. No skipping classes. I've had enough credits long ago, and I've almost finished my college entrance exams. So, I applied for an internship with the school A Euro now, being an intern in Dr. Connor's A Euro trademark lab A Euro. Dr. Connors gave me a holiday today so I had time. Chapter 34. Thinking of Dr. Connors today, she happily announced that she was free to dominate her time. Gwen was extremely grateful. In this way, she will have one day. Be with Ron. Ron suddenly realized. He is worthy of being a top academic master. Complete college courses in high school. But, Dr. Connors? Lizardman? The big villain in Spider-Man. To treat broken arm. Continuously study the feasibility of lizard regeneration and transplantation to the human body. Finally succeeded. It also failed. This is a good helper. Find some time to get in touch with Connors. Others don't know the solution to serum. Doesn't he know yet? And there is Gwen, this mature Spider-Man in. Just Gwen's blood is needed. Lizard serum can be easily developed. Maybe it can be mass-made. This is also just right to prevent Connors from taking the original path. Hey? Helper? Ron blinked suddenly. He seemed to have forgotten something. Forget it, it can't be remembered. Probably not something important. John Wick. As long as the boss is happy. The two came to Gwen's school cafeteria. Looking at Gwen's back as he went to get him food. Full of youthful vitality. Just looking at it simply makes people feel happy. After a while. Gwen came back with the meal. This is what I like to eat, see if it suits your appetite. A Euro boom. A Euro trademark. Gwen just put down the plate. Suddenly, in the college, the laboratory direction. A loud bang came. Then there were chaotic and miserable shouts. Sorry, Ron, I have to go and have a look. Gwen's face changed. Her fair skin was tense at this moment. An inexplicable danger warning came from the brain. He didn't care about anything else and said sorry to Ron. After saying that, he rushed out. Ron's powerful perception ability emanates. After a rough look. He couldn't help but sigh. It seems that the helper is gone. I can't eat anymore. Get up and follow Gwen and walk out of the restaurant. On the other side. The lab windows were broken. A huge amounts of lizard man, stepping on broken glass. Jump out of the lab. Roar. Lizard serum affects Connor's brain. The chaotic consciousness made him rage in the school. The sharp claws cut through the obstacle in front of them. The running student attracted his attention. And high school students. As we all know, there is a strong sense of curiosity. After seeing the huge amounts of green lizard. There is also a part of them who stands boldly and looks at it. This look of looking at the monster. Connors was immediately stimulated. He roared and rushed towards the crowd. His eyes were full of tyranny. Just two simple jumps. Just came to a student. A claw passed horizontally. The student was cut in half immediately. Then, the tail swept across. 3 students were swept away. Falling on the ground, the body twisted. Obviously, I can't live anymore. Bright red blood. And the death of classmates. The student who was still stopping and watching turned around and ran away in horror. He shouted help. However, for lizards. The faster you run, the louder the sound, the more you will attract attention. Connors who turned into a lizardman. There are at least dozens of tons of power. A body of about 3 meters, a force of dozens of tons. This represents a powerful explosive power. Beat your legs. The next moment, it had already crossed dozens of meters. Falling among the group of escaped students. God. Who will save me? Get out. Get out of the way, damn monster. Help. It's coming. Save me. Avengers. Where are the Avengers? Come and save me. The students were so scared that they collapsed to the ground. Screaming and crying in despair. The pants under my body gradually became wet. Connors waved his claws in disgust. Clap the wet students away. Then, only for a short moment. Because of curiosity, more than a dozen students died one after another. It was originally filled with a beautiful campus of youth. At this moment, there are broken limbs and broken arms everywhere. And the ground stained with blood. In the middle, there is a lizard man wearing a broken white coat. Connor's cold vertical pupils kept flashing. Looking for new venting targets. Ron walked out of the restaurant. Take all this into your eyes. This is the world of Marvel. Either facing danger or on the road to danger. Especially New York. But he didn't move. Instead, he looked aside. There, a flexible figure wearing black, white, and pink, 3-color battlesuit. Running out of the toilet. Raise his hand at Connors. A milky white cobweb ejaculated. Stick to his tail. Cobweb is tight. His huge body, 3 meters, was staggered. Hey. Big guy. I'll play with you. Ron, Gwen has never said this to him. Chapter 35. SHIELD. A special alarm sounded. An unknown lizard monster appears in Midtown Science High School. I was wearing white scientific research clothes, and I was suspected to be a scientific researcher. I was mutationed when I encountered an unknown infection. A support is urgently needed. Look at the alarm prompt. Nick Fury looked serious. Who is in New York? Phil Coulson replied, there are no Avengers in New York. Ebener is in the headquarters. Captain Natasha Romanoff and Barton are on duty. Nick Fury had one eye move. Where is Stark? Phil Coulson took out his cell phone. I'll contact you now. After more than 10 seconds. The phone is connected. Then soon, it hung up. Stark said he will go but he is in Villa Malibu. It will take nearly an hour to get over. Let's watch the solution. If you can't solve it, just hold it back first. Listen to Phil Coulson's answer. Nick Fury's face turned darker. But he had no choice. Too few people can use it. Although he has a good relationship with Mutant. But Charles is tangling with Mutant Brotherhood. And, there is also the military, targeting Mutant. This led to the trust he and Mutant finally built up. It is also about to face collapse. He really wanted to ask the other party to go out. I guess Charles thought about it first. None of him needs help. But, will he take the opportunity to set traps for Mutant? Want to target X-Men? This is the damn military, the crisis of trust caused. Thinking of this, Nick Fury gritted his teeth. Nodding, Nick Fury was about to arrange someone. Suddenly, Phil Coulson's phone rang. Connect to it. Nick Fury looked at Phil Coulson's expression changing. Until hang up. Phil Coulson twitched. Stark said he wasn't a trademark T going, he wanted to sleep. What should I do if that lizard monster? Nick Fury stared at one-eyed. Phil Coulson looked complicated, he said someone will solve it. Nick Fury stared at him. Stark really said that? Phil Coulson nodded, extremely sure. Yes. Nick Fury's one-eyed flashes. Okay, let's keep staring. Also, you still arrange someone to go and support. No matter whether there is anyone to solve the problem or not, find a way to hold on first. Phil Coulson looked straight, yes, boss. Villa Malibu. A.A.R.V.I.S. How long have I slept? A.J.A.R.V.I.S. Sir, you slept for 1 hour and 45 minutes, 38 seconds. You don't have to be so accurate. Tony was woken up by the phone, looking speechless. At this moment, he looked at the satellite projection. The picture is Midtown Science High School. Gwen is fighting Connors above. But Tony's attention wasn't there at all. But it is on a person on the edge of the battlefield. Ron. It was exactly what I saw Ron. He told Phil Coulson that he would not go. Ron can't live under his protection all the time. Have a powerful super ability. He will also be superhero in the future. It deserves worship from everyone. As for whether Ron can't beat it. Looking at Ron's calm expression with his hands in his pockets. He just threw this idea out of his mind. I've only slept for more than an hour and you ran to New York. Tony muttered softly. He glanced at the figure fighting Connors. Although wearing battlesuit. But it is obvious that it is a woman. He had a premonition. Ron went to New York for her. There was a weird smile on his face. Let me check her, well, forget it. Ron is not an ordinary person, so there will be no danger. I'd better not interfere too much in his private life. It's a pleasure to have a girl I like, but a super abilityist. J.A.R.V.I.S. Sir, let me remind you one thing before Ron leaves. Tony was stunned. What? J.A.R.V.I.S. Let you build 2 more adamantium armors. One of them is Miss Potts. Also, let me remind you to investigate a woman named Maya Hansen. Maya Hansen? What a familiar name. Tony frowned and couldn't remember for a moment. I've heard of it where I have. Also, create an adamantium armor for Pepper? He can understand this. I've been thinking this way lately. Just because of severe anxiety. Let him drag this matter on again and again. Etc. Anxiety? Tony suddenly became a little stunned. A conversation with Ron appeared in his mind. Ron seemed to talk about the New York War. Also talk about space channels. I was just a little excited. You know, don't mention it. Even if he just thought about it. They will all experience anxiety, shortness of breath and weakness. Tony came back to his senses, his eyes gradually becoming firm. €1 thank you €. Chapter 36. Gwen's high school campus. Ron's Spider-Woman is still fighting the Connors lizard. But, it has been evenly matched. Then the process. And now. I can only rely on Cobweb to avoid the lizard's sharp claws. Under spider telepathy, dodge attacks again and again. Each time the paws are swung. Gwen could smell the bloody smell on it. By Cobweb. Jump to the top of the stairs. Watching the 4 claws clutching the wall. A lizard monster crawling up quickly. A feeling of powerlessness surged in my heart. It's just a monster that appears in school. I can't even beat it myself. When the Avengers face the aliens. How desperate it should be. I have a lot of thoughts in my heart. But I was dissatisfied with the movements on my hands. Watching the lizard monster that is about to catch up. She raised her hand and shot a cobweb. The body swung along the cobweb. Suddenly, a huge amounts of shadow passed through the sky. It's the lizard's tail. Gwen was in the air and had no time to dodge. Just quickly release the cobweb. Let the body fall down. But the lizard monster is just below. He watched the lizard claws grab her. Gwen's pupils were filled with powerless despair. However, at this moment, a figure flashed with lightning. She suddenly appeared and saw the lizard monster. Kick the big lizard away with one kick. He reached out and held her in his arms. Feel the warmth of the embrace. Gwen didn't know, because of the embrace. It was because of the tiny lightning on Ron. She just felt numb all over. A Euro bang. A Euro trademark. The lizard monster hit the ground and made a loud noise. Gwen looked at Ron in surprise. So, you're so awesome. She thought Ron had only eyes. There is the kind of super ability that can be hypnotic ability. I didn't expect that the power was so powerful. Much stronger than her. The power Ron just showed. At least hundreds of tons. Ron slapped her little A. I can't beat it and I have to show off my power. Are you in danger? Don't say, the battle suit feels pretty good. Under the mask, Gwen pouted. But he didn't slap Ron's hand away. Instead, he followed him and shook his body. Nothing more than heroes to save beauty. Already in despair. Suddenly, he was rescued by Ron. Don't talk about it. If it weren't for school, they were all humans. She was going to wrap around Ron's neck and kiss him. Ron turned his head and pointed to the lens on the mask. The corners of his mouth curled slightly. Your body tells me that you are not thinking about something you are not thinking. Be good, there are too many people here, it's not suitable. When it's over, I'll take you to find a place with fewer people. Oh okay. Gwen nodded obediently. Suddenly, her expression changed. Careful. Wow. Ron, how did you do it? Gwen was careful not to finish speaking. A sudden flash of tears in front of her eyes. By the time I saw it clearly, I had already arrived dozens of meters away. She remembered correctly, this should be the location of Ron's station before. To avoid the fight affecting Ron, she was walking around with the lizard. Always following Ron. Try to attract the lizard monster to the distance. So how could she not be familiar with it? It appeared here in an instant. What a fast speed. She didn't notice it at all. You know, she has spider telepathy. Ron smiled and said, want to know? I'll tell you when I solve it. Gwen let go Ron, I'll wait for you, be careful. Don't worry. Ron waved his hand. The body is surrounded by electric light. He walked towards Connors who was on all sides and rushed over. Huge amounts of the body soared into the air. Punching at Ron. Two claws came around Ron. The lizardman that Connors became is actually very strong. Not afraid of ordinary thermal weapons. When a bullet hits the body, it will be bounced away by the skin. Only a rifle can break the defense. To seriously injure him, you need a sniper rifle. However, his speed is not slow. Sniper rifles are difficult to aim. In cities, there are many people and cannot use thermal weapons such as RPG. Although far from Hulk. Not even as good as hatred. But it is entirely possible to eliminate side effects. Carry out batch production. This is why Ron wants to get in touch with him. It's just a pity. Now, we can only let Connors live in his memory. Use Connors' ability. To help more people, just treat it as helping them atone for their sins. Looking at the big green lizard. Ron's body instantly turned into a lightning bolt. Disappeared in place. When it appeared again, it came behind the big lizard. It's just a kick to the back of the heart. The scales on the back were shattered. The big lizard was uncontrolled and hit the ground hard. A big hole was smashed on the ground. Roar, oh. The big lizard climbed up from the pit. He raised his head and shouted at Ron. Ron kicked in the neck. He interrupted his roar. The neck was curiously bent, and it would have been a normal person who died long ago. But powerful recovery ability allows the big lizard to recover quickly. It is visible to the naked eye and becomes exactly the same as before the injury. Chapter 37. You are a great scientist. It's a pity that I'm too impatient. Ron jumped high. Stepping heavily on the lizard. Smash it back into the pit again. Next second. I heard a loud boom 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 sound in the pit. During this period, there were monster roars mixed with them. Countless scales, blood splattered outside the pit. The ground around the pit completely collapsed. Several cracks spread around. It has been spreading for more than 10 meters. The whole school seemed to feel a strong earthquake. Finally, as the pit was in the big hole, a bright light lit up. Hell's Pulse C4 Books of the Masters. Ron with lightning hand. It penetrates the heart of the big lizard. It finally couldn't recover anymore. He twitched twice and stopped moving. The earthquake ended at the same time. The movements in the pit finally disappeared completely. Seeing this, Gwen ran to the pit with concern. The big lizard inside disappeared strangely. Only the naked upper body remained. Ron with distinct muscles and shaped edges. Gwen jumped down and saved Ron. Then he fumbled up and down on him. You have a lot of blood on you. You're not injured, are you? Ron. Are you checking or taking advantage of me? However, after he saw the deep worry in Gwen's eyes, he chose to remain silent. Destined to be his own woman. What's wrong with touching her a few times? Who wouldn't you touch her? Ron's body chakra was shocked. The blood stain fell and he became clean again. Gwen's eyelids twitched. Pretending to not knowing it, he continued to touch his whole body. Then pretend to be sure he was not injured. He patted his small breasts and breathed a sigh of relief. Suddenly, she glared at her eyes. Pull Ron and run away. Go away. You don't even wear clothes, so you can't let others see it. She was thinking too much. Where are there people around? As a survivor of the war in New York, when he encountered a life and death crisis, he had already run away. Those who are not good at brain work are almost dead. Even if you watch the game, you will still watch from afar. Even the two of them couldn't see clearly. Gwen pulled him and ran into a deserted alley. Ron, you wait for me, I'll go for you. Halfway through, I was suddenly blocked. Gwen's eyes widened. Then gradually become blurred. Even lilacs were scattered. The air was filled with an intoxicating smell. The two headlights were shrouded in darkness. The alley suddenly became pitch black. I don't know how long it took. Gwen, who was breathless, pushed Ron away. Ron, you're going to suffocate me to death. That being said, the tone was not as guilty as it was. She didn't take off the battlesuit just now. Just put on a set of clothes outside the battlesuit. She took 2 steps back. I lowered my head to sort out the battlesuit. I made out the wrinkled battlesuit. Then put on the jacket again. Then he glared at Ron with an angrily look. Why are you so dishonest? Ron chuckled, we didn't agree. Gwen was stunned, what did you say? Ron, when we solve the big lizard, we will find a place where no one is. Look, wasn't you just chosen this here? Gwen's eyes widened. What a shameless man. They obviously are afraid that he will be exposed. Let him wait here and find him clothes. He. I'm still thinking about those things. Shocked, she saw that Ron didn't know where to find a piece of clothing. Wear it on the body. Okay, I want a Euro trademark T. Take out the clothes early. She was worried in vain. Thinking of Ron having been watching himself jokes all the time. He also took the opportunity to take advantage of himself. Gwen rolled his eyes angrily. Turn around and walk out of the alley. Ignore you. Ron reached out and pulled her back. That won't work. Gwen was startled, what are you going to do? Ron smiled and said, I helped you solve the big trouble. I saved your life. Gwen stared at him with big eyes. For his next words, he was nervous but also looked forward to it. Ron blinked, it's not too much for you to treat me to a meal. Ah. A hint of loss flashed across Gwen's face. Just treat to dinner. Ron shrugged, what about that? I didn't eat in the morning and I was disturbed just now. I've had a fierce exercise and I've starved to death long ago. Gwen pursed his lee. Chapter 38. SHIELD A Euro dong 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 dong. A Euro trademark. Seal the video. Set it to level 10 confidential. Nick Fury knocked on the table and said seriously. Look around at the same time. You guys, we will sign a confidentiality agreement later. Yes, Director. Everyone present knew that things were going on. There is no hesitation at all. He quickly stood up and replied loudly. Nick Fury glanced around again with one eye. Then he looked at Phil Coulson. Phil Coulson, come with me. One by one, and one behind, walked out of the monitoring room. Silent all the way. Until you enter the director's office. Nick Fury sat on the chief chair. He supported his hands on the table and looked at Phil Coulson with a serious face. Do you know about Ron Stark? The power Ron showed was simply amazing. Even if it is placed in the Avengers, all can be called the backbone. Besides the hammer-wielding Thor, there is the unstable Hulk. No one is his opponent. And Thor is Prince Asgard after all, and is not always on Earth. Hulk may not distinguish between enemies and us when he fights. And from the perspective of strength alone, Captain America is definitely not Ron's opponent. After all, even if he was asked to hold the shield, it also takes constant time to dig out such a big pit. And what about Ron? Purely smashed out with a fist. 4 or 5 meters deep and nearly 10 meters in diameter. The ground around is covered with cracks. If it weren't for the lizard monster's strange disappearance, this big pit still needs to be expanded. Give him time to tear down the entire school with bare hands. More importantly, on the premise of having strong power, Ron may be more stable. The power is weaker than Hulk, but it is enough to deal with the crisis on Earth. Still a pure Earthling. He is also Howard's adopted son. Tony's younger brother. Born to be close to S.H.I.E.L.D. If Nick Fury hadn't understood Buddhism, I wish I could open my mouth and say, this child is destined to be S.H.I.E.L.D. A Euro trademark. Then pull Ron and join the Avengers. Phil Coulson shook his head, boss, I don't know either. He took out a copy of the information and placed it on the table. A Euro Ethis' information about Ron A Euro. Since he was picked up by Howard, there have been records on it until now. I checked it several times, but I didn't see anything special. If there is, then, it can only be because of his origin. Nick Fury looked through the information casually. Same as Phil Coulson said. It's ordinary. There is no extraordinary phenomenon. He also understood the last sentence of Phil Coulson. That is, Ron's super ability is likely to come from genetics. Heraldable. Thunder and lightning all over. This feels so familiar. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Ron is obviously authentic Asian. How could Thor have such a baby with such a big blonde hair? That's mutant? Nick Fury looked up. Phil Coulson also happened to see it. Three eyes are opposite. Obviously, the two of them thought of going together. Nick Fury said in a deep voice, send someone to pick you up. No, you go in person. Finish Tony, get in touch with Ron and see if you can invite into the Avengers. The adoptive father was one of the founders of SHIELD. My brother is one of the Avengers again. This pack is okay. As for Mutant, will Mutant come here? Joke. After entering his pocket, I still want him to dig it out again? If he doesn't let the other party go, he will not be Nick Fury. Nick Fury just ordered that no extrapolation was allowed. Alexander Pierce's office. Ex-SHIELD Director, Pierce. With Rumlow, Sitville. Watch Ron's battle video. This is compared to pure competence. Rumlow. Sitterville took the lead in expressing his doubts. Pierce pauses video. Pointing at the figure with lightning in the middle. The identities of the other two are not clear yet. But it's Ron Stark. Stark? The two were shocked. Pierce nodded, that's right, it's Stark Anthony Stark trademark S younger brother the child who was adopted by Howard without blood. I've been demented for 21 years and suddenly woke up this year. I've been awake for several months and until today, I've shown a powerful and extraordinary power. The two were stunned for a while. Pierce did not urge him either. Waiting for the two of them to absorb the information, he said. I don't know how long it took. Sitville slowly looked up. The eyes behind the glasses were swollen and flashing strangely. I have been dementia for 21 years and suddenly woke up, and it is no different from ordinary people. Suddenly, there is a powerful force. Other is only one possibility. He is mutant. He has fought super ability in these 21 years. It wasn't trademark T until recently that it was fully controlled and was able to return to normal. Chapter 39. I have to say that Sitterville thought a little bit off. But it is quite different. It's just not super ability. But Ron's huge soul consciousness. Pierce looked at him and nodded slightly. He is worthy of being his subordinate. In such a short time, I thought about the key points. And it's very similar to what he thought. Sitterville continued to ponder. Sir, I think we can recruit him. Pierce was surprised, looked at him and signaled him to continue. Sitville, first of all, he has been in a closed inner world for 21 years. Although it looks mature now, it is definitely much simpler than ordinary people. Pierce and Rumlow nodded. Express approval. 21 years. It's a whole teenager of a person. It is also the most important period in a person's life. Growth experience determines your personality when you grow up. And Ron is missing these 21 years. Therefore, his mind is definitely not mature enough now. At least, not like he showed. Simply put, it is easier to brainwash. Attracted by Hydra's beliefs. Secondly, Nick Fury will definitely send someone to contact, Sitterville continued. After going through the Battle of New York, the role of the Avengers is revealed. He always wanted to expand the number of Avengers. Aaron is Tony Stark trademark S younger brother, a natural Avenger candidate. We can definitely take the opportunity to get in touch with Ron before Nick Fury, turn him into ours. It cannot be said how clever the plan of Sitville is. The main thing is to rely on the convenience of occupying the magpie's nest. Simple and effective. Because, they have done this many times. Otherwise, 90% of S.H.I.E.L.D. are Hydra people. Did he get the Hydra branded after birth? Not a little brainwashing. Compared to those mature guys. Ron is easier. While everyone in S.H.I.E.L.D. has their own ulterior motives. Villa Malibu. Another sleep, Tony from Awakening looking at Ron's wild side. It was simply stunned. No, is this his brother? Is this the one who loves to laugh and is like a gentleman? Could it be possessed by Hulk and Thor? Lightning surrounded his body, and the combat mode was exactly the same as Hulk. This guy, even Tony was confused after seeing it. No, can my own titanium alloy armor withstand his fists? Probably, it seems, maybe it can't stand it. Mom messed with Farkey. No. Come back and let Ron teach me how to do that discharge. If I learn it, wouldn't I be able to directly charge the steel battlesuit? Good guy. It's worthy of being Iron Man. It will discharge, but it is just thinking that it is more convenient to charge the armor. By the way, Ron asked me to investigate Maya Hansen. Hey? Why does this woman sound so familiar? Forget it, there are so many familiar women, it doesn't matter. But Ron said that creating the adamantium armor has to be put on the agenda. The world is getting more and more chaotic. Pepper should have given some security a long time ago. Thinking of this, he took out his phone and called Pepper. Hey? Tony? What's the matter with me? Well, it's me, Pepper, you take the time to come back. Is there anything wrong? I still have a lot to be busy with recently. No, I want to create an armor for you. Let's discuss what you like. I'm not free, I won't go back. And I don't need it either. Armor and armor all day long. You and armor come with the armor. Tony Stark, Mom. Hang up the phone. Pepper's chest was undulating violently. I kept scolding this phone. She was quite happy when she received the call. Tony rarely calls her. She thought Tony had gotten it. Take the initiative to ask her. She was still wondering whether she would push her recent job. Go back and have a candlelight dinner with Tony. In a romantic atmosphere, it would be natural to see something happening again. What's the result? BD guy. Without saying a few words, it was his armor. Did he forget that he was his girlfriend? The iron armor is his girlfriend? Don't think about climbing onto her bed again in the future. Just then, Pepper's cell phone rang again. She picked up her phone angrily. Just as I was about to connect to the scolding. Suddenly he paused. Not Tony. Take a few deep breaths to calm down. Pepper answered the phone. Hey, Killian. Sorry, I'm busy with work in recent days, I'm afraid I don't have time. Suddenly Pepper was stunned. Wait until I have time. Okay, wait for me to take a look. After looking through his work itinerary, Pepper replied. Let's meet in 3 days, and we will meet in the morning 3 days later. Yeah, that's it. Chapter 40. Outside the door. Ron, who came back from dating Gwen, heard Pepper's conversation clearly. His eyes narrowed slightly. Killian. Mandarin's behind the scenes. What kind of virus is under control? Are you planning to do something with Tony? There were terrorist attacks everywhere before. Ron is really not interested in it. Gunfight America, free every day. Just a little dead. I don't bother to watch Ancient One Magician. Let millions of people die, as long as the order of the earth does not collapse. Ron thinks so now. Live your own well. By the way, gain benefits and strengthen yourself in other worlds. As long as it does not affect yourself and the people you are close to, everything else doesn't matter. And among the people close to him, Pepper is one. No matter what, it will be his sister-in-law in the future. As the saying goes, delicious, ba 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 ba. The elder brother is like a father, and the elder sister-in-law is like a mother. If Howard hadn't picked him up, he would have died outside long ago. And Pepper is Howard, the assistant he chose for Tony. No matter how you say it, he can't even look at it. What's more, Pepper was injected with that virus in the end. The whole body can release thousands of degrees of high temperature. Although very powerful. But that's the case. Not to mention thousands of degrees, even tens of thousands of degrees cannot destroy the adamantium armor. Even if it still has the effect of restoring disability. But he has Connor's memory. Wait for him to reorganize the formula based on Gwen and Peter's blood. Not to mention rehabilitation of disability. Even various serums are easy to use. Lizard serum, spider serum, ant serum. Alive, extract the therapeutic effect from the serum. For seriously injured people, they can save their lives and be cured quickly. Wait and wait. There is no danger at all. That one is not better than that virus. But, 3 days later? I knocked on the door and heard a incoming from inside. Ron pushed the door and walked in. Aaron, Pepper. Ron nodded. A man named Killian just asked you to meet. How do you know? Pepper was surprised. Ron pointed to his ear. I heard it. Did you hear it? She doesn't know her office yet. Close the door, no sound can be heard. Ron can actually hear it. She had no doubts. Ron won't lie to her. Instead, Pepper asked, is there anything wrong with Killian? Ron nodded, there's a big problem. He wants to take revenge on Tony and he wants to kidnap you. He made Mandarin on TV recently. He is behind the terrorist attack. What? Pepper covered his mouth. His face was full of shock. This is too irritating. But Ron had no reason to lie to her. It's so incredible. Ron smiled, don't worry, Tony will protect you. He also noticed something was wrong and planned to build you an adamantium armor. At that time, even if Hulk comes, there is nothing you can do about it. Just outside the door. He talks to Tony and Pepper. But I can hear it clearly. I have to help Tony anyway. Recover some image here in Pepper. At this moment, he noticed Pepper was stunned. The eyes showed complex expressions of surprise, joy, guilt, etc. Ron's lips curled. Finally he warned her. Let her be careful after Killian. Drive the armor and return to the villa. Villa Malibu is his home. If he remembered correctly, this sea view villa was blown up. This time, he is here. I can't watch my home be destroyed. Enter the villa. I saw Tony and had entered the working state again. Obviously I slept a little and became much better. Hi Ron. Tony found him, too. He quickly threw down his tools and ran over. You're back. How did you do it when you fought with that lizardman? You were covered in lightning. Did you learn it in that ninja world? Can you teach me? If I learn it, I can charge the battlesuit by myself. Ron, listened to Tony's series of questions. He wanted to answer. But the last sentence was speechless. CO authored the last battle in New York. Are you addicted to using Thor power banks? If he remembers correctly. Thor had a lightning bolt, and it seemed to give him the power of the armor directly, and it worked 400%. Tell me quickly, can I learn? Tony urged. Ron shook his head, it shouldn't be. The number of people in the ninja world is more than that in the Marvel world. This is a natural surprise. What's more, there is no chakra in the ninja world at the beginning. Everything is brought by its Satsukiya trademark S chakra fruit. People in the Marvel world want to have chakra, it is simply a heavenly place. Ron suddenly paused. Not completely impossible. Chapter 41. Dr. Connor's biological research. plus the human experiment of Tobirama Senju. If you can combine them yourself, maybe it can be done? Next time I go to the ninja world and look for Orochimaru. He won't spend all his time on this. Just so happens that there is a tool, Orochimaru, which is useless. Seeing Ron dazed, Tony shook his head in disappointment. If not, then not. Anyway, ETA Euro trademark S not necessary to learn. Just as he was about to turn around and leave, he suddenly remembered Happy's phone number. By the way, Ron. Happy called me. He said, the person you asked him to arrange a few days ago is now healed. What are your plans? Or should I follow Happy first? After coming back to his senses, Ron was stunned. The one who asked Happy to arrange it. Who is it? Blinking, Ron suddenly realized. Oh, John Wick. It's so unpresented that I forgot him. Etc. John Wick? Isn't Euro trademark T this an experimental goal? Let him follow Happy first, I will contact him if I have a task. Tony nodded. Oh, I'll beat Happy later. Hey? No, when will I become your assistant? You contact yourself. Halfway through, Tony rolled his eyes. How could a younger brother do this to his elder brother? It's simply against Tian Gang. Well. Ron looked at him in confusion. What's the wind? This is? Could it be that Pepper scolded him and kept his breathing? He shrugged. I forgot to tell you. I met Pepper before I came back. I told her that you want to tailor a armor for her. Help you get rid of the misunderstanding. Tony's face was suddenly filled with surprise. Ron waved his hand. No need to thank me. Just help me decorate a top-level laboratory. I'm going to make something. Knowing Ron helped him. Tony is having fun. He waved his hand indifferently. A small matter will be done for you tomorrow. Ron wasn't polite to him either. I have one more thing to do if I need your help. Tony, say. Ron did not hide it either. Take a full physical examination for Zhongcheng Science and Technology High School. The reason the lizardman may have virus residue I need to get, the blood of a student called Peter Parker okay, I understand, I'll send it to you tomorrow. Tony has no hesitation at all. I agreed directly. By the way, I asked one more question, are there any other goals? Do you want some from other schools? Do you want the blood of college students? Detective? Where is the agent? For Ron, he is unconditional support. As long as it is not to destroy the earth. It can be said that he gives whatever he wants. So, it's just a little blood. If you can. Even if you kill Nick Fury's black braised egg. He can do it even if Ron is a SHIELD director. Ron wasn't polite to him either. Before leaving, I mentioned it to him. Change your armor energy. The power is less than half. Tony will get everything ready tomorrow. There is plenty of time. Pepper can delay at least 3 more days. He still has time, so he can go to the ninja world and collect a corpse for Uchiha Madara. The great Buddha of Susato. It's still Uchiha Madara's Susan. If Senju Hashirama knew about it, he would definitely be very happy. I did a good thing myself. This dream of this good friend has come true. Night. Gwen just finished washing up. Suddenly received the message. Stark sponsors, all staff of the school will conduct a physical examination tomorrow. Detect for any virus residues from the lizard monster. Early detection, early prevention, early treatment. Stark sponsored? Gwen immediately took advantage of this reason and sent a video to Ron. I just miss him, and I don't Euro trademark T have an excuse to look for him. Video is connected. Her pupils contracted. You, why don't you wear clothes? Ron was speechless, who takes a bath and wears clothes? Then why did you still answer the video when you take a shower? Gwen quickly covered his eyes. But the gap between the fingers, 2 big eyes kept blinking. Ron put his phone indifferently. You've touched it, are you still afraid to see it? What's the matter with me so late? Could it be that I just parted, and I missed me? Who misses you, shameless? Gwen thought so. He touched it all, and he checked Ron's whole body. What's wrong with looking at me? He won't suffer any loss if he is seen by a beautiful woman like himself. Then, simply put down the pretending hand. His big eyes flashed and he looked at it openly. But a blush appeared on his face. I still feel a little shy. In a place where Ron cannot see. 2 little feet, constantly push your toes hard on the bed sheet. The sheets were pleated out. Before Ron, she had never held a boy's hand. After meeting Ron, I almost experienced the first time between couples. Chapter 42. After taking a shower, Ron wiped it casually and walked out of the bathroom. He didn't say anything while taking a shower, nor did Gwen say anything. He glanced inadvertently. I found that Gwen was pitch black. 2 big eyes stared at the screen without blinking. All of them were straightforward. Until he finished taking a shower, he picked up his cell phone. He turned his head quickly. Pretend to be busy just now. I found that Ron had finished taking a shower and watched the video. It's just pretending too fake. The rosy on his face spread to his ears. The water in my eyes was filled with water. If it weren't for the phone, she would have to pounce on it. Ron thought about the angle of his phone when he was taking a shower. Well, no problem. Only the upper body was photographed. It's not just the upper body, it's not that I haven't seen it. As for this, it's really okay for you to look for me. Gwen quickly spoke, I have something to do. I want to ask if you did the physical examination tomorrow. Blood will be drawn during a physical examination. Her blood cannot be given to others casually. It's me. Ron said directly without hiding it. That big lizard man is Dr. Connors. Gwen was surprised. What? Dr. Connors? Ron nodded slightly. That's right. According to investigations, Connors has always wanted to recover his broken arm. So, when studying lizard serum, I want to put the self-healing ability integrated of the lizard. Obviously, his experiment was not successful, or half of it. Gwen suddenly realized, so that's the case. She knows about lizard gene experiments. I also know that Dr. Connors has only half of his arm left. She was given as an assistant. I often help with experiments with guinea pigs. Connors pays special attention to each experiment. There was obvious excitement and expectation in his eyes. But every time it fails, Dr. Connors would roar in anger. In the video, Ron is dressed. It cannot be said that he has completely failed. At least his broken arm has recovered after becoming a big lizard. This shows that his experiment direction is correct. Thinking about the scene of today's battle, Gwen nodded. Ron continued. So, I plan to take over his experiment. Continue this experiment. Ah. Gwen was stunned. Then his face was full of worry. Ron, you are so strong, don't you? If you fail, won't you become a big lizard? Ron smiled. What do you think? I didn't say I'll use it myself. Also, have you ever thought about it? Where did your ability come from? Gwen is a top student. Ron said this at this moment. She was stunned, then her eyes suddenly widened. There are barbs that can be climbed on your hands. And spider telepathy. Instinctively chose cobweb as a tool. She thought it was because she was bitten by a spider. A subconscious choice. She looked at Ron in shock. Can you bite my spider and carry spider serum? Ron nodded slightly. This is my guess. But it's very likely. It is precisely because of your successful example. I'm just going to continue the experiment. Gwen said with a serious expression after being shocked. I support you, and you can call me anytime if you need it. I will go for a physical examination tomorrow. When you compare it with my blood, you should find it. Ron smiled softly. Don't worry, I'm the first to tell you. Okay, I'll wait for your good news. Gwen had a smile on her face. Tell yourself the secrets if you like. That sense of trust made her happy. Besides, I also helped Ron a lot. The next day. Ron just finished lunch. Then I received a notice from JARVIS. Tony has already done his lab. All the materials he needed were put into the laboratory. Including blood for physical examination. Ron was shocked. It's worthy of being Stark. What he wants is a top lab place in any company. It will take at least 1 week to fully configure all the equipment. If there is insufficient energy, it may not be fully equipped for half a year. He couldn't wait to enter the laboratory. With Connor's memory and Tomomi Senjo's experimental experience. Quickly entered the state. Whether it is machine use or material preparation. All are extremely skilled. Just like a long-time-old researcher. There was no pause. Analysis Peter Parker's blood. Put the discoveries in the blood into the serum formula. Ron was shocked. It was indeed the core secret specially hidden by Richard Parker and his wife. With Peter Parker's blood. He can make serum too. Then Ron picked up Gwen's blood again. After parsing. He looked at the result in surprise. So that's the case. Chapter 43. In theory, the results of Richard Parker couple. It must be left for your children. This is indeed the case. It is impossible for anyone to adapt except Peter Parker. But Gwen is an exception. Her genes are absolutely inclusive. That is to say. It's not just spider serum. Other serums can also be accepted by her genes, integrated. It is a unique existence that is not one in a million. If she had been in contact with Hulk's blood at that time, she will also become a female Hulk without any danger. This is the secret hidden in Gwen Euro trademark S gene. But it's not possible now. The spider gene has been integrated. Her genes have changed a bit. Not as absolute inclusive as ordinary people. The rejection and differences should be considered. But even so, her genes are more adaptable to other super ability than everyone else. So am I? Can I give Gwen strength? The thought flashed through Ron's mind. He temporarily put it behind his mind. Spider-Gwen has great potential. In the future, based solely on the upper limit of physical strength, there should be senior shadow level. That is, it is more than 2000 combat power. You know, Peter Parker once did it, pulling a train running at high speed with bare hands. Ron can't do it now anyway. If you want to stop it, at least he must be a senior film level. You can only use Susanum to open it or use the art of a wooden man. And Spider-Man at that time was not the pinnacle of his potential. The impact of the train is not as powerful as that of the Leviathan monster of Zidori. It's not far from that. If you reach the peak, after stopping the train, you can be exhausted, but you will never fall into a coma. This is also the origin of his Little Hulk title. To talk about shortcomings. That is, like Hulk. Apart from the simple attack method, there are almost no disadvantages. So, there is time to strengthen Gwen. Eat a Euro trademark S better to give yourself strength or strengthen a few trusted subordinates first. For example, John Wick. With the core formula. Ron only took half an hour to make a lizard serum. Not the semi-finished product that Connors injected. It is the real lizard serum. After injection, strengthening the body. At least not weaker than Connors becoming a big lizard. The main thing is that you won't lose your mind. Moreover, there can be two forms. One is the form of a lizard. Similar to Connor's transformation. Fight with your claws and tail. Strong strength, at least hundreds of tons of strength. The strength of the body is not to mention. Defensive light thermal weapons are a breeze. Definitely, heavy sniping like Barrett is not possible. After all, that thing is made of armored vehicles. After turning into a lizard, shoot the center or head with one shot. No matter how strong the self-healing ability is, it will be dead. Not everyone is Wolverine. There is also a human form. Moderate strength, strength defense, etc., only 20% of the lizard form. But various weapons and equipment can be used. Relatively speaking, the combat mode is more flexible and changeable. It's not a good form. It is completely related to the user's own combat habits. Definitely, the effect of serum is also related to the user's potential. If it's the Punisher Frank with a normal person. Both of them were injected with serum. That must be a greater improvement for the Punisher. John Wick, a top killer who is no less than Frank. A-Euro Stark A-Euro inside Ron's lab. John Wick stood respectfully. Ron is sorting out the information. It was him who prepared to go to the ninja world and handed it to Orochimaru. The world of Marvel is in great crisis. The ninja world is not small either. All alien powerhouses invade. They are all unrivaled. Being able to travel between the two realms freely, Ron has long regarded the ninja world as his back garden. It will be good for him to become stronger in the ninja world. He also didn't intend to conquer the entire ninja world. It's peaceful, where will he find the body? You can't massacre in your back garden, right? This is the decision Ron made after killing Connors. A big lizard comparable to a shadow-level physical ninja. The source energy that turns into after death. He only added 30 points of combat power to him. It's simply outrageous. Lee Dashu. If he hadn't been proficient in Thunder Escape Chakra mode. Under the quenching body of Thunder Escape. His combat power increased by 49 points to 479. Add these 30 points later. It barely reached 509, reaching the shadow level. He had to absorb at least 2 shadow level powerhouses before he could break through to the shadow level. This proves that it is becoming increasingly difficult to improve in the future. Unless by chance. If you encounter a corpse of a top strong man, let him absorb it. For example, Ancient One who was voluntarily killed. Forget it, I dare not move this. They just die in their body, but not in their soul. If I feel that I have desecrated her body, it would be too late for the soul to appear and kill himself. Therefore, we have to find a way in the ninja world. Chapter 44. I stood motionless for more than an hour. John Wick was not at all impatient. Finally, Ron finished his work. Holding a serum in his hand, he turned around. This is lizard serum, the effect. J.A.R.V.I.S. Ron snapped his fingers, and J.A.R.V.I.S. immediately released a projection. It was the scene where Connors fought Gwen. John Wick looked at it with concentration. He has heard of Spider-Woman. A new street hero in New York. He is stronger than ordinary people, but he is still within the range of killing. He didn't understand this, and some people wanted to definitely do it. John Wick is not stupid. Ron just said that lizard serum was released. Obviously, it has something to do with the lizard monster. He focused on watching the lizard monster. Sharp claws, powerful power. Super recovery ability. There is also the defense that seems to be wearing a piece of armor. The projection only has the previous clip. The part when Ron played was intercepted by JARVIS. So soon, the projection ended. How do you feel? Ron stared at him. John Wick nodded seriously. Very strong. However, I see it as if it has lost its mind. If I were to prepare, I would be 50% sure I could kill it. Ron nodded slightly, if it were someone who was about the same as you. He turned into a lizard. How sure are you still in the absence of your sanity? John Wick pondered for a few seconds. Shake your head slowly, less than 10%. It's still the case that he knows nothing about my information. If he knew me, it might be only 1%. 1% is favored by fate. If you don't think about luck. His chance of being counterattacked is 100%. And the other party is seriously injured at most. Ron nodded, very pertinent. Connors used to be a soldier. Although it's just a military doctor. But it is also far stronger than ordinary people. John Wick is 50% sure to kill him as he transformed into a lizard man. It has proven that John Wick is powerful. This lizard serum can turn you into a lizard man. It's the modified finished product. The effect is stronger than the one on the screen €, and there will be no side effects €. In the specific case, you can only try it yourself after injection. This is my chance. If you're still willing to follow me, use it. If I don't want to, I won't make things difficult for you. Ron finished speaking and handed the serum to him. John Wick's eyes were firm. There is no hesitation at all. After taking the serum, he tore off the clothes and tied them on his shoulders. The severe pain made John Wick scream. His face turned bloody. The corners of the eyes collapsed. The teeth were clenched and bleeding came from the corner of the mouth. For a moment, his facial features and 7 orifices were bleeding. All the exposed skin were bulging. Hold your hands tightly. The muscles are tight and restrain yourself from moving. That kind of pain comes from the depths of the bone marrow. It was like there was a brush in his flesh. Flash against the bones constantly. Brush his flesh into pieces, one by one. However, under this severe pain, John Wick still maintained his sanity. Ron nodded with satisfaction. Data is also being recorded. Convenient to improve next time. The first time I made it, it was a bit large. But the effect will be better if the quantity is large. Not a good or bad. I can only say that for those with a firm will, the more the better. Over time, John Wick began to appear green scales on his body. Then more and more, all over the whole body. Body shape shifting. From less than 2 meters, it has grown sharply to 3.5 meters. The limbs became thick and powerful. All hands and feet turned into sharp claws. A huge amounts of tail grew out and all the clothes shattered. Ron took a look. From beginning to end, the body length is close to 6 meters. It seems to be even more powerful than Connor's becoming a lizard. The only downside is that they are all so ugly. Flat facial features and bare head. It can be seen that it is John Wick. At this moment, John Wick's eyes were ferocious. The physical pain disappeared. But the extreme pain brought his spirit to the limit. After a sudden relaxation, anger filled the pupils. There was only Ron in front of him. Looking at Ron, he raised his paw and patted him down. It was about to be photographed by Ron's head. The hideous eyes regained a hint of spirit. The claw stopped suddenly. Ron Stark, sir, sorry, my, mental, a little, trance, I. Not finished speaking yet. John Wick closed his eyes. His head tilted and he fell to the ground. Fainted. As he fainted, his body changed rapidly. Soon, it was back to its original state. Ron picked him up with one hand. Put it on the lab bench. He plugged in various instruments and started to do genetic tests for him. Looking at the various data popping up, Ron smiled. A euro trademark S perfect a euro. Chapter 45. Lizard Serum, effect on John Wick. Perfectly met his expectations. No, to be precise, exceeded expectations. When both forms are all available. Because Ron's dosage increases, John Wick's strength has been greatly enhanced. If Connor's became the Lizardman, the combat power is over 500. Then John Wick's combat power must be at least 800. Don't a euro trademark T look at it only has 300 more. In fact, John Wick can beat Connor's 3. And because of the dosage and potential. In the future, John Wick's strength will improve. Until his potential limit. Ron can't guess how much it is. However, it can definitely reach more than 1500 combat power. It is also possible to reach 2000. Comparing hatred at the peak is not a problem. And what surprised Ron even more. It's not just the lizard's form that has become stronger. The human form has also become stronger. It reached 1/3 of the lizard form. This means, even in human form, John Wick can also withstand bullets. Good. Ron, what are you doing? Tony brought Pepper to find him. He needs to find Ron to confirm the news about what Ron told them. Good preparations for Killian. But as soon as I came here, see the lab scene clearly. Tony's pupils suddenly shrank. He quickly turned around and covered Pepper's eyes. Don't look at Pepper. Fake. Ron, how could there be a fruit man in your laboratory? A strong man. Lying motionless on the laboratory bench. He was wearing nothing, and the floor was covered with fragments of clothes. The body is covered with various detection instruments. How wild was this trademark just now? You can't let Pepper see it. Pepper can only look at his fruit body. A euro Ron just happened to have finished checking. He opened the door and walked out. When I arrived at the living room, I poured a cup of coffee. Why are you here? Away from the lab, Tony let go of Pepper. Is Killian's thing true? Ron took a sip of coffee. It's true. Tony asked, do you have a way to deal with it? Ron widened his eyes, do you know what you're talking about? You are superhero Iron Man. Defend the supervillain, definitely want you to come. Tony rolled his eyes, I am your brother. You just say help or not. Ron twitched, didn't I tell you the solution? Tony's eyes lit up, what? Ron, build the adamantium armor. Killian's ability will turn itself into a magma. The temperature can reach thousands of degrees. As long as your armor can withstand 10,000 degrees of magma, killing him is not the same as playing a euro for adamantium, let alone 10,000 degrees a euro even if it's tens of thousands of degrees, don't want it to shapeshift. At that time, you are matching a cold weapon and just take one knife. Tony was stunned. He looked at each other with Pepper. It's that simple. Ron focused, it's that simple. Only when the strength is not enough, you can use your brain. If you have enough strength, you will be reckless. Look at Hulk and Thor, when did they both touch their brains? Tony. After a few seconds of silence, Tony frowned. What I said, seems to make some sense. If you don't have enough strength, you need wisdom. Hey. Ron. Who do you think is not strong enough? Suddenly, Tony stared at Ron angrily. If they have the strength of both of them, don't you need to use your brain? They need to have a brain. The brain is full of muscles. The two people's brains combined are not as big as a walnut. You actually used me to compare them. You are insulting my IQ. Ron raised his eyebrows. Then don't use my method. Oh, by the way, Killian has already set his sights on Pepper. Guess what he would do? Ron's words surprised the two. Tony also fell silent. If it were him, I'll arrest Pepper. Then inject her with that virus, so she will be the same type of person as me. Hearing Ron's words, Tony seemed to see Pepper being arrested. Hold Pepper's hand tightly. His eyes were solemn. I will protect Pepper. Ron, you can't be by her side all the time. Tony, I will build an armor and stay by her side. Ron, your armor can't withstand the high temperatures of thousands of degrees. If caught, there is a steamer inside. Tony, I will improve. Earth best insulation is installed inside. Euro is adamantium outside. Euro halfway through, he suddenly stopped. Isn't this Ron's solution? He pursed his lips and looked at Ron. Ron shrugged at him. Drink the coffee in one sip and turn away. Behind him came Tony's shout. Ron. I'm your brother. I don't care. Yours is mine. Ron waved his hand. You said yes. By the way, if you are not sure, let John Wick be your bodyguard for the time being. He has already injected lizard serum. Chapter 46. Lizard serum? Tony suddenly remembered the big lizard that Ron smashed to death. But at the moment Ron has gone far. He didn't want to chase after him and ask. A.A.R.V.I.S. What is lizard serum? Pepper also looked puzzled. J.A.R.V.I.S. Sir, this is the video Ron asked me to show you. A projection appeared in front of the two. Mom messed with Fark. On the other side. Ron has entered the space. Just after his combat power reached 500. There was a change in the space. On the edge of the vortex of the ninja world. A new vortex appeared. At the same time. There have also been new changes on his personal panel. A traveling the world. To A this means that he has a new world that can travel through? Ron thought for a moment. Mad. What am I hesitating? Isn't it the new world? No matter what world he is. Go in and take a look. I have traveled through time with my clothes, and I am still hesitating. So what does it mean to wear it? Uchiha Madara died early, and it would be useless to go to the ninja world. Ida trademark S better to go to the new world. Ron returns to the lab. Put it all into space if you can use it. With the armor, he stepped into the vortex in one step. Mysterious Falls Town. High school. Sir, do you want to come to us as a teacher? Yes. Sorry, your documents are incomplete, and many of them are blank, and there is no immunization certificate yet. Please take a closer look. My ID should be enough, right? In a pair of scarlet eyes, 3 magmas were constantly rotating. The black woman in front of him suddenly looked dull. Slowly lower your head and flip the blank document in front of you. A few seconds later, you are right, I am indeed wrong. Welcome to join, Mr. Ron Stark. Ron smiled on his face, it's a privilege. Come to the new world. Discovering it is a modern world. Ron connects the smart system to the internet as soon as possible. By the way, I arranged an identity for myself. Even the duplication of JARVIS. It also explodes the internet in this world. Then, when determining where you are, he saw a familiar name. Mysterious Falls Town. The name of this town made him confirm this new world. It is the popular American drama Vampire Diary. It tells that more than 100 years ago, a pair of brothers fall in love with the same woman, Catherine. As a result, she was a vampire and eventually turned both of them into vampires. More than 100 years later, they met a girl who looked exactly like Catherine. Elena. The follow-up story is very messy. Ron didn't look closely. The plot doesn't matter. As long as you know, it is enough to have extraordinary power in this world. Step out of the office. Ron saw a man walking towards him. Deep eyes, high nose bridge. She looks pretty sunny and handsome. However, the whole body exuded a cold aura. Vampire. Ron felt no human blood in him. A vampire that doesn't suck human blood. It seems to be that vampire brother, Stefan. He is so principled, but he is not easy to start. The man just entered the office. A familiar conversation came out again. Your files are incomplete and there is no immunization certificate. Moreover, we have to look at the transcript. Please take a closer look. Ron's eyes twitched as he listened to the conversation inside. It's too difficult to be a teacher here. Escape the spirit at any time. Hypnotic ability. It's only 2 minutes before and after. Twice. Hello, are you a new student? Suddenly, a crisp inquiry sound came from Ron's ears. Ron turned his head. They are 2 girls. The person who speaks is a delicate and 3-dimensional facial features. Delicate skin. Like a girl who is about to bloom unopened roses. Wearing a leather jacket with a thin red shirt inside. Long shawl hair hanging from her chest. At this moment, he was looking at him with a slight shyness. The big eyes blinked, as if they could speak. The heroine, Elena. As for the other, it's her best friend. A girl with brown skin, a little bit full of energy. Appearance, slight. Looking at the 2 people in front of him, Ron smiled. No, I'm a new teacher, biology teacher. Ah, I'm sorry, teacher. Elena looked embarrassed. Unexpectedly, I saw a strange handsome guy. I wanted to get to know each other. It turned out to be a new teacher. It's okay, I'm not much older than you. Don't be too nervous, just treat me as a friend. Ron smiled slightly and stretched out his right hand. Meet, hello, my name is Ron, Ron Stark. Elena reached out to hold Ron. Hello, my name is Elena Gilbert. Experience the soft and boneless smoothness in the palm of your hand. Ron raised his eyebrows. Look, we'll know each other now. If you need help in the future, please feel free to find me. As a teacher, there are many privileges. Feeling the warmth of Ron's big hands, Elena's little face turned slightly red. The eyes were unconsciously removed. Suddenly, she glanced at her younger brother and her expression changed. Sorry, I have to leave first. After saying that, she ran straight towards the men's bathroom. Chapter 47. Sorry, Mr. Stark, I'll go see what's going on. In place. Elena's best friend, that brown girl. After seeing Elena leave, he looked at Ron with an apology. He reached out and grabbed Ron gently. Just touched. She suddenly changed color. He quickly let go, looking like he wanted to escape. Chasing Elena. With his back to Ron. Her eyes flashed, full of incredibleness. A red eyes? A trademark a huge wooden man 100 meters high? A trademark a there are countless lightnings surrounding you? A trademark a it can easily destroy the entire town. A trademark a who is he? A trademark and at this moment. A figure followed her. I think Elena seems to have entered the men's bathroom. It should be inconvenient for you to go in, so I'd better go and have a look. The sound in her ears shocked her whole body. She stopped quickly without disobeying Ron's words. He lowered his head, dared not look directly at Ron. Okay. I'm sorry, teacher. No trouble. Ron kept pace. Walking to the men's bathroom. Elena's friend seems to be a psychic? Which? Have a perception ability. She should have perception reached my strength. If the perception arrives, then the perception arrives. In this world, except for the unknown vampire ancestor. Nothing can cause danger to me, either. The upper limit of power is not high. But Ron is still very curious about vampires and werewolves. Especially the resilience that is a bug. And the ability of eternal life. I don't know if it can be made into serum. Jeremy, you're really great. You took drugs in class the first day. I don't. Say, where did you hide? Take it out. Stop flipping. I don't. Can you calm down? Let me calm down. Look at your appearance. You're already having fun now, right? Come to the toilet door. Ron heard the conversation inside. Sure enough, she is worthy of being a Melika's teenager. No matter what world you are in. Taking drugs, picking up girls, and loving are all the main themes. Push the door and walk in. Elena, do you need my help? Oh. Ron, you, me, him. I just saw my younger brother's condition and was too angry. Without thinking, he rushed into the men's bathroom. Now seeing Ron, Elena was at a loss. Ron walked in with a smile. I know, he is your brother, Jeremy. Elena was surprised, how do you know? Ron pointed to the door, I heard it outside the door. Also, don't you think this place is not suitable for conversation? Let's go out first and then talk about it. Elena nodded, a Ron looked at Jeremy, Jeremy. After a few seconds of silence, Jeremy lowered her head and said, let's go. The three of them just walked out of the men's bathroom. Hit someone head on. Ron smiled and said, sorry, let me go. Okay. Stefan just turned sideways. Suddenly I saw Elena behind Ron. The whole person was stunned for a moment. Then the eyes seemed to be caught by a magnet. Staring at Elena without blinking. Sorry, this old gentleman who looks like a vampire. Ron patted him on the shoulder. The words he said shocked his mind and his pupils shrank violently. Elena is a little girl who is only 18 years old. You can't eat young grass and old cows. After saying that, he ignored Stefan's shock. Ron took Elena and the other ones and walked past him. Elena's puzzled voice came. Ron, why do you call him old gentleman? Ron said casually, he's the old man. Elena, but he looks like he is not as big as you. Ron blinked. Some people, you can't just look at the appearance. Just like me, she looks sunny and handsome, humorous and loved by everyone. In fact, inner, is better than outer. Elena exclaimed. You said so much to praise yourself. Ron laughed. No, I mean, don't look at the surface, but the heart. Elena gave him a blank look. I see that your heart is just narcissism. Ron patted her head lightly. No. If you could see my heart. You will find that there is a beauty inside, who looks exactly like you. Elena blushed, slapped Ron's hand away and ran forward. Ron, your love words come casually, like a scumbag, I want to stay away from you. Looking at Elena's youthful back. The little chalk pores twisted and twisted. Ron shrugged his shoulders to Jeremy beside him. Life is actually wonderful, don't always immerse yourself in the past. Enjoy now is what you should do. Humph. What do you know? Jeremy snorted coldly and turned to leave. Chapter 48. From May last year to now. Elena has never been as happy as she is today. May 23, 2009. There was a car accident in their family. All parents were killed. Only she and her younger brother Jeremy survived. Since then, she has never been able to get out of her grief. Only today. Ron with a smile appeared in her mind. So young, he turned out to be a teacher. What a special person. Suddenly, Elena discovered that Ron was not just in her imagination. Elena. He also came out of his mind. Coming to her eyes. He was smiling at her. Still calling her name. Elena, the teacher is calling you. Suddenly, the classmate next to her pulled her arm. Wake up suddenly. She found that it was not a fantasy. Ron is really on the podium. He was smiling and looking at her. Student Elena Gilbert. What are you thinking, boyfriend? Elena's pretty face turned red. Aaron, teacher, Ron waved his hand and asked her to sit down. My name is Ron Stark from today, you will be your biology teacher. A classmate raised his hand. Ron, where is our previous biology teacher? Ron laughed, I resigned when I was sick. Well, I resigned after being passively ill. A pleasant day passed. After school. Elena finds Ron. Sorry, Ron. I was distracted in your class, and Jeremy's rudeness. Ron had long forgotten these two things. He kept thinking, taking time to get some vampire blood and do a research. See Elena now. His eyes lit up. Pretend to feel uncomfortable. Elena, you and Jeremy deeply hurt my heart. Apology alone is not enough to make up for it. Elena couldn't tell that he was pretending. Cute rolled her eyes. Then he frowned. Then you say, how can you forgive me? Ron touched his chin and pretended to think. Well, you have a walk with me and have a meal together. Elena showed confusion. Sorry, Ron, I didn't mean to reject you. A trademark. I'm going to the cemetery. Okay, let's go together. Ron looked down at her eyes. If it's very difficult, forget it. Elena shook her head, don't be embarrassed. The two walked out of school together. Not far behind. The two of them watched the two of them leaving. His face looked extremely ugly. On the way. The two were shoulder to shoulder. Sniffing the fragrance of Elena's hair. Ron glanced around inadvertently. He noticed more than one gaze. Since leaving school, I have been following them. There was at least one vampire among them. It seems that I have no shortage of experimental materials. Aaron, what are you looking at? Elena looked back with Ron's eyes. Nothing was found. Ron blinked his eyes and rolled his eyes. I'm looking at your shadow. What's so good about the shadow? Elena looked at the shadow in confusion. It's ordinary. Ron said softly, no, it tells me that you are sad. Learn, it's all skills. Elena's heart trembled. Looking up at Ron. He frowned slightly, and a tear was in his eyes. He quickly raised his head, closed his eyes, and took a few deep breaths. No tears were allowed to flow down. There was no sign that told him. It's just that he is caring about himself. The next moment, Elena opened her eyes. There was a hint of intimacy in Ron's eyes. He spoke up about his own affairs. Trademark. I'm going to see my parents at the cemetery. 4 months ago, they died in a car accident. A deep sadness appeared on her face again. Suddenly, she caught a glimpse of Ron's expression. Plain, no fluctuation. It was like what she said, just a casual chat. A feeling of discomfort suddenly arose in my heart. Being a friend. A friend's parents died. Even if you don't trademark T comfort yourself, you shouldn't trademark T be expressionless. Teacher Stark, if you don't trademark T want to go to the cemetery, I can't me parents died, too. Ron spoke suddenly. The voice was dull, but Elena was stunned. What did you say? Ron spoke lightly. I was abandoned when I was infancy. I don't know who my biological parents are. Elena was in a state of irritation for a moment. Don't know what to say. My situation is very sad. But Ron's is even more miserable. I actually met such cruel parents. Ron smiled. But fortunately, I was saved by my adoptive parents and survived. They are such good people. Elena breathed a sigh of relief. A smile appeared on his face, happy for Ron. They are dead, too. Ron's plain words made Elena's smile froze directly on his face. Chapter 49. Ron seemed to have not seen Elena's expression. He continued while walking forward. I just adopted me shortly. They also had a car accident and died on the spot. I was raised by their biological son, my brother. I have never called dad nor mom and I have never said a word to them. Just in the photos, I saw them. Every time Ron said something, Elena's heart trembled. The dull voice contained the ultimate sadness. Listen to Ron's miserable life story. She regretted it a little. Why did I suddenly get angry with Ron just now? It's simply too much. She actually blamed Ron for not comforting herself. Monster Ron has no expression on his face. His tone was plain and his expressionless face was unspoken. It was just a sign of his sadness. The appearance is dull. I'm afraid my heart has been filled with grief. At this moment, she had no other emotions in her heart. All guilt. I wish I could hold Ron in my arms. Singing children's songs to comfort him. Let him cry in his arms. She turned around and hugged Ron. Sorry, Ron. Ron raised his eyebrows and patted her on the back. I just want to tell you sadness should not be the main theme of life. They are gone, and you should live every day more happily. Only in this way can they feel at ease. Listening to Ron, Elena hugged her tighter. His hands tightly wrapped around Ron's waist. He was very reluctant to rub himself into Ron's body. She clearly heard Ron's heartbeat. Strong and powerful. She held her heart tightly to Ron. It seems that this makes her feel that two broken hearts gradually merge into one. Healing Ron himself, he is also healed. It's like two injured cats licking each other's wounds. I don't know how long it took. She lay on Ron's chest, experiencing Ron's strong figure. Suddenly I heard Ron speak. We have to go to the cemetery, otherwise it will be too late. Ah. Elena hurriedly came out of Ron's arms. Looking at the setting sun in the west. Oh, it's so late. Ron, we need to be quicker. I'm late to go back, and I'll be told by my aunt. Elena took Ron's hand and trotted all the way. Arrived at the cemetery. In front of Elena's parents' grave. Elena gently brushed away the dead leaves on it with her hands. My mom and dad, trademark I'm very happy today, really happy. Trademark I met an interesting person named Ron Stark, a rare surname. Trademark he has a very miserable life experience trademark I will definitely live well in the future and get out of my sadness. Trademark you must bless me and Jeremiah and Ron. Trademark Ron stood aside and looked at Elena who was contemplative. His eyes moved slightly and he glanced at the mist that appeared at some point under his feet. Aaron, we can go Elena habitually pulled Ron's hand. A happy smile on his face. Ron shook his head, Elena, we can't leave for the time being. Someone, or, there are vampires, don't want us to leave. What? Vampire? Elena subconsciously looked at Ron. Follow his eyes. Hey? When did it fog? She realized that there was a thick fog under her feet at some point. There was a vast white area everywhere. Now I have lost my ankle. The fog is still rising. It's about to cover the calf. Ron pulled Elena to her side. He looked around with a chuckling look on his face. Don't run around, stand by me. There are two little bats around and they are eyeing you. Ron's words and at the moment's posture made her feel a little strange. She knew Ron was a secret person. But now is not the time to ask about these. She stood obediently behind Ron. Both hands clutched Ron's clothes. Looking around nervously. Don't you come out yet. Ron looked around. I have to say that if you don't trademark open the Sharingan. It's really hard for him to spot a hidden vampire. Not to mention other ability, this hidden ability alone is extraordinary. Who are you? Suddenly, Stefan appeared and stood not far in front of the two. Staring at Ron. You are the new classmate who came yesterday. Elena exclaimed. New classmates in their class. The person I met at the toilet door. Ron wasn't kidding at the time. Really a vampire? Isn't this a creature that only exists in the novel? Stefan looked at Elena unnaturally. This girl who is exactly the same as Catherine makes him unable to ignore it. Ron didn't answer him. There is one more? Why don't you come out? Bang. Trademark halfway through, Ron turned around. He grabbed Damon's neck. He held him in the air like he was catching a rabbit. Are you ready to attack? Chapter 50. Damon. Stefan exclaimed. Looking at the person being held in Ron's hand. Very unbelievable. Ah. A strong wind came from his ears, which scared Elena screamed. But soon, she found that she was being held in a warm embrace. A familiar breath. Familiar touch. Stop touching, Elena, pay attention to the occasion. Ron's words made Elena blush. Can she blame this? Who made Ron so attractive? Who can stand this? I have to say that the muscles are so elastic the two were flirting. But Damon, who was pinched by Ron, looked shocked. At this moment, countless plants broke out from the ground. From his feet, spread upwards. It was like a python, tied him up firmly. Vampires in this world. What I fear the most is the sun. If you are directly exposed to the sun, you will be burned to death. But they all have sunlight rings. Wear a ring and you can walk in the sunlight. The second weakness is a plant called verbena. After eating, you will lose all over. Definitely, there is no special restraint. As long as you don't trademark eat too much and suck some blood, you can recover. The third is that wood pierces the heart. As long as the heart is pierced by wood, regenerative healing factor will also die instantly. It can be said that Ron's wood dilemma, Tien defeated them. Now Ron has reached the level of shadow, as long as he wants. In an instant, half of the town was covered with wood escape. At this moment, there were countless sharp wooden thorns in front of Damon. Facing his chest. The threat of death made him instinctively want to escape. Can be used as a vampire who sucks blood. His power is far above Stefan. He tried his best, but he couldn't even move. By Damon. Ron also measured the strength of vampires in this world. Damon has about 200 combat power. That is the strength of the Supreme Ninja. One-on-one challenge to Connor's Lizardman. You can only rely on speed to deal with it. Just like Gwen. Whenever he is close, Connors will be slightly injured at most. And he will be torn to pieces. And Stefan on the other side. The combat power is only in the early 100s. Connors can play 10 at 1. Such a guy is returned to his original origin by space. Not even increasing combat power. At most, provide him with memories. What's the use of the 1 or 200 years of memory he wants to vampires? It's a terrible brain burden. Too weak. Ron waved his hand and a flame spurted out of his hand. The fog in the cemetery was instantly cleared. This scene made Damon and Stefan's pupils tremble. Damn it. Where did the horror guy come from? Not only is there a witch-like ability, but also a powerful body. It can also control plants, it is like the natural enemy of vampires. Mom messed with Farkey. This world is crazy. When did even vampires appear in natural enemies? Ron raised his hand and made a move. A golden and red armor fell from the sky. In their hearts, a tracking signal is injected. Okay, sir. The steel armor responded. First, I came to Demeng. Align the heart. In Damon's horror, a syringe was inserted into his chest. 2 seconds later. The syringe is extracted. Turn around and walk towards Stefan. Stefan's expression changed slightly, and he turned around and was about to run away. Stefan, if I were you, I wouldn't have run away. You see my strength. You don't want me to kill your brother, and the whole world is chasing vampires, right? The vampire's ability is strange. The speed is very fast, but the physical defense is not high. Like Ron, high-speed movement, there will inevitably be a sonic boom. Similarly, want to bear the sonic boom. There must be a strong body. His defense is not much worse than that of the lizardman. Punched through 10 centimeters of steel plate with one punch. The fist was not damaged at all. But vampires, let alone knives or bullets. Even sharpened wooden sticks can pierce the body. They run more like walking with the wind. Manipulate the wind and help them move quickly. It's fast, but it's extremely small. I can't hear much of the wind, but more of the footsteps. Such a guy insists on hiding, and Ron is not easy to find. Who are you? Stefan's steps stopped. Ron, you will know later. Stefan looked at Damon with a complicated face. Finally he sighed and stood there motionless. Close your eyes and no resistance. Listen to the steel armor coming to his side. A stinging pain came from the chest. Turning around is fleeting. Opening his eyes again, the golden and red armor had soared into the sky. Ron's hand flickered, and there were strange glasses. Put it on your eyes and gently press it to the edge. A simple radar projected into the eyes. On the radar, 1 green dot and 2 red dots are clearly visible. Ron nodded with satisfaction. Okay, you can leave. Don't think of running away, nor do you think of finding the signal. That thing is smaller than your cells. Unless you take out the heart and crush it all. This is the experimental material he finally found. I have to look for it again after I die. Too troublesome. The two brothers did not dare to stop at all and disappeared in an instant. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.